All right. Day 3 of the 2023 or 2024. What year is it? 2024 NFL draft. We got a couple picks off the board already. The Denver Broncos have just made a trade up by the looks of it for a fourth rounder here. I am very interested if this is a wide receiver because they could definitely use some help at that position. Troy Franklin, of course, still available. Javon Baker still available.
They have Bo Nix. Troy Franklin. They have Bo Nix.
Yeah, oh my God. Please be Troy Franklin. Please be Troy Franklin.
They have Bo Nix.
They do have Bo Nix. The Panthers actually already made a selection on day 3 so far. They did take Tavian Sanders, tight end from Texas, which we will get back to here. I really hope this is for a...
You remember.
Yeah, we need to see this. We need to see this Troy Franklin to the Broncos here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, dude.
Also, the other thing I had no clue about, but I found out on draft day, did you know that Tez Johnson is fucking Bo Nix's adopted brother?
What?
Yes. Tez Johnson is Bo Nix's adopted brother. So could you imagine next year they draft Tez Johnson after getting Franklin this year too?
Oh, dude, I love that, man. Okay, let's talk about it. We're gonna spoil the. I mean, not spoil the pick. It's probably you guys already knew it, but Troy Franklin heading on over to play with his college quarterback in Denver. This is an awesome fit, man. I'm not gonna lie. You look at the team as it's currently constructed. You have Courtland Sutton, who's your prototypical X wide receiver. He's going to see the press coverage. He's going to do that kind of stuff. Marvin Mims projects primarily as a slot receiver there in Denver. You have Greg Dulcich at tight end. You have Javonte Williams in the backfield. Bo Nix stepped into a situation that definitely could have used another playmaker. And why not get him the guy that he just scorched the Pac-12 with last year in Troy Franklin? He steps in day 1. He can be their Z receiver. He was a top 7 receiver in the class for me because when you stack up his profile, that was the thing that I ultimately kept coming back to. You have him at 10 mainly due to some film concerns. His hands were a bit of a liability. The ball tracking there, not the greatest. The contested catches, the slender frame. But when you stack up his production profile, it's the fourth or 5th best in this entire class. He's got speed to burn, 4.41 at the combine. I honestly think because he was dealing with the flu, he probably could have ran almost a full 1/10 of a second faster than that. Good route runner, press man beater, yards after catch, and agility is pretty strong as well. And like I said, that production profile, very, very good. In terms of wide receiver prospects in our prospect model, Troy Franklin's production and analytics score was the 5th best of any wide receiver in this class. Only Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Xavier Worthy had higher scores in that area. So with Franklin, the questions are, can he maybe add 10 pounds to his frame, get a little bit stronger, play a little stronger through contact? Because I'm fired up about that fit to Troy Franklin to the Broncos. This is going to pose an interesting conundrum now, which is the 4th round draft capital receiver goes to an excellent fit for what he wants to do versus, we got these 3rd and 2nd round draft capital guys yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit off camera where if Troy Franklin hears his name called early round 4, goes to a good landing spot, like where's he kind of rank, man? And it's tough because you're evaluating Jermaine Burton with the Cincinnati Bengals, Jalen McMillan, obviously with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Malachi Corley with the New York Jets. These are all guys that
Roman
I had
Wilson with the Steelers too.
Right. These are all guys I had Troy Franklin ranked above in terms of a film standpoint. It's just now it comes to the decision. Is it day 2 capital? Is it the round 4 player? At the end of the day, you pointed this out too. The hit rates between round 3 and round 4 versus round 2 is where it's substantial. But the difference between round 3 and round 4 specifically isn't that great. And I mean, we saw it a few years ago. I don't want to compare Troy Franklin to Amon St. Brown because they are completely inverse in terms of how they win. Like, to be honest, you just pointed it out. Troy Franklin's way to win is literally Amon St. Brown's teammate, Jameson Williams. But same principle applies where if I think he's the more talented player and he gets the early 4th round capital pairing with his college quarterback, like he probably has to be a mid-second to late second type of rookie pick at this point.
Well, here's the challenging thing also because he was the 102nd pick. In some draft classes, that was 3rd round draft capital on compensatory picks and stuff like that. So we're talking about a guy that was narrowly missing the top 100 overall selection. So, I mean, it's not like we're comparing Troy Franklin's 6th round pick to like 3rd round receivers. And because we liked Franklin better pre-draft, we're going with that. To be honest, man, I think I'm comfortably going to take him ahead of McMillan and Burton and Corley. As much as I like the fits for all those guys, I think McMillan's a great fit for the Buccaneers. I think the Burton is a good fit, third receiver in the Bengals offense. And I think that Corley went to a situation where he can play like a big slot role for the Jets. I just think Franklin, he's playing with his college quarterback. We know he already has rapport with him. We also know that this offense had really no field stretching option on the outside, and he's going to get to do exactly what we said of Troy Franklin, which is not face press coverage, because Courtland Sutton will do that.
Yeah, it's actually like we pointed out, maybe the Rams taking the Demarcus Robinson late role, but with the context now that Bo Nix is the 12th overall pick, a player that the Broncos are going to be committed to at least throughout the life cycle of the first 3 years of his contract, possibly throughout his entire rookie contract, possibly even after that. With that context in mind, he's not your typical 102nd Denver Broncos overall draft pick here, knowing that he has that rapport with Bo Nix, and Bo Nix probably went out of his way to say, hey, listen, like if Troy Franklin's available in the 4th round, like this is the guy I want to be throwing the football to. And obviously the Broncos willing to make that adjustment for him, willing to make that pick. There's not much downside here, to be honest. And again, obviously the only real downside is, of course, the film misses that I had with him on top of getting, instead of day 2 capital, the round 4, but 102nd versus 85th, that's not really going to make a big needle move for me. 102nd versus 52nd may be a little different.
Well, I mean, obviously the best case scenario would have been him going in the 2nd round. But I would say the next best case scenario is him going to play with Bo Nix again. We talked about it on numerous occasions in his film, man. Like, it's insane that this guy is going to get to play with the quarterback that threw him accurate footballs all through his college career. And we constantly said it when we were breaking down his film. It's like, hey, that's a good ball. You got to come down with that. That's a good ball placement by Nix. It's like, this is an offense that I can get behind now, man. Honestly, like the Broncos are my new every year. There's a team
Jets
that drafts my players that I liked before the draft, and Bo Nix and Troy Franklin were 2 guys I liked. I also really liked Javonte Williams a couple years ago when he came out, and just in general, I wanted him to break out too. So suddenly you squint on this Broncos offense, man, it looks a little bit better, because I think Franklin should have been a day 2 wide receiver at the very least. And I would have taken him in the 2nd round if I was an NFL team. So even though he went in the 4th round, if you had squinted and they went Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, round 1, round 2, that's because that's the talent level that dictated those players. Then yeah, I think that this offense is much, much improved from what they were at last year.
100%. So the Cardinals are about to pick here, by the way, and I think wide receiver could definitely be in play. Obviously, you got your main franchise guy with Marvin Harrison there. You add your franchise running back potentially with Trey Benson. They could use a little bit more of a separator, I would say, to complement. Obviously, you lose Marquise Brown, Michael Wilson, more of a big body type of boundary receiver. And I mean, their wide receiver 3 right now is Greg Dortch.
Yeah,
adding a smooth separator would be nice.
Here's my guess with this. I'm going to say this is Malik Washington.
I love that. I
think that you got Harrison and Michael Wilson as your big outside guys. I actually think Malik Washington would be a nice fit for this offense here. So I'm going to roll with Malik Washington as my guess here. Let's circle back to Jatavian Sanders, because he did actually go pick 101 to the Carolina Panthers. JT Sanders has a little bit of development needed for sure. A lot of mental errors, blocking technique, functional strength, route refinement,
stuff like that. I'm going with Javon Baker, by the way.
That's your guess? Okay.
Yeah.
But great physical tools for Jatavian Sanders, new Carolina Panthers tight end here. Strong hands, good athlete, even though he didn't really test the best at the NFL Combine, a 4.69. I thought he would have run probably close to a 1/10 of a second faster than that. Good athleticism, like I said, on film. Production profile was really strong. I mean, he had like 700 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2022, competing for targets with Xavier Worthy, competing for targets with Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson out of the backfield this year. A little bit more of a down production season, but A.D. Mitchell did transfer into Texas. And we do have other receivers there. Jordan Whittington, maybe here's his name called by the end of today. Yards after catch monster, very physically tough. Jatavian Sanders is a great fit for the Panthers. I think that he could have gone higher than this in the NFL draft. And I'm also quite excited of what Carolina has done in general. Because even if you don't agree with Xavier Legette at 32 overall, if you don't agree with trading up for a running back in the 2nd round, you don't agree with taking Jatavian Sanders here, you added a starting running back, a starting tight end, and a starting receiver around Bryce Young, who you already traded for Deontay Johnson and signed 2 offensive guards to come into this offense. They've added 6 starters to this offense so far.
Yeah, no,
that's insane. 6 starters. how you build around your young quarterback. Again, you got to give him, like we said it before, we were talking about this before. You had a good defense last year. Like Carolina's defense was legit a top 10 defense against the run and pass. So it's like, don't draft a single player on defense, because if Bryce Young doesn't work out, you're all getting fired anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to them. Like, obviously, people might disagree with the draft capital that was spent on Xavier Legette. Us personally had him as a top 8 type of wide receiver in this class. Thought his film was very good. Obviously, the profile was the downside risk there, maybe why you wouldn't take him in round 1. But if he was their guy, and the way Canales described it, he said, listen, like, I understand he's not this polished product on day one, but guess what? The routes that I want him to run in my system, in my scheme, he runs at an extremely high level. So the fact that Canales made this pick, not envisioning, this is going to be my big X receiver and he can run anything, but no, understanding, hey, this is an imperfect player and we're still willing to take him at this 32nd pick because he fits what I want to do on offense. That's what you want to hear from a coach. The coach that has a plan to be able to take, again, a player that I thought was more nuanced than people want to give him credit for, but regardless, still not a polished player when it comes to Xavier Legette. Having a plan for him, having a course of action, what you want to put him on so you don't overload him early, man. Like, that's how successful teams are built. That's how successful franchises are built. And obviously the Panthers have a long way to go to actually become a successful franchise, but I really do feel like they're taking the right steps there. You get your offensive playmaker there on the outside with Xavier Legette. You draft your franchise potential running back there with Jonathan Brooks. On top of that, people don't talk about the fact they moved down from 39 to 52, picked up one of the seconds that they lost from last year in the trade with the Bears, and still were able to get Jonathan Brooks, who they might have even taken at 39. Like, it's just good asset management compared to what we saw from last year, where they lost all their picks and they kind of had to recoup them. Getting that 2025 2 from the Rams is a big step.
Yeah, Carolina also sneakily doing the same thing Denver's doing, which is just drafting a lot of players I liked. Jatavian Sanders, Jonathan Brooks, both Texas Longhorns, obviously. And then Xavier Legette, a guy that I really liked as well. So the Broncos and Panthers are becoming two teams that I'm quite excited about. And obviously Carolina took Bryce Young last year, who I really liked. And I also have been a Deontay Johnson truther for the last couple of years.
Team in your division, by the way.
I know they're in my division. Carolina is the one team. They're the Washington of my division.
Yeah,
I really don't care what they do, to be honest. It's like I
the little brother
Carolina for like one season when I was younger. When Carolina had Cam Newton in that monster season, then I kind of disliked them, and I also didn't really like Steve Smith growing up. But other than that, I really had no ill will towards Carolina. In Atlanta too. Like, I haven't really cared too much about what they've done. They've been kind of maybe irrelevant. Most of the time that we're relevant. It's just we've never been good at the same time, so it doesn't really matter. It's just New Orleans is the only team I really dislike in that division. Like, I actually dislike the Cowboys and Eagles more than those two teams in my division.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Justin,
I'm trying to place Franklin in the prospect model right now because I'm curious where he's going to stack up with 102nd overall draft capital here.
Yeah, I mean, like, you probably had his input, what top 50 capital, so obviously that's gonna change a little bit because I mean,
yeah, his input was 38th overall, so he's gonna drop. His grade definitely just took a big time drop, but relative to other 3rd and 4th round receivers, he's gonna pop, I'm sure.
By the way, did you hear? So Chris Ballard apparently, like, he got asked after, like, at his press conference about the character concerns that AD Mitchell has, and he basically just went off. He's like, these fucking anonymous scouts.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
He's like, why don't you put your fucking name to that take if you're going to tear down a 21-year-old kid's character? Like, I fucking love that shit, man.
I respect it. Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, we weren't like, I definitely suspected that AD Mitchell 100% had some character concerns, but at the same time, it's like, I don't have any influence on the NFL. They don't give two shits what I say. Second of all, like, I wouldn't, put that out into the world to say like, oh, this is something that I would not take AD Mitchell for, and then not be such a coward to not attach my name to it. Like, if you're a team leaking that information, like, at least have the balls to say, yeah, like someone in the Steelers front office doesn't like his character or whatever. It's like, stop being a fucking pansy about it. Just worth noting, by the way, Kiki QT was a 3rd round pick and he was pick 103, and Troy Franklin was pick 102 and technically a 4th round pick.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
And Antonio Callaway was pick 105. I believe he was like an early pick in the 4th round. Danny Gray, also a late 3rd round pick of the 49ers, pick 105. And Trey Tucker was a 3rd round pick at pick 100. So,
Bush, I was going to say, can we get some good players mixed in there so we don't have to put Troy Franklin in that group?
It's not so much about the players. It's more just like the
trolling.
draft capital comparison there. It's like when the player is a third round pick, it feels a lot better than the player is a fourth round pick.
Yeah.
But Danny Gray was literally a third round pick, and he technically, like, people thought about him as a third round receiver, even though he technically was a later pick than Franklin.
Well, wasn't Will Levis the 32nd overall pick, but because he was in the second round, because the Dolphins had their pick forfeited? Am I tripping?
Well, yes, you're right. He was the 32nd pick, I believe. Maybe he was pick 33. No, he was, because Joey Porter went 32.
Right. Hey, you're a good point. But like, regardless, though, like if he had gone one pick higher, like he was technically a second round pick, but if he went top 32 because the Dolphins lost their pick due to fucking tampering.
Yeah, I'm looking right now on these players, how often the 102, like the pick 102 is a third rounder. Trying to figure it out here.
I'm not going to lie. I don't want to remember Cody Latimer, Mark.
Cody Latimer.
He said, don't forget, I don't want to remember. By the way, did you see in Debbie Disciples, all the players got their team on the sleeper app, eh? I'm just seeing like Trey Benson on the Cardinals, my Keon Coleman on the Bills. Like it feels nice just looking at it. Drake May on the Pats too.
Yeah, actually I just heard one of my guys, Jatavian Sanders is on my roster.
Right.
So Jatavian Sanders is on my team, and I just got him a Carolina Panthers tight end now. I actually like that. So I do think that's a good landing spot for him. It's a place that he can start early on in his career. And then Malik Neighbor is now a New York Giant for me on that same Debbie team.
Simple and nice. Yeah, everybody big fans. By the way, if you guys are watching like Bailey, make sure you drop a like on the stream. 181 of you in here. Appreciate the consistent support. We're all D-gens, man. We got 180 strong in here watching day 3 of the NFL draft. Appreciate you guys for having that passion for football like we do.
Yeah, we need better things to do with our lives, clearly.
Great fit. We'll definitely look for Franklin in rookie drafts. Yeah, absolutely. I always like to see teammates go on to be drafted by the same team, especially when it's a quarterback and a receiver. Like the connection's already going to be there. The chemistry's already going to be there. So that's nice.
What year was Danny Gray drafted? Was that last year or 2022?
2022. Ronnie Bell was last year.
Right.
Danny Gray SMU, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, 2022 NFL draft.
By the way, the Titans' only 2 draft picks, a mauling right tackle and a run stuff in one tech. They are committed to the grind. I still can't believe they took Sweat in the second round. I'm sorry. 38th overall is insane. Did you see, by the way, Bush, what Sweat said?
What did he say?
He said, if I lose weight, I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. Then lose weight, fat ass.
Also, that's kind of a wild statement. If I lose weight, I'm going to be a Hall of Famer, as if that wasn't something he could have done in the pre-draft process to like get himself in a better.
Like, by the way, I'm a bigger guy, but goddamn, like I'm not going to go out there and say I would be the fittest person of all time if I lost a few pounds. Like, give me a break, man. Like, what are we doing? If you think you could be a Hall of Famer by losing weight, then fucking lose the weight. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah. Of the NFL draft end.
Payne, Tez is a pad, I fear. Yeah, no, Tez Walker has New England Patriots energy written all over him. The one that I would like, hear me out. So like they have their possession guy with Jaylen Polk. I mean, I guess Tez Walker would actually be a good fit because like theoretically you'd want to groom him to be the Kendrick Bourne replacement, right?
Yeah, I think to Flett's point, it's like if you're going to draft a receiver, they need to kind of be a difference-making role player that you don't currently have. And Tez Walker, say what you want about him, at least he's like a role that they don't currently have.
That's what I mean. Because you got your slot with Douglas.
Too.
Well, that's what I mean. You got your slot with Douglas. You got your Z with Jaylen Polk. You need that X receiver that can dominate on the third level. So like, it makes sense. Like it would be the Kendrick Bourne replacement long term. Like they're gonna need like a speedy third level receiver. And I mean, to be honest, like Tez Walker honestly fills that billing, and he has worked with Drake May. He's probably the best fit on the board.
Yeah, it probably is. He has worked with the quarterback.
When do they pick? They pick what? A few picks, right? Oh, yeah, like 110 overall. Okay.
110 overall, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I completely forget. I always forget they got KJ Osborne. I never fucking include him in that talk. I
I
always
know
forget about him.
he is kind of a very forgettable guy.
Well, like he's just gonna be like the Jalen Polk backup, right? Because like that would be his role, or like he's not gonna beat out Kendrick Bourne for the X spot.
Yeah. So just to give you guys an idea of how underdrafted Troy Franklin was, the previous
Theo
holder.
Johnson.
What's up?
Theo Johnson to the Giants. Theo Johnson.
Okay. Whatever.
That's interesting. Him and Daniel Bellinger fighting off for athletic 4th-round pick.
All right. Let's talk about Theo Johnson.
That's interesting.
All right, so Theo Johnson, tight end from Penn State University. Notoriously, if you know anything about Theo Johnson, he tested incredibly well at the NFL Scouting Combine. 4.57 40-yard dash, 6'6", 259 pounds, 97th percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score, 77th percentile agility score. You might be like, holy crap, this is a sleeper and a half of a tight end. I will say you probably need to watch the film a little bit because as much as I think he's a good physicality route runner type, athleticism's obviously evident on film, although maybe not to the level that you saw at the combine. He's a good red zone threat, scored a lot of touchdowns these past couple of years, and he can contribute yards after catch and up the seam. I saw a lot of mental errors for a 22-year-old redshirt senior. Or a 23-year-old now, redshirt senior. Blocking technique was a little spotty. Game speed didn't translate to testing speed from what I noticed. The agility especially, he looked a little stiff to me. And then production profiles, pretty suspect. He didn't really produce a whole lot until this season at Penn State. And even when he did produce this season, it wasn't a whole lot of yardage, a whole lot of targets. It was just kind of red zone touchdowns and that kind of thing. And he also did struggle with drops as well. So interesting dart throw, I would say. Theo Johnson, if you're in need of a tight end and it's like the 4th round of the rookie draft, you got 4th round draft capital, not a terrible option. But for me, it's probably a guy that I'm not overly excited about.
I will say again, like I feel like from a schematic standpoint, you get Theo Johnson to be your seam busting tight end, Daniel Bellinger kind of your yak tight end. I'm assuming they're going to be using those two pretty interchangeably in 2 tight end sets as well. For the most part, Daniel Jones just needed that seam buster. And yes, I did that on purpose.
Yeah. Also, can we get Jaylen Wright to the Vikings here? That's my prediction.
Speaking of Daniel Dunn, this is why I said it because that interview is fucking hilarious. By the way, Malik Neighbors looks so pissed off, even calls his quarterback the wrong name.
Also, like, is Jamal Charles like good? Did you see the whole video of him announcing the pick?
Bad.
Not just the what is that, bro?
No, dude, it was so bad. I saw like videos like on meme channels. People were posting like, why would the NFL send up a guy who can't read to read the pick? That's so mean.
So mean, but I think he was just nervous, but still, it's crazy.
100%. It's fuck. By the way,
Anyways,
the best analytic when it comes to Theo Johnson, because that's worked out so well in the past, is he did play against the Lodster himself.
Did he?
Yeah, back in the day. He played at Windsor.
Oh, really? I didn't actually know that.
He's from Canada. You didn't know that?
I did not know that. No. Well, shout out to Theo Johnson for being Canadian. My comp for him there, you can see is Jelani Woods, another super athlete that has done nothing in the NFL. Luke Musgrave, another super athlete that I think was disappointing as a rookie, considering the role that he was gift wrapped for the Packers there. And Tucker Kraft was honestly better with said role. So for me, again, Theo Johnson, not that interesting. One thing I would like to point out here, I'm gonna flash this on the screen to you guys once I get some columns hid, but I pulled here the prospects that were drafted between pick 100 and or 105 or 102, sorry, where Franklin went, and pick 150. So we're talking early day 3 guys, 4th and 5th round guys. And Troy Franklin's grade eviscerates everybody pretty much. It's not even close. He's clearly the best day 3
he's
technically prospect that we've seen. The next closest guy was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Tyler Johnson? Oh.
No, Amon-Ra St. Brown, actually. Tyler Johnson, I believe, was Tyler Johnson picked in I think he was picked like 180 or something. I think he was a little bit later of a pick. I said pick 100 to 150.
4th round. Oh, my apologies.
If I go all day 3 prospects, then yeah. Here, let's go pick 102 to 180 just to get Tyler Johnson in there as well, and Puka Nacua too, actually. So
yeah.
I'll put this on the screen here in a second if you want to just vamp for a minute.
Yeah. No, I mean the Falcons are going to pick 109th overall. I'm curious where they go here. That's the 4th future franchise quarterback there with Michael Penix. You think they take like Malik Washington here?
Your mic's kind of going warpy on me right now.
How's it now?
Hey, you're good.
Mooney signed for 3 years. My bad. So they're
Yeah,
probably
he
not going
did.
to.
I could see Malik Washington be interesting here.
It'd be fun. They do have Rondale too. They probably go defense.
Rondale. Useless.
Interior defensive lineman. Nice. Didn't they literally just draft Rukaroro?
They did just draft Rukaroro.
Let's just get another IDL, right?
The Falcons don't really know what they're doing, so I'm not going to...
I mean, wasn't that evident when they said that Michael Penix was their quarterback 2 in the class of Jayden Daniels?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't be bragging about that if I were them.
Yeah,
Like, we stacked up our board, and Jayden Daniels and Michael Penix came up 1 and 2, and I'm like, you might need a new process if that's what it spit out.
That was absurd. So you mean to tell me if Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams were both available at that 8th overall pick, they would have selected Michael Penix?
Yeah, not to mention, too, it's like, it's one thing to say, oh, you know, Michael Penix fits our offense really well, and that's why we graded him highly. But him and Jayden Daniels are polar opposite quarterbacks. So it's clear that you just actually think his talent level is that of the second best quarterback in the class. Because if they were like, oh,
that's another thing,
Penix
right?
rated as QB2 for us, we were looking for a distributor pocket passer type, and that's why, say, Drake May was quarterback 1, or maybe Caleb Williams is quarterback 1 and Penix was QB2 because he can fill that role. That makes sense. But Jayden Daniels and Penix are nothing alike.
Yeah, no, that was just funny because it's like you would say like, yeah, these are how would they rank for a schematic fit, but no, he just said like he was our quarterback too, and like you said, Jayden Daniels just completely different.
Okay, so this is what it spit out, the prospect model. You could see there Troy Franklin's grade among day 3 wide receivers, quote unquote, but because he was pick 102, technically he overlaps a little bit with some guys that did actually sneak into the back of the 3rd round, like Danny Gray, for example. But Troy Franklin's 74.85% grade kills everybody else. And you could see there's some big day 3 hits here with, I mean, Tyler Johnson, I think would have been a good prospect had he not.
Ooh.
What?
I love that pick. I love that pick.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Let's
Let me finish this
go.
point real quick, and then we'll go back to it. But yeah, Troy Franklin, one of these better day 3 prospects. You can see Puka Nakua's name there, Amon-Ra St. Brown's name there, Khalil Shakir's name there, even Dede Westbrook, Rashard Higgins, and Tyler Johnson had moments where we were kind of excited about them. So yeah, Troy Franklin, he's going to be on probably every one of my teams because I would imagine a lot of people are going to let him slide to like the 3rd round potentially of rookie drafts. And I'm actually still quite comfortable taking him in the mid-2nd round, even with 4th round draft capital. I'd be okay taking him. Let me go through my rankings right now. Let's place Troy Franklin, and we'll get back to this pick in a second. Yeah. This is the challenging one. Speaking of the Patriots, would you rather have Jaylen Polk or Troy Franklin?
Fuck. I had Troy Franklin, wide receiver 10 pre-draft. I can't go against the 37th overall draft capital, though. I think I would go Polk.
Okay.
It's
so
37
that would, to me, that's the cutoff, though, because I'm taking Franklin over McMillan. Yeah. I'm taking Franklin over Burton. I'm taking Franklin over Corley. I'm taking Franklin over Sinnott at tight end. I'm taking Franklin over Corum and Lloyd at running back. I think his prospect profile was good enough, and he's got enough of a high ceiling in the dynasty space, especially because that matters, too, because we were all high on Franklin. He slid to day 3 of the draft. If he comes out and performs well early on, we're going to be more inclined to move him up because we all liked him pre-draft as a community. So for me, Franklin is going to fit in right now. He's my 20th overall player, and I do actually have him 1 spot ahead of Jaylen Polk, but that would be a difficult decision point.
Yeah, like I can't do it simply because like 37, you kind of mentioned like 2nd round, top 50 overall capital is actually what matters at receiver. And I mean, 37th overall paired with Drake May, like the one I was going to ask you real quick is where do you put Javon Baker into that discussion now too? Because Javon Baker was a guy I had really high pre-draft too.
Yeah, I was a little lower on Baker than you were, but I'm still quite excited about the landing spot there. So let's talk about Javon Baker because he was just selected by the New England Patriots here in the 4th round of the NFL draft. Let me just pull up his player card here so we can talk about him. But Javon Baker is an interesting player, man. Especially when you consider that this is a guy that plays X receiver. It's something that they don't really have right now. I mean, Polk theoretically plays X receiver, but I think what his role is better suited to be is more of like a Rashee Rice Z slot kind of part-time player. Javon Baker can start on the outside for them right away. Potentially 6'1", 202 pounds, just 21.7 years old. He's a vertical threat. He's got good size, good contested catch ability. Yards after catch ability is pretty strong for a big guy who's not like, I don't think he's the most fluid athlete agility wise in space, but he can make things happen after the catch. productive player this year at UCF the last 2 seasons, did have to transfer away from Alabama. So there is a little bit of blemishes on his profile as a result. And I think he's just generally a bit of a raw route runner at this point in time. And like I said, lateral agility, a bit of a problem because he's lacking that speed as well at 4.54 in the 40-yard dash. But reception perception, darling. Matt Harmon loved him. You comped him here to Michael Gallup. I think Harmon also comped him to Michael Gallup as well in the reception perception. For me, he kind of reminded me a little bit of De'Ami Brown from North Carolina, who was in the 2021 or 2022 NFL draft. And to me, that scared me a little bit because I was really high on De'Ami Brown for a similar reason. I thought he was physical. I thought he could win downfield and that kind of stuff. But the thing I underrated what the importance of with De'Ami Brown was the like total lack of nuance to his route running, which to me I see with Javon Baker. Now, Matt Harmon doesn't really agree with that. He thinks he's a better route runner than I think he is, but I'm kind of trusting my gut to be a little lower on Baker than the market is. Let me ask you this question because we just talked about it with Franklin. Are you taking Baker or are you taking McMillan, Burton, Corley, Roman Wilson, all of those guys that just went yesterday in the draft?
I would take him over Roman. I would probably take him over Corley. McMillan I had rated higher pre-draft and goes a little bit higher capital, so I would still go with McMillan. And then the debate would be like I have Burton a little bit higher because I love the fit with Cincinnati, and I do feel like he could be the long-term wide receiver 2 there. He would probably, in terms of Javon Baker, he would probably slip in the 23 area for my rankings, 23, 24.
That's
like
exactly where he fell for me too. So
yeah,
we're on the same page there. Yeah, it's a great fit, man. I'm not going to lie. The Patriots so far, I mean, Polk wasn't the highest ceiling option, but you kind of made up for it here because I think Baker's ceiling is higher than Polk's. So you grab your guy in the second round that you know can just be a locked and loaded, steady pro, Tyler Boyd, Rashee Rice type of projection. And then Javon Baker, I mean, if I had to give a ceiling comp for Javon Baker, I would say his ceiling. Even Mike, I think his ceiling might even be higher than Michael Gallup's.
Well, like year 2 Michael Gallup, where we saw him have like 60, 70 catches, over 1,100 yards, lower volume, but like a big efficiency type of player, which is kind of what he was at college. And to be honest, I'm glad you mentioned with the Matt Harmon because I've always been on the Michael Gallup comp ever since I watched Javon Baker. That was the comp I even told you like 3 or 4 months ago. So I've always been on that comp, and just seeing Harmon chart him as an 88th percentile player against press. He's going to play X receiver for the Patriots. Like ideally here, maybe Bourne starts off as the X receiver day 1, but I mean, your long-term goal here, Javon Baker's going to be Drake May's X, Jaylen Polk's going to be your Z, Demario Douglas is going to be your slot for the foreseeable future when it comes to Drake May. And this is how you support your young quarterback, man. Like the Patriots, we've clowned them for so long about, making weird picks, this and that under the Bill Belichick regime. But this regime so far, to be honest, is doing a great job building around that quarterback. I'm really a big fan of what they're doing.
You know what I would love for them to do today as well? If they have an extra 4th rounder, an extra 5th rounder, how about you call the Las Vegas Raiders about Michael Mayer as well?
That would be fucking fun.
Yeah, that would be something I would also be looking to do there. But yeah, definitely intriguing. I'm actually going to pull up Javon Baker's reception perception because I think it is worth noting. You guys can see it on the screen there. Obviously, make sure to check out Matt Harmon's work. He does tremendous work charting these wide receivers. But you can see Javon Baker as a route runner, good man and press speeder there, actually decent against zone coverage as well, was able to win on that vertical route tree. You could see there 9 routes, post routes, corner routes, out routes, curl routes. You could see kind of the ones that he wasn't as good on were like the in-breaking dig routes and screen passes and stuff. He's just not the best lateral athlete in the world. I think he's a little bit more straight line, a little bit more, strong down the field. But the nice thing is like sometimes you get these straight line athletes that are like Will Fuller, Jalen Hyatt types where they're like physical play strength is an issue as well. And that factors in at the next level. And I actually think De'Ami Brown kind of had a little bit of that problem as well. And that's why he didn't hit at the next level. But at least with Javon Baker, like I think he's a very physically strong player. Like I think when I watch him at the catch point, I watch what he's able to do in terms of body control in contested catch situations. I think that Baker is a better option than some of those other guys. And Baker, for what it's worth too, did perform pretty well in the prospect model. He's not the type of guy that I think is just film. I think his prospect profile has blemishes, like I said, because he had to transfer away from Bama and stuff. But his final 2 years of production at UCF were actually decent enough to the point that pre-NFL draft, Javon Baker rated as wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the prospect model. So top 12 wide receiver, which is about the range that some people thought he was off the board, but he did actually rate pretty highly here. So with Javon Baker, he projects according to the model as a solid bet. assuming he was a 3rd round pick. So I'm assuming as a 4th round pick, he's going to fit into the sleeper category now.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it right now. The fact that you're talking about this type of profile, this type of player, the skill set, the compare with Drake May, like I said, he's going to be like my 24th, 25th overall player, man. Like that, this class is insane.
What pick was he just taken at? 111?
I believe so. Yeah, or 110.
Was it 110 or 111? Do you know?
It was. I think
it's
it
not
was
going to
110.
matter. I don't think, but
I think it was 110.
Yeah, since sliding to the 4th round, he did actually slide down quite a bit in terms of what his prospect grade was. That was going to factor in a lot, of course. But
another fantasy relevant. Fantasy relevant.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about him. Devontae Walker was just selected by the Baltimore Ravens there at the 113th overall pick. Like you said, fantasy relevant indeed. Let me go to his prospect profile here for Tez Walker. I can't remember if he's under the name Devontae or Tez on our thing here. Where is he? Devontae Walker here. Yeah. So Devontae Walker, a guy that early on in the process was getting a ton of buzz because of what he was able to do at his time at Kent State. He only played a couple games this year with Drake May at the University of North Carolina. The biggest way I can kind of describe him is he's like the light version of Adonai Mitchell, where he's big, he's fast, he's got good downfield usage, strong hands, good physicality, and some flashes of good route running. Obviously, Mitchell's a little bit higher on that spectrum, but they're both about the same size. They're both great athletes. You see that 4.36 40-yard dash, 98th percentile burst score. Field stretcher is going to be his role at the next level. And I think when you think about his fit in Baltimore, you have Zay Flowers, a short intermediate target. You have hopefully Rashad Bateman can figure some things out. But Tez Walker does fit that offense quite good. They don't really have an element of their offense like this. He's inconsistent, poor lateral agility, in my opinion. His press man separation was something I thought could have been better given his athletic tools. And his profile is very wonky because he played, I think, a year or two at junior college or something. Then he went to Kent State. And then he also played a little bit of Power 5 football at the University of North Carolina this year. And I also don't think he's overly dynamic in space as a yards after catch receiver. My comp for him, your comp for him, DJ Chark type of guy that you throw these downfield passes to. That's the type of player he is.
I will say, so you guys see the projected draft capital we had for him, top 75 from you, top 100 from me. He was the type of player I thought the NFL would covet. Obviously, the big frame, the speed that he brings to the table, 4.36, 98th percentile burst score, 89th percentile speed score. And to be honest, I don't know how good I feel about it in fantasy because you have Zay Flowers, you have Mark Andrews there, low volume passing offense with in terms of Lamar Jackson. But in best ball or in terms of just real life NFL schematic fit, Baltimore needed a receiver that can threaten that third level of the field, open everything up underneath. And Devontae Walker, despite me not thinking he can be a high volume target commander in this offense, if he can play that role for this team, even if it's just Marquez Valdes-Scantling, this opens up the Ravens offense so much. And in the 4th round, I do feel like that's a really solid value for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to find these guys late in the draft that can contribute right away for your team. And I think the Ravens just did a good job of finding someone that can. The question really is, now does this guy, ever command more than a 15 to 18% target share? And that would be my major concern for Tez Walker from like a fantasy perspective, is that this might be a better in dynasty best ball type of option right here, is what I would say about Tez Walker, just to sum him up. And maybe he's a high ceiling guy. He's a good athlete and all that kind of stuff. He's still a pretty raw player coming from small schools and stuff like that. But to me, it's like in 3rd round of rookie drafts, if he's available at the 303, 304 attached to that offense, honestly, I don't think it's terrible.
The other thing I will say, the only downside too, like you said, is I think he's probably going to end up being in that 15 to 18% target share area. The issue though is if Baltimore's throwing 450 to 500 times, that still equates to less than 100 targets. So they're going to be high value targets when Lamar Jackson wants to stretch the field, get it to that vertical receiver. But is he this type of player that can give you 40 catches, 700 yards, and 6 touchdowns? Or is he the player that maybe can command some more volume, give you 65 for 980 to 1,000 and 10 touchdowns? There's a big difference in fantasy. In real life, sure, the function of the offense, he's going to play it similarly regardless. But if he's not commanding the volume, he doesn't really become that much of a fantasy get.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I was going to say, he's going to drop so many Lamar dimes. That's funny that's the receiver they went after, is a guy that doesn't have the most reliable hands. And Gabe Davis with a Kenny Pickett profile picture commenting here. 4th round wide receivers are bums. I would know. Gabe Davis, not a terrible draft comparison for Tez Walker here.
It's not bad either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the vertical speed is going to be different. Gabe Davis, like a 4.5 guy. Des Walker bringing 4.36. But in terms of stylistic fit in the offense, like that's pretty.
Let me ask you this question: who would you rather have in a rookie draft? Keep, trade, cut these players. Devontae Walker, obviously 4th round pick to the Ravens. Roman Wilson, 3rd round pick to the Steelers. Marshawn Lloyd, 3rd round pick to the Packers. Give me a keep, trade, cut on those guys, or rank them.
I think Tez is the clear 3 there. He would be the cut.
Really? You think he's the clear 3?
Yeah.
Well, I actually would prefer him to Roman Wilson.
I had Roman Wilson higher pre-draft. He gets 3rd round capital, lands in a vertical offense. And I mean, although Tyler Lockett is my comp, that's the ceiling comp, obviously. If there's one type of system that it would work with, it would be Russell Wilson, where we obviously saw Tyler Lockett thrive in his prime. So, yeah, if he could be a worse Tyler Lockett, I think that's a really good path to paying off regardless. But, yeah, I had him higher pre-draft. He gets higher draft capital, lands in a good fit, in my opinion, with the Steelers to be that wide receiver 2 there. I like the fit for Roman. And to be honest, like, early 3rd rounder is about where I'd value him, similar to Tez, but I would take Roman if I was on the clock.
Yeah, I think for me, I would rank those guys Lloyd, Walker, and Wilson simply due to the one stone cold major fact that in the 3rd round of rookie drafts, I'm swinging for ceiling, and to me, Lloyd and Walker's ceiling is higher than Wilson's.
Lloyd specifically too. I believe the Jacobs deal is only really a 2-year deal. They have outs. So
if he's a handcuff for 2 years and takes over in year 3, I actually don't think that's a terrible early 3rd round pick to make.
And are we really ruling out the fact that we saw A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones be able to coexist? And yeah, like it limits the ceiling for both those guys. But if Lloyd can take some 3rd down work, can take some of that space back type of work that Aaron Jones leaves behind, it's a good fit, man. So yeah, I would rank Lloyd 1, I would rank Roman Wilson 2, and I would rank Devontae Walker 3 of that group.
Yeah, that's true. This is an interesting comment here from Godzilla. He says, I hope we get Rice to Arizona so we can have an old school stack of Harrison and Rice.
I'm cool. Down for that.
Just NFL bloodlines on one team, and then they draft Frank Gore Jr. in round 7 or something.
They would take Brendan Rice to just get a better version of Michael Wilson.
Yeah. Wanted Pats to draft Baker. They did. So 12 team, I guess this he was talking about his earlier pick there.
Oh yeah, remember the deal? So he was talking about the Justin Jefferson deal. Remember?
Right. Okay. So he countered the 2026 first deal. So you're getting a 2025 first, I guess, instead in this situation. I mean, it's closer for sure. It's definitely a closer trade now.
If we're waiting, I
want Jefferson here.
Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers in a 2025 1 or Justin Jefferson in a start 10.
Well, so here's the other thing, too, is Drake May is probably very comfortably going to be there at 104 in most drafts.
If you can somehow negotiate this on the clock with the knowledge that Drake May is there at the 104, I would make this trade.
You would? So you would take Drake May?
I view Drake May as a top 15 type of startup pick, to be honest. And I think I got to raise him there, to be honest. He's the type of player where I just don't want to miss out on. I have my evaluation of him. He's going to be a stud. He's closer to Caleb than the rest of the quarterbacks. Like, I might have to even raise him in my startup rankings. I think right now he's about 18th overall, but the more I think about it, it's like, who do I feel more confident in? Drake May versus Anthony Richardson versus Kyler Murray? It's probably Drake May, man.
Oh, I have May over those guys. I actually had that before the draft even happened because Richardson is a risky asset. Obviously, the rushing upside is great, but May can run too. And Kyler Murray, I believe his ceiling is capped a little bit. Like even if Kyler Murray had a monster season this year, is Kyler Murray going any higher than the early 2nd round of startups? Probably not. Like maybe he snuck into the late 1st if he had a top 5 season this year with Harrison.
I didn't even realize I already made this adjustment. Drake May's my 14th overall ranked player. I didn't even realize I made that adjustment already.
Yeah, like I'm looking at my Superflex rankings and I have Drake May at 15. So yeah, I mean, the only guys I would take non-quarterback over Drake May are the top 4 receivers.
Yeah, agreed. The only difference that you would have is you'd have Trevor in that mix.
Trevor ahead of him. Yeah, that would be the difference. And Love too. I don't know if you have Love ahead of him.
I have Love 13th overall.
Yeah, so I have Trevor at 12, and I have Love at 14, and then I have May at 15, Richardson at 16, St. Brown at 17, Kyler at 18, and that's like a tier break for me, where then you get into some of the running backs and Garrett Wilson and those type of guys.
Brock, this is fair. Like, if you're a contending team, it's not like you're going to just say, hey, I'm going to trade Kyler straight up for Drake May. Like, if you already have Kyler and you're contending, you keep Kyler. But I do feel like if I'm in a startup right now, who's more likely to be next year's 106 in startups? It's going to be Drake May. So I would take the upside of May.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of
It's
impressed with what they've done. So for the Patriots, this is good building.
Hey, I do not want this to be misconstrued as Kyler hate. We love Kyler. We think he's a quarterback one in Dynasty, to be honest, like, or at least right on that fringe. But
I'm at 13, so not quite.
So regardless, so he's in that area. But like, if Drake May hits his ceiling, like, we're talking about where CJ Stroud is being valued.
Potentially higher because he can run.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I love Kyler Murray. Like, this is not Kyler Murray hate at all. This is more so Drake May love. I think Drake May is going to be a franchise quarterback, and I'm willing to draft him aggressively.
Yeah, I am as well. I think, when you contextualize just how many players are valued as, like, how many players from this rookie class are top 2-round startup picks? Like, you can make the argument that it's 5.
Eric Altake, by the way, decent athlete. Stretched the field at Michigan, obviously goes to Iowa. I believe he had a really injured year this year, if I'm not mistaken. Him and Cade McNamara obviously making that transfer. There's not much to say. I mean, like, he's a fine option. I wouldn't be worried about him from a fantasy perspective, but from a real life perspective, he's kind of like that seam destroyer tight end. Good athlete.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
looking at my startup rankings, and I'm seeing if there's 7 players from this rookie draft that crack my top 36. Who would you rather have in Dynasty? In a Dynasty? Okay, this is a hard question to answer because you need context of a team, and I'm pretty sure I know your answer to this. But would you rather have JJ McCarthy or Jaylen Waddle?
McCarthy.
Really?
Yes. I'm going to start up right now. I'm taking JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to be a 3rd-round pick.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just curious. Would you rather have JJ McCarthy or Sam Laporta?
JJ McCarthy.
I think I'd take Laporta there.
That's about the edge, though. Like, if you want the tight end, I'm not going to combat it. But the way I kind of see it is I'm making the decision of JJ over Brock Bowers in my rookie drafts. And although I would take Laporta, like, they're same tier for me, Brock Bowers and Laporta.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're taking McCarthy over Smith, Achane, Kyron, those type of running backs, as well as like the Nico Collins of the world and those type of wide receivers. And among quarterbacks, you're taking McCarthy over Tua and Dak?
Yeah.
What about Purdy?
Yes, I would.
I wouldn't take McCarthy over Purdy. That would be the separation for me. But I think Tua and Dak, I would take McCarthy over those guys. Yeah,
no, that's fair. I mentioned it with the stream with Mason, but like, JJ McCarthy right now has to be ranked as a top 30 overall asset in Dynasty. I think it's kind of where I keep coming back to.
Where do you have Jay Daniels in your startup rankings? Just out of curiosity.
He was listed at 26, but to be honest, that might even be low knowing the quarterback equity at hand. I'd probably have to race him over Drake London. He's in a tier though with like Neighbors is at 22, Gibbs at 23, Hall at 24, London at 25 for me right now, and I'd probably swap Daniels in London. Yeah,
so I have Daniels right now at 26, right behind like a cluster of receivers of like the Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nakuas.
That's the only difference for me.
And then also I have the running back equity of Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, and Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jaden Daniels is like right after those guys, but he also, I believe, is ahead of the likes of Drake London, Chris Olave, Brock Purdy, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Romo Dunze type of guys.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. It's really tough because obviously in that range, you're going to have to make tough decisions. But if I need a quarterback, man, like I already like JJ McCarthy coming in. Yes, you could argue that he wasn't on the same level of Drake and Caleb, and I would agree with you on that. But I thought as a prospect, he had the exact same grade for me and Jaden. Yes, you take Jaden because of the rushing capabilities, but I would also argue that Minnesota is a much better landing spot than Washington. So if JJ McCarthy is able to take that movement ability, that arm talent, that outer structure, that character that he has those weapons there with JJ, with Jordan Addison, with TJ Hawkinson, with a solid offensive line, man, like it's tough for me not to see him hitting at the next level. And again, a lot of people may just say, hey, I would take JJ in the 5th round of my startup. It's like, that's not applicable action, to be honest, because like I said, he's going to be a 3-4 turn pick. He probably is going to settle himself in the mid to late portion of 3rd round pick or 3rd round picks in the draft.
I think the nice thing about quarterbacks in startups, and we're, for full disclosure, we're doing another startup, right? In the next like week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, are we wanting to do another? Because we mentioned we're going to do one before the draft and we're going to do one after the draft. I would love if when I'm in Sicily next month, I'm doing a startup. Well,
I was going to ask you. Obviously, I mean, you mentioned when you booked the Buffalo. When is that room scheduled for Buffalo too?
Let me double check on that. I think it's June 26th, if I'm not mistaken. I'll take a look real quick.
I thought you said like May 26th. That's why I wasn't sure.
No, May 26th is when I go to Spain for 3
Oh,
days,
yeah.
and then we're going to Sicily for 12.
Yeah,
so
that's elite.
yeah, I'll be in Europe with like weird recording times at the end of May, early June, but thankfully there's not a whole lot going on in the NFL calendar at that time, which is why we booked it for then anyways. We're going to be hammering out rookie draft content for the next month leading up to that point. And then while I'm there too, like we can still, stream and pre-record stuff. It's just going to be a lot of it's going to be on Danny to edit pre-recorded stuff, but I'm going to try and do some stuff just live. Like if I do a solo video while I'm there, I'll just do it live so I don't have to edit it, if that makes any sense. Do it on the spot. I know Ron's big on that sometimes. He'll just like, instead of editing the video, he'll just do it live instead of pre-recording it. So is Kyren Williams' value just nuked? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's nuked. He definitely took a hit in his value, but honestly, like we talked about it with Mason yesterday, like how many running backs realistically did Kyren drop down from? Like if he was like, because if Kyren had made it through this draft scot-free, I think you could make the argument that Kyren is RB6 in Dynasty or something like that. Whereas today, now Devon Achane, I mean, again, are you taking Kyren Williams over Travis Etienne, over Saquon Barkley, over Rashad White, over Kenneth Walker, over Josh Jacobs, over the two rookies that we saw go yesterday, Benson and Brooks? Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I got to hear this question that Cooper.
Well, Danny's all frozen, so we'll let him figure his stuff out here. Forgot that, yeah, literally, KJ Osborne is completely irrelevant. Oh, your screen's all black now. There we go. All right, we'll refresh the page here. If the Raiders don't draft a running back in the 4th, Zamir White the guy? Yeah, you're probably right, man. I don't think the Raiders have a pick for the rest of the round, if I'm not mistaken. We're getting very close to Tampa Bay's pick, and TJ Tampa and Jaylen Wright are both on the board, and I would be ecstatic with either of them if either of them are the pick for us.
My PC just sharded itself, by the way, when I was mid-sentence, so that wasn't great. Like when I saw my keyboard turn off for like 2 seconds, I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Might have to restart it after we're done streaming.
The Dolphins just traded up to 120.
Did you hear the question, by the way, that Cooper DeJean was asked at his press conference?
No, I didn't hear that.
As you know, there hasn't been a lot of white starting cornerbacks in the NFL for quite some time. What do you think you could bring to the table?
Was he announced as a corner or a safety?
I think corner, but like I can see him playing safety, though, to be honest.
They're really getting international with these picks today.
Yeah. Like maybe they play him in the nickel.
Yeah, I could see.
Sidney Brown was playing that role.
The best way you can possibly use him, honestly. He's just a Swiss Army knife, and I'm still mad that we didn't trade up for him, especially knowing that we did target someone there.
The fucking Steelers are building their trenches, man. They are.
Mason McCormick this late in the draft, man. Oh, beauty.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick for them.
Who was the other guy they got? Fatanu, right?
Frazier and Fatanu.
Frazier too?
Yeah.
And they drafted Broderick last year?
They just built their trenches completely like the Cowboys.
Their whole offensive line's like 23 years old or younger.
Dude, that's fucking fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, their line did suck, so not a shock there. They got Arthur Smith. He's like, we're trying to run the ball. Get me some guards.
They also got who at receiver? They got Roman Wilson. So good offensive line, a wide receiver,
terrible receivers.
Like Russell Wilson has no excuses now, right? Russell to Roman. Wilson to Wilson connection, baby.
Yeah.
I have like one share of Russell Wilson in Dynasty, and it's as my third quarterback on TSD.
Yeah. Drake May and Bryce Young, two biggest winners of the draft so far. I would say today for sure. Bryce Young is definitely one of the biggest winners of the draft in general, though, for sure. I think they've done a good job of building around him. I'm actually like giddy about this Bo Nix situation for the Broncos. I'm quite excited about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm very curious to see, because I have some rookie drafts. I have one kicking off today, I think. Wouldn't be shocked if there's
Which one today?
Or no, sorry. Debbie League is tomorrow, not today.
Yeah, tomorrow.
But there is a ton of rookie drafts that people are going to want to start kicking them off early and soon. I saw Flett in the Too Lazy League said, anybody opposed to starting this thing tonight, everybody's going to get giddy and want to do it. So I wouldn't be shocked if in rookie drafts, Bo Nix does slide to like 201, 202, 203 in some spots, just because people didn't like Bo Nix, right? And I'm just I'm gonna snag a lot of Bo Nix, I think, in rookie drafts.
It's really exciting. By the way, how do I see who's available in the? I don't understand. Where is the available rookie picks? Oh,
here, I can tell you right now. This is how
you'd have to look on Sleeper, right? No, my bad.
Yeah, you have to look. Are you talking about in the Devy League?
Yeah. But it's listed on the Sleeper app. I didn't even realize.
So if you go to available players and then you sort by rookies, you can see Jaden Daniels, Romo Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Adonai Mitchell, Ladd McConkey. Dude, my 105 is looking real nice. I'm not going to lie. Because I'm guaranteed, let's say Daniels, Odunze, and Thomas are gone. I'm deciding between McConkey, Bo Nix, and Jonathan Brooks, realistically. Or Penix, potentially, if you're in on that. So, an AD Mitchell and Xavier Legette, and those guys are still even available.
By the way, so, like a quarterback now, obviously Nix and Penix are big winners. They're going to go higher in our rookie draft now. So they're names that like I wasn't going to consider at 109, but should be gone by my pick now. Jaden Daniels.
I mean, there's Polk and Pearsall and Legette that might be available for you.
Dude, it's the 109. I was thinking about it being an awful pick. It's actually been fucking sick because everybody's got nutted spots.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd be looking at like Roman Wilson there.
That's what I mean. Like even at running back, like Jonathan Brooks, who you're probably going to be taking at 105.
I'm probably going to end up picking Brooks, I think.
105. So. If that happens, I have Benson. I don't know which one I prefer. I might have to.
If you want to do a 1-for-1 swap, I might consider doing that.
That's what it would be. No, that's what it would be because we both view them like interchangeably.
But I tried like hell to trade that 105 in a package to get Jahmyr Gibbs and a package to get Breece Hall or whatever. And maybe Ron will be more inclined to do that with some QB equity potentially on the board there.
Hear me out, by the way, too. What we could do is we could wait till the tail end of our rookie draft, see how much Benson, see how much Brooks each of us have, and then make a decision there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taking Brooks at 105. I have 103. I'm taking Nix. BTJ is going to be the 104. Yeah,
you're going to take Nix at 103, eh?
Over BTJ, eh?
I mean, that makes my decision a little easier.
How is Jeremiah Smith not the 1-1
Gabe, this is the rookie draft, the depleted rookie pool draft. And then after we do that, we do the Devy draft. So Jeremiah Smith, yeah, absolutely will be. Oh, yeah, right. Breece Hall is already yours. I forgot you traded for Ron's.
You can get Gibbs.
I could get Gibbs, but that guy was like irrationally like high on Gibbs. I offered him Olave and the 105, and he said, I'm not really feeling that package. I'm like, I basically
Olave and Brooks for Gibbs.
Ladd McConkey and Olave, or Brooks and Olave for Gibbs, and he said no.
Yeah, he's insane for that. My quarterbacks are currently Burrow and Kirk Cousins. I need quarterbacks. If I had known that, I would have made you some offers. Holy Christ!
Yeah, do you want to come get Dak, Brock?
Knock-a-dock.
I should sell Danny. Every time I'm in a league with you, Danny, and I have Dak in it, I'm always like, I should just sell him to Danny. He'll give me more than he's worth.
He's worth a lot.
Well, he's actually, I mean, I'm in a competitive window, so Lawrence and Dak is a fine QB core that I have there.
With Gabe Davis, by the way. So in the Devy portion of it, I also have the 101. So I will be adding Jeremiah Smith, and I already have Carnell Tate in the wings as well. So as a Michigan fan, it kind of pains me to have two OSU Buckeyes, but I mean, both those guys are valued as, I mean, Jeremiah Smith 1-1 and Carnell Tate another first-round Devy startup pick.
For me, maybe I'm just a boomer, but like I find it hard to get excited about freshman receivers, man. Like when we did our Devy draft last year, I drafted only 2024 eligible prospects. Some of them went back to school, Shadur Sanders and Jackson Dart and Emeka Egbuka. But for me, I'm like, you know what? With a guy in college football, so much can happen. Like I'm not drafting like some 5-star recruit who was told to be the next elite receiver. Like I'm just going to draft a guy who already has 2 years on his production profile, who might actually be good.
Why?
Oh my goodness.
Why? Is he the Mostert replacement long term?
Dude, I wanted him for Tampa, man. Jaylen Wright was the selection to the Miami Dolphins. So, I mean, I guess let's talk about it here with Jaylen Wright. With Jaylen Wright here, we got University of Tennessee running back, 5'11", 210 pounds, 21 years old, really young player still. Both of us had him RB3 in the class. freakish athlete, ran a 4.38 at the combine, 95th percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score, great power runner too. I think he's really strong in the lower half. He had good footwork on third down. He was really productive on a per target basis. He had a 23.6% targets per route run rate, which was third in the class. Really high ceiling to me. I viewed him kind of like a Tony Pollard. You called him Travis Etienne light kind of. Production profile was a little spotty here and there, with the University of Tennessee's offense being really wide open too. That's something that people had a knock against him. Never a workhorse running back, has kind of a long frame and not really a refined player in terms of like patience and stuff like that. So for me with Jaylen Wright, I mean, he went to the perfect scheme, run open one cut runners with Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and now Jaylen Wright. So that's interesting. Achane take a hit here?
I was just going to ask you, would you rather have Kyren Williams or Devon Achane in Dynasty right now?
I would rather have Kyren Williams.
I would too.
This is dude. We're
rather have Blake Corum or Jaylen Wright
Benson to turn into RB6 in Dynasty right now, because we are starved for running backs with clean projections at this point in time. Because the cleanest projections, quote unquote, I'm literally using quotation marks right now, behind the top 5 Dynasty running backs, that's Bijan, Breece, Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, and McCaffrey. Those guys not included. The cleanest projections that we have might legitimately be Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, honestly.
It's,
like Rachaad White, Achane, Etienne, Kyren Williams, Kenneth Walker. All these guys are younger than those guys, but none of them are clean crystal projections. Rachaad White's surviving so far, so maybe he's going to end up being a high-end running back in Dynasty. Like, let me ask you this question. How close is Rachaad White to Devon Achane and Kyren Williams right now? If he makes it through let's say they add a 6th or a 7th round guy.
I'm probably going to have to raise him because I had him a little bit low, but
I can make the argument that he should be the 6th best running back in Dynasty if he makes it through the day.
So I viewed it for the longest time as a big 7 pretty much in Dynasty. I would say it's a big 5, and then 6 to like 14 are very interchangeable now. Because coming into the draft prior to Kyren, prior to Devon Achane, I would say that they were comfortably inside that top 7. Jonathan Taylor, obviously a little bit of a riser for me because I had him behind Kyren. That Blake Corum pick obviously is the tiebreaker now. I do feel like you have to view them in the slight tier below. And if that being said, Kyren, Achane, Barkley, Jacobs, Etienne, Brooks, Benson, White, Walker, like, tell me why Walker can't be the running back 8 in Dynasty, and tell me why he can't be the running back 14.
Yeah, well, I mean, the rookies are the interesting ones, right? Because the rookies could theoretically really climb. Like, if we come out here and Trey Benson, somebody actually asked in a super chat, so let's just transition to this question right now. Jimmy said, which running back am I drafting first given their situations? I'm assuming you mean between Brooks and Benson.
I slightly lean Brooks, but literally that's like a 51-49 lead. Like, they are fucking close. And if you saw my grade on them, for the record, I had a 1.0 higher grade than Benson. Tiebreaker, I kind of prefer the Carolina landing spot, the investments they made in that tier offensive line. I kind of prefer the projection of the top 50 capital versus the 66th overall. But like, point a gun to your head and play Russian roulette, because that's basically the choice that you're having to make there. They are both equivalent type of options in my opinion. But like I said, would probably at this point 51-49 lead Brooks.
This is why I lean Benson. So you made the Brooks argument. This is why I lean Benson. So I get it. Draft capital was better for Brooks.
Yeah.
I think the backfield competition is relatively equal between Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. I think they would keep Brooks off the field long enough, because he's coming off of an injury, that he could lose some dynasty value. So that's kind of why I'm slightly against Brooks over Benson. With Benson, James Conner's there, of course. James Conner's still a good running back, was quite good last year, actually. But James Conner's old. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. Benson, also, like James Conner, fits that offense perfectly. He's 100%. A hammer running back. When you have a small, undersized quarterback who's an elusive runner, running read option with a power back and a small, elusive quarterback like that can be very dangerous. That offense just added Marvin Harrison Jr. That offense has an elite quarterback already, unlike Bryce Young, who I think could be a good quarterback. I don't know if he's a good quarterback yet. Yeah, I know. They just took a punter. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
No, did you see the sketches announcing the Texans pick?
Is he?
Yeah, he's getting hyped.
Oh, that's hilarious. Anyways, for me, Benson is the better projection because he's not going to come off of an ACL tear. He can get on the field right away. Sure. And I think given Conner's injury history at his age, I think that we could very well see Benson be the lead back there by like week 5, week 6.
I will point back to, though, that James Conner, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I think James Conner at this point is a better running back than Sanders and Chuba Hubbard are. So, like, that could be the hurdle. But, man, like, it's pick your flavor between those guys. Both of them are very, very big time talents. Both of them landed in very ideal landing spots, in my opinion, Carolina and Arizona, where, I don't know, I slightly prefer Brooks, but, man, that is like that. That's like
it's close. Like, I mean, we're talking about two guys that in rookie drafts for me will rank as like anywhere between 112 and 205, but they will literally be back to back. And no matter, like, if you play in 5 dynasty leagues and you have the opportunity to draft these guys, equal out your exposure between them, because that's the way I feel about them. Eileen Benson, if you put a gun to my head and you said, I have to pick one, I'm in one dynasty league, I'm picking 201 and I need a running back or something like that, I would pick Benson, but it is really close.
By the way, another fantasy relevant player just went off the board here. They just recently re-signed Dalton Schultz to a 3-year contract and also have Brevin Jordan on the roster. But Cade Stover of the Ohio State Buckeyes does find his way onto the Houston Texans roster. And I wish we had a player card for him, but we don't. But all jokes aside, Cade Stover, it's kind of funny. You do have Dalton Schultz. If he's going to pay off in the next level, it would probably look the way Dalton Schultz did for the Cowboys. 4th-round pick coming in, committee tight end right away. But potentially by year 2, maybe he takes that starting role and ends up being, that reliable safety net for C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, ho-hum pick for me.
Not fantasy relevant, in my opinion.
Not fantasy relevant in the short term, but I do think Cade Stover's got some upside. I think he tested pretty well, right? He had pretty good RAS score and stuff.
Yeah, no, he was pretty decent. 4.65 speed at 247. It's not bad. Very similar testing, by the way, to like a Jake Ferguson, Dalton Schultz, and I can say that with confidence because both those guys were 4th-round picks of the Cowboys and actually ended up working out. So who knows?
Yeah.
Love the channel. Appreciate the super chat, by the way, Eric. He says, love the channel and would love your take. We have a slow rookie draft ongoing right now. I'm sitting at the 110. I'm being offered a 2024 third and a 2025 third to move back to the 111. Lad at the 110 or BTJ at the 111. Thanks. I prefer BTJ to Lad. So if you can get extra on top, move down 1 pick and take Brian Thomas Jr., I'm smashing that every single time.
Yeah, my question would be, is Xavier Worthy gone? Obviously, we're going to disagree on
I'm
that.
assuming so.
I would say he's probably not. If it's 110 and 111 and Worthy's not even in his vicinity, I would say Worthy probably went already.
But if Brian Thomas Jr. is available, then I'm assuming Worthy probably went above him.
That's why I think Worthy probably went, because Thomas is available. Because like you're talking McCarthy and Nix probably went already.
No, I was saying like Worthy probably went before Thomas, hence why
Worthy is gone.
Available. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm all messed up. Never mind. I'm all messed up. Okay. So for me, yes, take the extra bonus and go with Brian Thomas Jr. at 111. Is that going to be a consensus take that McConkey's going ahead of Brian?
I doubt it, bro. Brian Thomas, like I feel like in most leagues is going to be gone by the 109, 110.
Yeah, on Keep Trade Cut right now, they have Brian Thomas Jr. at 109 and McConkey at 112. So I think that generally speaking, most leagues will prefer Thomas Jr. But I can understand why some people would prefer McConkey. Like there was a large point of the offseason where I thought McConkey was the better prospect. And you also go to the Chargers where you have probably more targets available in the immediate short term. But Thomas was a 1st-round pick and also tethered to a good quarterback himself too. So yeah, both of those guys I would feel pretty comfortable with, but if you can get a bonus and trade down for whoever else, I would be fine just doing it.
Yeah.
His trade partner apparently has told him he's going to take McConkey at 110. That's why he's trading up.
Fair. No, I love Lab.
You know for sure that you're getting Thomas. And that makes it even easier of a trade to make.
For the record, I have Brian Thomas as my 8th overall player, Lad McConkey as my 11th. So I would prefer Brian Thomas if you can do that and you get an extra plus.
Yeah.
And I love Lad
people
McConkey.
Are saying like no one Thomas. Loves speed like the Dolphins. Hot take, this isn't horrible for Achane. Again, so if anybody was thinking Achane was going to become a workhorse, they were probably projecting him incorrectly to begin with. But any backfield competition added who can play, who actually has the size to be a workhorse in Jaylen Wright's case, is bad for him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to totally kill the guy, but does Achane move down below? I'm going to move Saquon Barkley ahead of him, to be honest. I think I would prefer Saquon Barkley to Achane in Dynasty.
Where do you think Achane goes in terms of best ball drafts? He's a 2nd-round pick currently. I don't think he falls.
I think he'll slide a round down, probably a 3rd round, mid-3rd round, late 3rd round.
I don't think a 4th-round running back will have that much of an impact. Now, obviously, for us, contextually, Jaylen Wright is better than your typical.
He was a 2nd-round
back.
Player.
I agree.
Opinion.
No, I agree. Like he was a top 75 type of player for me, but is the market going to weigh him down too heavily? Those that aren't as high on Jaylen Wright, I don't know. Like, because like if he's like a mid to late third rounder, I'm still going to get a lot of shares of HN in best ball. But if he remains as like a back end second, I would just go with a wide receiver at that point, or I'd go with a Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley in best ball.
Yeah, it's challenging, man. I think that the running back position is one that in Dynasty you do need to factor in the immediate 1 to 2 year projection, and you can't tell me that Saquon Barkley's is not better than Devon Achans.
I would agree with Barkley, but with Jacobs now adding Marshawn Lloyd, maybe tethering, maybe
I didn't say
maybe
Jacobs. I said Barkley.
Oh, fair. Because I kind of viewed for the longest time pre-draft Jacobs.
Yeah,
and Barkley.
Well, I had Barkley at 9 and Jacobs at 12 before this, so I actually viewed them as a little bit of a tier gap to begin with. Because even though Barkley and Jacobs, I think Barkley's actually a year older than Jacobs. Jacobs has way more touches under his belt.
Jacobs, I'm still taking Jacobs over Walker. Jacobs or White.
If Rachaad White survives this 4th round pick right now, I would say that there's a very fair argument to say Rachaad White is RB6 in Dynasty, legitimately.
You're taking the 2 rookies, obviously, right?
Over who?
Brooks and Benson over Jacobs now?
No,
can't?
Probably not. Dude, running back is like a 2 to 3 year projection window, and Jacobs projects as an RB1 for the next 2 to 3 years.
I mean, they just got Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round. Is kind of why I'm bringing that up. But I have Brooks.
But Marshawn Lloyd is not ready to play right yet.
I mean, what if he goes out?
Brooks and Benson and Brooks would be. It's very close between those guys. Honestly, I think I'm going to sneak Benson and Brooks into this tier now. Like I think he's into this tier with these guys
easily for me.
Because like they're slightly ahead of like sneaky winners from today, from the past couple days so far. Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, and Javonte Williams haven't had anybody added to their backfields, which is good news for them. Same with Ramondre Stevenson as well.
Bucky Irving. The Bucks, Bucky Irving. I mean, speaking of Rachaad White making it out of day 3, they just had a running back with the next pick.
Kind of hurts them.
Why add the 5'9", 192-pounder when you already have a space back?
I would have preferred Ray Davis, to be honest.
Well, fuck, even at that point, give me Braylon Allen to the Bucks.
Yeah. I guess they view Rachaad White as an early down guy. I like the burst. I don't hate the pick because I think he's a good fit, and I can't watch Chase Edmonds anymore, so I don't mind that. But it's kind of ho-hum to me.
Well, the reaction now, Jacobs or Rachaad White?
Rachaad White.
He's not RB6 anymore for you.
No, he was RB10 for me before. I'd say he probably doesn't move now. He stays there.
Yeah, he's like RB13 for me because
this is an impossible tier to work through at running back.
That's what I mean. Like, dude,
this tier for me. It goes like 7 running backs deep: ETN, Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, Devon Achane, Rachaad White, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks.
I moved Barkley over ETN and Kyron and HN.
Yeah, Barkley at RB6 in Dynasty. Then
I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's a terrible take.
It's the start of the tier. The top 5 is clear. The top 5 is clear at this point.
I think this needs to be broken up into another tier as well.
I don't view it like that, though. Maybe
no. So, okay, this is what I mean. ETN, Kyron, Saquon, Rachaad White, and Achane, to me, are a slight tier ahead. Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, and the 2 rookies.
I would take the 2 rookies over Jacobs and White. I would. Right now?
Really, eh?
I would, yeah.
Okay, so you think White is down. So do those guys, are they significantly ahead of Pacheco and James Cook?
I would say there's a slight tier there. I would say there's a slight tier because Walker's at 14. I would slightly prefer Pacheco or them to Pacheco, Cook. Wright's got a drop. He's my RB 17. Where does White go? Jaylen Wright or Tajay Spears?
Jaylen Wright or Tajay Spears? I would take Tajay Spears. I buried Wright, dude.
Jaylen Wright or DeAndre Swift? You're taking Jaylen Wright?
I'm taking Swift.
I would too. Jaylen Wright or Ramondre Stevenson?
Stevenson, not even close.
White or Chubb?
That's more interesting.
I would take Wright.
I would as well. I think,
But,
but you're
like,
talking about
but
Wright
the
intermingled with the likes of the Zach Charbonnets of the world and the Chase
Aaron
Browns of the world. I think that's where he
Oh,
belongs.
I have Chase Brown a lot lower than that.
Oh, I have Chase Brown up there.
I love Chase
Sneaky
Brown, but
winner of today, by the way. Chase
like,
Brown and Zach Moss.
that's a good I'm gonna have to raise him back, but like I had him lower, expecting that
Like,
they
is
could
Zach
use
Moss
capital in the
scaring you
back.
to the point that Chase Brown can't be a top 30 or 25 dynasty running back? I legit think that he has a chance of taking over that backfield.
Where's he gonna go in redraft? It's gonna be like a 12th round pick.
Oh, I'm going to literally draft him everywhere. He's going to be like an 11th or a 12th round pick.
I just think it's gonna be a 50-50 committee with him and Moss. And I like Chase Brown a lot.
That's
It's just
still worth a 11th, 12th round pick. A 50-50
Probably,
committee on the Bengals offense.
but at
Chase
that
Brown
point,
was
just
unbelievable last
but-
year, man. On a per
but
touch
at-
basis, he was great.
I agree, but at that point, just give me the workhorse of like an Aaron Jones, of like a Derrick Henry.
Well, I have
or-
Aaron Jones ahead of him.
Okay, so you're talking about more so Chase Brown's like a 30 to 35 back
see,
then, not a top.
As
30.
we talked about in our running back rankings, it's impossible to sort through these guys because you have the aging veteran guys, top of this tier being like a Derrick Henry type, bottom of this tier being like an Alvin Kamara or a Joe Mixon or whatever. But then you also have these young guys. It's like, what do you do with Charbonnet and Chase Brown and Jaylen Warren and those guys? Like, they're good players and they're probably valued the same. So that's the way you have to look at it. It's like they're all valued as like mid to late second rounders. It's just you get there in completely different ways.
For sure. By the way, I need the Cowboys to trade back up for Audric, Estime, or one of these wide receivers here, please.
Like, why didn't we take Estime, dude? What was that?
Yeah, it was.
Why did we
it
take
was-
Bucky
the focus
Irving
on the
instead of
glove.
Estime?
What does Bucky Irving do for you? Is that dart toss?
He removes Chase Edmonds from my life, which I'm okay with.
Super chat at 103. MHA and neighbors might go ahead in my league, but I've got Hurts, Lamar already. Do I trade out or just take Caleb? If your league views Caleb as the 103, you take Caleb and you trade one of Hurts or Lamar.
Yeah.
Like, Caleb should not be the 103 in any draft. I
Let me
could
ask
make the
you
case
this.
he's closer to the 103 in a startup than he is the 103 in a rookie draft.
Would you rather have Jaylen Wright or Joe Mixon?
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, I don't like the guy, but it's volume. If you're competing right now and you're holding a running back, you may as well get the guy that can get you some fucking production.
Do you hear Derrick Henry a tier ahead of Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, and Aaron Jones?
Wait, real talk. Evan said a UBC offensive lineman just got drafted. Yo, let's go. Where do you go?
Who's UBC?
British Columbia.
Oh, nice.
Like CIS. Hey, U Sports. Big Canadian energy. By the way, Evan, I was saying how Theo played in Windsor back in the day too.
Did he play with them as well?
Fun fact. He started playing in high school. Evan did. He started playing quarterback, but he probably knows Theo though. Probably knows Theo. Let me see. Yeah, UBC. Where are we?
Okay, let's talk about Bucky Irving actually, because we haven't even talked about him yet in terms of his like player card and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, where's my Bucky Irving player card here?
Did he just go now?
Bucky?
Yeah, Bucky just went. Sorry, my bad. Mixon will be a top 12 running back. Oh, I will fight on that take. He is
in redraft. I don't think that's an outrageous stance.
I can't see it, bro. I can't.
There's better projections, but finishing top 12, I don't think that's an outrageous take.
Objectively worse offensive line. I feel like I
know
don't
they're both the
Joe
same
Mixon
to me.
at
I
all.
don't think the Texans and Bengals had that different of lines.
I would take the Bengals line very easily, especially
I
from
don't
a
think
run
so.
blocking standpoint.
What's up?
Dude, they were one of the worst run blocking lines in the league, and I guess maybe you can say that they were a little bit banged up, but they were one of the worst run blocking lines in the league.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, you put Mixon in Singletary's role from last year. Like I'm pretty sure he's gonna cook. Like from a fantasy projection standpoint, he's probably gonna average 3.7 yards a carry and like fall ass backwards into 12 touchdowns. But if he finished RB11 this year, I wouldn't be shocked one bit.
So you would take Joe Mixon over Nick Chubb in Dynasty?
Yeah, I would.
It's fair. What about Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, I have him over Kamara as well.
And you would take right after Chubb and Kamara or before Chubb and Kamara?
Who? Right after who?
Jaylen Wright.
Yeah, I have right after them.
After them. So he's probably what, like your RB 26, 27?
31.
Wow.
I have Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Jaylen Warren all ahead of where I have Jaylen Wright.
Chase Brown, I'm going to move up for sure then.
Giovanni Manu is the guy that he's talking about. He just got selected by the Detroit Lions.
Let's go. 6'8", 352. What a fucking horse.
Yeah, that is a large human. Okay,
That is
let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4th round running back that they
What's
just
the edge?
selected, Bucky Irving, University of Oregon running back, 5'9", 192 pounds. As a Bucs fan, I'm kind of ho-hum about this pick. Shifty running back, receiving threat, good balance, great production. I wrote in his strengths that he had 4.3, 4.4 speed on tape, but he didn't test that fast. So I'm not really sure what Bucky Irving took the night of the morning of the combine. Maybe he weighed in at 192 and he actually played in the 180s, and that's why he ran slower. I'm not exactly sure, but for me, he's an undersized running back. I think his stop-start ability was a little questionable for a guy of his size. His physicality and strength was completely lacking. He couldn't break tackles unless it was in wide open space against defensive backs. Pass protection was an issue, a big one,
Fantasy
to be
relevant,
honest, especially when you consider the 3rd round running back. Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Capped ceiling as well, in my opinion, with Bucky Irving. So for me, change of pace running back, kind of a worse version of Tajay Spears, a worse athlete. Devin Singletary is what the one that you wrote down. DJ also had the same comparison there. So Bucky Irving, an interesting player. I think he's going to contribute on 3rd down for the Bucs. In dynasty rookie drafts, am I interested? Not a whole lot. I would say like in the 4th round, if he's there, I would take him, but there's probably better projections coming up here.
And speaking of fancy relevant, you can blast a player card, but it's so ironic that this guy that I had him comp to was literally a 4th or 5th round pick of the Eagles just a few years ago. He ends up getting drafted to the Eagles in the 4th round, but Will Shipley is the pick. I had him compared to Kenny Gainwell, playing that space back type of role, which if Saquon Barkley is your workhorse back, I'm assuming Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley are probably going to be fighting for those opportunities. So it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, also these picks are flying off the board here. The Bills are about to announce their selection. I would say if I was Buffalo, I'd be going after another wideout here.
Ray Davis. Tone setting, baby. I love that fit.
That's a good fit. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Shipley first, and we'll talk about Ray Davis here. Some of these running backs are that whole tier is dropping like flies here now in terms of backfield competition. Yeah, Saquon Barkley, maybe this hurts his receiving upside a little bit, because if there's one thing Will Shipley can bring to the table, it is catch the football. He's an explosive guy. He's got breakaway speed. Perfect change of pace running back. If anybody's thinking he's going to take Saquon's job, get the fuck out of town, man. Like he's an undersized guy, 5'11", like 205 pounds. He's not good in pass protection. Saquon should maintain those snaps as well. And he's not good between the tackles. So what they're going to use him for is probably on special teams to start, and also a 3rd down guy. My comp for him is like Sean Tucker, but maybe a bit better of a receiver than Sean Tucker was coming out of school. So that's kind of what we're talking about here with Will Shipley. Interesting player. Again, him and Bucky Irving. Am I interested in rookie drafts in the 3rd, 4th round as depth? Maybe in dynasty best ball leagues, they become more interesting. Sure. But I'm not hammering these guys in rookie drafts thinking that they're going to have some elite RB1 upside.
By the way, I mean, we can get into the next guy that I actually do think has some upside, specifically when it comes to best ball. But we saw last year the Bills were trying to get a hammer running back to pair next to James Cook. James Cook, their space back. James Cook, the one they want to feed in the receiving game. They signed Leonard Fournette. They gave Latavius Murray some run at points last year. You got your guy to play that role with Ray Davis. Ray Davis is a physical monster between the tackles, compact build, professional runner, can take some of that goal line work. I had him comp to a guy like Mark Ingram, and to be honest, I can see him being that Bills Mark Ingram where you have, I'm not going to compare James Cook to Alvin Kamara, but that space back, and you have Ingram to be able to take the inside the 10, inside the 5 touches potentially. So, I mean, we could talk about it right in the frame of how this affects James Cook. I think it hurts his touchdown upside, but I do think between the tackles, he's still going to be the receiving guy.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a super touchdown guy anyway. Yeah. Like, I mean, they used Josh Allen in that role. I like the quick feet that Ray Davis has too for a bigger back. I think he does have good elusiveness and good, make you miss in a phone booth type of ability. I mean, I always talk about these BBBWs, these big backs with wiggle. That's what I like in my running backs here. So Ray Davis, I'm sure a guy that I'm really surprised the Bucs didn't take, honestly, because they took a running back and Liam Cohen coached this guy at the University of Kentucky. So I'm really shocked he was not the selection that we made at 121.
Especially from a fit standpoint, you guys needed that more physical between the tackles runner that Ray Davis.
I guess they view Rachaad White as an early down workhorse.
I'll see how that works.
He's gotten better. I will admit he has gotten better on early downs this past year than he was his rookie year.
His literally whole calling card as a prospect was his receiving ability. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, well,
Transitioning him
honestly,
now.
if we're talking about a guy that was going to get added to the Bucks backfield that actually had more of an impact on Rachaad White's fantasy value, I think Ray Davis probably would have hurt him more than
Oh yeah,
Bucky Irving did.
for sure. Bucky Irving, you can make the case as just the backup running back. Like you can say
He's the backup running back.
change of-
Maybe in the 2-minute drill work, he'll win a role
Yeah.
by the end of the season. But to be honest, he's horrid in pass protection, man. Like I don't think that Rachaad White's even going to lose that work. I think they're just going to use him occasionally, like on early downs when they want to go 5 wide or whatever. That's when Bucky Irving's going to be out there.
Yeah, like it's very similar to Devin Singletary. Obviously, my call for him, so it'll be interesting. But do you think the Niners take a fantasy relevant guy here?
The Niners, no.
Dude, if they take like Audric Estime, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, that's going to be annoying. I think one thing we should have been prepared for is all these running backs going to places where they're going to be handcuffs and backups because they were going to go day 3. Like none of them were just going to walk into starting roles.
Mm-hmm.
What else are we talking about in the chat here? Mixon would literally need to fall into the end zone 1 to 2 times a game. Oh, here's the thing, Jay Full. He might.
Yeah, he might.
He might legitimately. Like I want to be against Joe Mixon for the 6th straight year, but honest to God, man, like he might legit be horrible on the ground, so inefficient, 3.6 yards per carry, and still finish RB11 in points per game because he caught 45 passes and scored 12 touchdowns.
The way this works out is like what you saw from 2021, 2022 Ezekiel Elliott, to be honest. High-powered offense falls backwards into the end zone a couple times.
Yeah.
Whoever's left for Dallas leapfrogging these guys no matter what. I mean, if I was Dallas, I would have already offered a future pick to try to get one in the 4th round, knowing the receivers and the running backs available. But like, if they somehow just get
going to be a workhorse this year, or like what? Are they just going to re-sign Zeke and give him his old role back?
I would throw up.
Well, like, what is Rico Dowdle getting a workhorse role? Like, what are we doing?
Dowdle today is better than
my Deuce Vaughn bags alive?
Hey, he just got a starting center back from Kansas State there with Cooper Beebe.
Huge. I'm kind of stoked on Jaylen Wright. Mostert's 32, and Achane might not have the size to hold up. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking Jaylen Wright, but to me, I look at the running back position. I'm like, would I rather have Jaylen Wright? Okay.
I literally said, what if they take a running back and they fucking go and do it?
Why wouldn't you?
Fuck, man.
I know we hate it from a fantasy perspective, but like Christian McCaffrey's old, man. Like I would have taken a running back if I was them also.
He's just the Elijah Mitchell replacement, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so Isaac Guerrero was just selected by the San Francisco 49ers. I believe I literally wrote in here somewhere that maybe I didn't write it here. I wrote it in his write-up that he needed to go to a Kyle Shanahan scheme because all he's good at is one cut and go, use his speed. So good that he went to Kyle Shanahan's offense. Obviously, workhorse size, 100th percentile speed score, one of the best that we've ever seen. 4.33 40-yard dash time, 9.98 RAS. He's an elite athlete. He's got good contact balance. He's a big back. He's got fresh legs because he wasn't really asked to carry a whole lot of work in college. He played at Wisconsin with Braylon Allen for a couple of years. Then he transfers over to the University of Louisville. Still not a workhorse guy, playing with Jawar Jordan there. But the production's not great. He has choppy feet at times. Pass pro technique, not great. Bounces, runs a lot, and he's a little bit older. But Isaac Guerrero, big physical running back with good size and good speed, playing in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I mean, if we get any time missed here from Christian McCaffrey, this could be the new CMC handcuff that we're looking at here.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted him to fall to the Cowboys. I'm not going to lie. That's why I had that reaction. On top of that, I think he could be a starting running back in the NFL. Yeah, sure. Day one, maybe that's why, he falls to the 4th round here. You don't expect that type of player to be a starter, but I mean, like you said, he is a priority handcuff for CMC at this point, and there is a lot of value in that, especially given the running style that he has. Physical back with that 4.33 speed. If he ends up being the 49ers version of Isaiah Pacheco, you're not going to be frowning upon it, but I wanted him on the Cowboys. Maybe it's just bias in me, but anytime a running back gets picked, I'm getting scared even more that none's going to fall back.
So let me ask you this. Let's rank these 4th round backs that went in a rookie draft. Let's say these are all 3rd round picks. Who are we drafting here? Kansas City's on the board here. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, whatever. Jared Wiley kind of stinks.
Like, who cared? Who cares?
Anyways, these 4th round running backs here, we got a ton of them that just came off the board, obviously. So which one gets you excited? We have Jaylen Wright going to the Dolphins. Obviously, that was an interesting one. We have Isaac Guerendo now to the 49ers. We have Ray Davis now to the Buffalo Bills. We have Bucky Irving to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have Will Shipley to the Philadelphia Eagles. Does anybody stand out there as like, yeah, I want that guy on my team. I want him on my dynasty roster.
Wright, Guerendo, Davis, Irving, Shipley.
Yeah, I think I'm probably on the same page with how I rank those guys.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Davis to Guerendo. I had them ranked very similar pre-draft in terms of like their ability. They're both older guys. I think Ray Davis has a role standalone in addition to the handcuff value that you have towards James Cook. Whereas if Christian's healthy, like Guerendo's not seeing the field.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a 4th round running back. I'm not going to say maybe it's a hedge on McCaffrey, but yeah, it's a 4th round running back.
I look at Ray Davis as potentially having a role
the difference though
of a James Cook injury. You know what I mean? Like he could actually play on early downs.
Fair. If James Cook missed time, does Ray Davis have fantasy league winning upside? I would say probably as an RB2.
I think so. I think he can carry a full workload, man. He's a good receiver too.
I think it's an RB2 payoff, but I think Guerendo has a higher ceiling if McCaffrey.
Well, think of Devin Singletary. What Devin Singletary represented for the Buffalo Bills for a number of years. Nobody wanted to draft Devin Singletary, but he had like RB2 projection every single week when we were doing weekly rankings on him.
They're the clear 2-3 in my opinion, because I do feel like Shipley and Bucky I would like much rather not have than them.
So can we talk about the fact that all of the most obvious landing spots for running backs, none of which have taken any?
Yeah,
Dallas,
like Cowboys.
Giants,
Cowboys
Raiders,
might trade up for one, eh?
Raiders
I wouldn't be
too. Like nobody taking running backs. I guess they just love them some Devin Singletary in New York. They love them some Zamir White and Alexander Madison in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still guys here. We still have Estime available. I have a feeling Estime could go undrafted because of that 40-yard time, though, to be honest.
I hope he's a Cowboy, man. I pray he's a Cowboy. I want him so bad.
Yeah, Estime would be a nice fit for you guys in round 5.
You just drafted 2 offensive linemen with good run blocking type of correction. 2 good run blocking offensive linemen with Guyton on round 1 and with Cooper Beebe as your center. Why not get the between the tackles absolute bulldog there with Estime and really add a punch to this offense? Because I mean, the Cowboys, if you've seen the theme of their draft, adding linemen on both sides, adding a linebacker, they want to get more physical in the trenches. Estime is the running back to get you more physical in the trenches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I could definitely see that with Estime. Is there any other good backs available here? Isaiah Davis, obviously small school guy. Kamani Vidal, school guy. Tyrone Tracy, yeah, Purdue running back there. So there's going to be more guys I think that go in this round or in round 5.
Inject Tyrone Tracy into the Chargers for me. That is the fit I want.
Really?
Give me Tyrone Tracy to the Chargers. Hey, to be fair, Jim Harbaugh has coached against Tyrone Tracy this past year, and Tyrone Tracy had a fucking great game against Michigan.
Yeah,
that would be a fun one.
Give me Isaiah Davis to the Broncos.
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting round 5 option,
bro.
Let's get a running back to the Vikings or the Raiders or the Giants. Also, like I'd like any of these guys to go to those teams.
There's still so many fun running backs left, man.
I think Kamani Vidal to Minnesota would be one that I would be interested in.
I would never say skyrocketing and DK in the same breath. DK.
Metcalf?
What about Metcalf?
What is that, DK?
Oh, JK maybe he meant to say. Yeah, because he said J.K. Dobbins is skyrocketing right now, and Henry's like, I would never put skyrocketing with J.K. in the same breath.
Hey, I'm a J.K. apologist right here. We always stand.
We may have to make a bet if they don't add a running back on Gus Edwards versus J.K. Dobbins fantasy points this year. We may have to make that bet.
Dobbins.
I'll take Gus.
I mean, obviously he's the easier projection, but I'm a J.K. Dobbins is elite advocate.
Hey, it's so similar to his Michigan backfield. You have the explosive space back with Donovan Edwards. You have the between the tackles tone center with Blake Corum. That's like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins for you.
It is, except JK actually has juice, unlike Donovan Edwards. JK has more juice off a torn Achilles and ACL than Donovan Edwards has healthy.
Completely disagree. The guy who had 2 huge touchdown runs in the national championship doesn't have juice. All right.
JK ran like 4.31 at the combine, dude. He's a beast.
Hey, and then he tore his Achilles and his ACL, man. Does he still have that juice?
Modern science, my friend.
I said the same thing.
I traded Javonte Williams in 112 for Jaylen Warren in 106. Did I screw up since Javonte seems safe now? No, you did not, dude. 106, you're going to get like Odunze or maybe even Drake May there.
Yeah, no, you stole that, bro.
I mean, 16-team super flex. If one of the, I would be okay with taking McCarthy at 106.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's insane. Lions are about to pick here. Are they going to take another running back? I'm kidding. They need
Audric Estime. What if this is Estime going to play with David Montgomery?
I would cry. Give him
I'm literally making that by a formal guess right now.
Sione Vaki, he played running back a little bit at Utah, to be fair.
True.
Hear me out,
Braylon Allen also is still on the board, too. I actually forgot about him completely.
Vaki, when he got carries at Utah, was actually a pretty damn good running back. Like,
this is an interesting take by Flett here. They turned the Lad McConkey pick into Polk and Baker.
I love that.
I mean, I still would have just taken McConkey if I was New England, but I guess it's nice knowing that you got Polk and Baker out of it.
He just comped Sione Vaki to no-name Travis Hunter because he plays both ways.
Yeah.
For the record, bro, you know what Vaki's rushing stats were when he got the ball this year? He had 42 carries for 317 yards and 2 touchdowns and 11 catches for 203 yards and 3 touchdowns.
This will be a running back to Kansas City, by the way.
Space guy? Safety. But real talk,
you're about
with Vaki,
5 seconds ahead of me, just FYI.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were ahead of me. My bad. You've been ahead of me for so long. I just assumed you were ahead of me. My bad.
Yeah, no. I mean, Braylon Allen to Dallas would be interesting. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, at this point, I would take it.
You know why it would be interesting? Because the fantasy community would jizz their pants and take him in like round 2 of rookie drafts.
But Bush, going back to Vaki, he had 53 touches for basically 520 yards and 5 touchdowns as a running back this year. He averaged like 10 yards per touch as a running back.
Who?
Sione Vaki.
Also, they announced him as a running back.
They announced him as a running back?
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Ian Rappaport just quoted it. Picked as a running back, not a safety. Interesting.
Dude, he was genuinely awesome as a running back. Like, I'm not going to lie, bro. He averaged like 10 yards per touch.
Yeah, that's pretty insane, man.
Yeah.
Have 101, 103, 109, 110, 111. Taking Caleb, have Levis, and no wide receivers. Do I just take Neighbors at 3 since I can get one like Knicks later? Yeah, I'd be okay doing that. At 101, like bypass Drake May and take Malik Neighbors at 103, knowing that maybe 109 might even get you McCarthy, but I'd say McCarthy will probably be gone and you just take Knicks with one of those 3 picks.
Well, Levis is a good enough quarterback 3 option. And yeah, like, would you want a more solidified quarterback 2 between Knicks and Levis? Sure, but I'm just not forcing the pick. Like, yeah.
Yeah, wait, I think walking away with sake.
Did Zeke sign?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Zeke actually signed or no?
The Jets just drafted Braylon Allen. Ew.
Thank God.
Also,
he's also to be fair, Henry, he's also significantly worse at this point than Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Paul Patterson tweeted out Tez Walker and Rashad Bateman running wind sprints to clear out for Mark Andrews. Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry is all we wanted from fantasy drafts.
Yeah, facts.
So true.
Dude, that actually is interesting that Sione Vaki got announced as a running back, man.
It is.
Sione Vaki, the running back, got drafted before Audric Estime.
He did. Doesn't make any sense to me. I think they actually want to use him on both sides of the ball, if I'm being honest. I think they actually kind of want to get him no-name Travis Hunter out here.
By the way, of course, they're comping Braylon Allen to A.J. Dillon, and then Braylon Allen tweets at A.J. Dillon, when's that squat off?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
how about we learn to run with some tempo here, Braylon, before we talk about that?
eh,
So Braylon Allen, New Jets running back, 6'1", 235 pounds, very young player, plays behind Breece Hall. He's presumably the handcuff there. Although, I mean, it's kind of funny because Israel Abanikanda was also this young, raw running back that they drafted last offseason in the day 3 area. So for those two guys to be battling out for RB2, it's nice, I guess, from a real life standpoint. I know it annoys us for fantasy, but having a lot of depth in your running back core with when Breece Hall is such an integral part of your offense, you get Israel Abanikanda and Braylon Allen as depth there. It makes sense. But with Braylon Allen, AJ Dillon's the comp for us. Size, production, youth, decent patience, good at executing ball carrier moves, stiff arms, and that kind of stuff. The thing that I don't like about Braylon Allen, he does not run with as much power as he should for his size, man. If he's squatting that many pounds, he should be breaking tackles more consistently. He has slow feet. He doesn't have the ability to make people miss, even though he thinks that he's super nimble on his feet. He is for his size, but it's not nimble enough to beat NFL athletes, in my opinion. His route tree, his receiving ability is very limited, in my opinion. And his long speed, I think there's a reason he didn't run at the combine, is because I think he would have potentially ran in the 4.6s.
Hey, to quote the movie Draft Day, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, another fantasy relevant,
dude. Are
they trading Ayuk or Debo? They just took 2 receivers, one in the first round.
Also, I'm gonna need Jalen Coker to get drafted here soon because that's my dude.
Cowboy.
All right, so Jacob Cowing, now selected by the San Francisco 49ers, 5'8", 168 pounds, really shifty, very productive, excellent production, in fact. Short route runner, versatility, speed, acceleration. He's one of these prototypical, like, Wan'Dale Robinson, Rondale Moore type of guys, undersized, 23 years old, not good in contested situations, definitely a slot receiver and a slot receiver only. Physicality is definitely something that's not a good thing for him. I would say my guess is that they're going to keep Ayuk and Debo this year. Ricky Pearsall was a futures pick, but he'll get on the field this year. Jacob Cowing will probably be a special teamer his rookie season, most likely, 4th receiver, that kind of thing. And then maybe, let's say Debo is the one that gets traded next year because they want to pay Ayuk. Pearsall becomes your versatile guy. Cowing becomes your versatile 3rd receiver, your slot receiver, and Ayuk is your number 1. That, to me, would make a lot of sense. Or if they keep Debo, then one of these guys has to develop into a stud outside receiver for you. And to me, that's more unlikely, which is why I think they should just pay Ayuk and trade Debo next year when they can.
Yeah.
But interesting. And Braylon Allen is nothing like Jonathan Taylor. I know Brock is being facetious here, but Jonathan Taylor and Braylon Allen, the only comparison for them is that they're 235 pounds and played for the University of Wisconsin. That is literally it.
Dude, I think if you chopped off Jonathan Taylor's left leg, he would move better than Braylon Allen.
Yeah, legitimately.
I wish I could go back and tell these guys what idiots they were, but they won't even remember. Oh yeah, remember last year you said in the chat, like, people from like Sirius XM or whatever, XM experts said to get rid of Hall for whatever, and they suggested to trade Breece Hall for Chris Godwin.
Oh, I remember one of the idiotic things that they said was that Dalvin Cook was like a 5th round fantasy pick and they wouldn't even draft Breece Hall or something.
That's what he's referencing.
Like, what, dude, how are those people on the radio talking about? Sirius XM is like, I learned pretty quickly when I was like looking for good fantasy content to watch before we started making fantasy content. I was like, these guys are kind of casuals, man.
Yeah. I feel you. That's a fucking insane take, by the way. Like, I can't believe that.
Trade him for Chris Godwin in a 1st.
Who said that specifically? Like, I need to know.
To be put up into a firing squad and never asked to play Dynasty again.
Yeah, for real.
Also,
is
Patriots current wide receiver room. You ready for this pile of mid?
Let's hear it.
Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, right? Those are the 2 guys we're excited about. Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Reagor, Kayshon Boutte, Juju Smith-Schuster. Jesus. There's like 5 guys there that are so mid that they shouldn't even make the team, and they're probably going to end up keeping like 7 receivers.
Not great. I mean, I will say Baker and Baker, Douglas, and Polk, in my opinion, are the clear 3. Maybe Bourne too.
Josh Hayes, I've never heard of that guy, and there's probably a reason why.
Yeah, tell him, Flet. Tell him. Let him know.
Great room, in my opinion. Never again.
Hey, it's so funny. I mean, maybe this time you're going to take the L on the Patriots receiving room, like Flet did last year when he said he was better than the Texans one.
Yeah, Roto Baller. Again, I've heard of that site. No offense to them. Maybe they're great people. I've never listened to any of their content or trusted anyone that works for them. So
that's such a fucking ridiculous take if he actually said that.
Yeah. Lamar or 108 plus Trevor Lawrence. It's an interesting trade. I mean, you're talking probably Bowers or Worthy or Thomas with that pick, plus Trevor Lawrence for Lamar. I think if that was 106 or 107, I'd be willing to do it, knowing I could get Odunze or JJ McCarthy. But to me, I think I would take Lamar there.
It would need to be top 5 for me to consider.
And I'm the Lawrence guy too, so I'm like King Trevor Lawrence stan.
Yeah, it probably need to be top 5 for me to consider it.
You would definitely consider it?
Yeah, because even 106 is much like Rome. It's like for me, like a mid to back end second round startup and like a late third, early fourth with Rome for like a guy I view as like the 104 in startups.
Also, ETN's kind of just the last man standing of this running back group. Kyron got backfield competition. Saquon, backfield competition. Rashad White, Achane, Josh Jacobs. Walker obviously got it last year. James Cook. Pacheco and ETN are the two guys that haven't really had anybody added to their backfield yet.
Yeah. By the way, I would not be opposed to the Cowboys sending their 2025 5-7 to try to get another pick in the 5th round here to take a running back and a receiver.
On Estime so bad, eh?
Dude, Estime would be literally perfect for what they're trying to accomplish if they want to be a physical offense. Exactly. He's so fucking good.
Yeah, he is a good player.
If Estime does go to the Cowboys in the 5th round, like, how are you ranking him amongst these players too? Because like he's got a path to start.
Yeah, like I think he clears everybody who went in round 4 minus Jaylen Wright, probably.
Probably right, yeah.
Like I would take Estime, like 5th round Estime, I would take over Ray Davis. I would take over Isaac Garendo. I would take over Bucky Irving. I would take over Will Shipley. I would take over Braylon Allen. Like
you take him over Marshawn Lloyd.
I have Wright over Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah. No, I figured that.
I think I would take Lloyd slightly, but it would be like that early 3rd round range is the range where you take the shot on Corum, Wright, Lloyd, Estime. Like that's where you're taking them. I think Estime could get elevated to the point that we're talking about him though in the late 2nd round, knowing that if he goes to Dallas, people are going to take him that high.
Yeah, he would probably have to be a 3rd rounder for me, given the wide receiver spots. And like, I mean, the other thing I'll ask you, 2nd round pick, 53rd overall, Ben Sinnott, or 5th round, 180 something, or not 180, but 150 something overall estimate to the Cowboys. I think I have to still take Sinnott there, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like Sinnott's, he's gonna be weird where he slots in. To be honest, he's gonna be really weird to slot in rookie draft. JT Sanders too, actually.
Right, JT. I would take him over JT Sanders.
Who? Sinnott?
Sinnott for sure, and I would probably take Estime.
Yeah, I would as well. I have JT Sanders as of right now at 31. I have him kind of in that cluster of like Devontae Walker and Marshawn Lloyd and Jaylen Wright and those type of guys. I have Roman Wilson at 32. I kind of buried his ass. I just don't think he's good.
Would you guys answer what it would take to trade back from 107 or 108 to 201? I mean, 107, 108 is going to be like a top 4 to 5 round starter pick. 201 is probably going to find its way into the 7th or 8th round area. Maybe even, honestly, probably even higher.
201 might be a running back. Go trade for Jonathan Taylor with that pick.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion. The sucky thing is that now the Achane Kyron types that were maybe going in that range before are no longer that valuable as that pick. So if you're going to trade down to 201, I would say, maybe you want to get like another, like, would you trade down from 108 to 201 with like, I wouldn't do it for like 201 and 202 even, I think I would want like almost a first of value.
You should, right? Because I mean, the 107, 108 is going to be valued quite literally as a 3-4 turn type of pick, to be honest.
Like we're talking Bowers or McCarthy or Odunze.
That's what I'm saying.
Like those guys are way more valuable than the running backs. And I like the running backs, but it's probably like a 4th round starter pick versus like a 6th or a 7th round starter pick. So yeah. Like,
would you do it if hypothetically
close to it would be what I would say you need?
If the trade was like 108 plus like the 209, 210 this year for the 201 plus a 2025 first. Are you doing it?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I saw Rattler's highlights were on the screen. I thought he just got drafted.
108 plus like the 209, 212 type of area pick this year, or the 201 plus a 2025 first.
I would take the 201 plus the 2025 first. I think that's probably the range.
That's about the cost, though, right? That's about a good deal.
I think you're not going to get 201 plus a 2025 first. So if you gave up like an early 3 or a late 2 or something on top of the 108, I think that's probably about the range. But the 107 is actually even a little bit more valuable because then you're guaranteed McCarthy or Odunze. So I probably I wouldn't even want to trade down from that area, to be honest. If you want to trade for a running back, like I said, Cody, I would just go after McCaffrey or JT.
By the way, so
or add something and go after one of the top guys.
So I did end up getting Kyle Pitts in our draft, but I also got the pick 108 now. I was under the assumption in our Flock Me Silly that the 108 would end up equating to
McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy.
He won't go. He'll go before that now. It'll be Bowers most likely.
Sully has Burrow and Mahomes, and he picks 107. 106, was it Kaiser? Does he have quarterbacks? He's got Herbert and he's got Dak.
He might pick McCarthy still.
I mean, I would. I have Allen and Murray, and I would take McCarthy if he fell to the 108. But like it's interesting. By the way, I just realized that Stroud and Herbert got traded. Did you see that? And Flock Me Silly?
What happened?
Herbert Stroud trade.
I did not see that.
Herbert, Drake London, and a 2024 second. I can't see what pick number that is for Stroud, and a second and the 2024 first. Is that the 107 or the 106?
Let me take a look.
What pick is that?
Why can't you see what pick number it is?
I'm on PC.
Oh, does it not show you that there? Here, I'm on my phone here. So it was Stroud plus 110 and 201 for Herbert, London, and the 203.
So basically, 201 versus 203, very negligible difference in this class. Basically, the meat and potatoes here is Herbert plus Drake London or Stroud plus Brian Thomas Jr.
I think I like the Stroud side of that trade because you're also getting the 201 versus the 203 on that side too.
Yeah, I think I agree there. But
I think I like the Stroud side there.
That's a good trade, though. I will say, kudos to the boys. That's a good trade. Like if you view Herbert and Stroud in the same tier, you just take the free upgrade at wide receiver. But if you view Stroud as being a little bit above, then you probably just take the Stroud side. Like that's a good deal. I like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Jets didn't take Rattler. That would have been interesting to play behind Rodgers.
Oh, dude, that would have been fun. I mean, where is the next Rattler spot? Atlanta. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say maybe
Vegas. Yeah, it's got to be Vegas.
Probably. Yeah, Vegas for sure.
I will say
though, New Orleans maybe.
Hear me out. Rattler at that Vegas pick in round 5, oversigned. Michael Penix at 8th overall. Considering I had them very similar as prospects.
Did Arizona just take Xavier Thomas?
Yeah.
Remember when he was like Madden draft class, like when you loaded in the draft classes, he was like at the top of the list. Him and Eichenberg, the Ohio State linebacker.
I remember Kool-Aid McKinstry on those files too.
Yeah,
and I remember just always laughing like, "Oh, nice, funny name, Kool-Aid." Right impact. Does Achane move down at all? I moved him down slightly. He was my RB7 pre-draft. I do believe in Jaylen Wright. He was my RB3 pre-draft. He obviously goes big-time speed there. I believe it's going to end up being as a future replacement for Ricky Mostert, and I think Wright's a good player. So if we're talking about Devon Achane, like he was viewed as a top 7 guy for me. Now it's like I'd probably take Saquon Barkley over him. I have him ranked higher, and then you probably have to put ETN over him. So Devon Achane and Kyron, they go from being like my RB6, RB7 to now being my RB8, RB9. Are y'all high on Keon or Leggett after the draft? I mean, we were high on Keon and Leggett pre-draft, so them getting really good landing spots, 32nd and 33rd overall, like I'll be ahead of market for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I look at, again, I'm taking keep trade cut as gospel right now just because I have no other gauge of market value at this point in time. But Xavier Leggett at 16 and Keon Coleman at 20, like 20 is ridiculous for Keon Coleman for a Buffalo Bills wide receiver who was drafted at the top of the 2nd round. Like, to me, Coleman, maybe this is a little behind and Coleman will like go up a little bit in time, but Coleman should be inside the top 15 to 16 players, in my opinion. And same goes for Leggett. I think he'll be right around that range. If him and like those guys plus Penix and Adonai Mitchell, like that should be kind of the range we're talking about there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Jordan McGee goes.
Yeah, I also need one more year of Mostert in a league. I traded away my my Devy first rounder this year, Danny. You saw that, right? I traded away my Devy first rounder for Devontae Adams and Raheem Mostert. So I'm not loving that Jaylen Wright pick, and also not loving the Raiders having no quarterback to throw Devontae Adams the football. But Devontae Adams is a Jet. We all know this. He's going to go to the Jets by midseason.
Yeah, you got what, Mostert and
Devontae Adams for my first round Devy pick next year. Or this year.
Especially if you're trying
I don't know. I feel pretty confident that like Devy picks are like really, really hit and miss. Like I actually don't feel all that different about my second round Devy pick as I do to my first round Devy pick. It's like, yeah, maybe I gave up Ashton Janty or something at 105 in the Devy draft, but I think I can get a good option in the second round, to be honest, in the Devy draft.
I cut Mingo already in FFPC. Not sure I can do Leggett. Don't make that comp. People are going to say Carolina receiver picked in the top 40. Leggett is, in my opinion, a much better player right now than what Mingo represented last year. I think Mingo can be, a decent big slot type of projection, but I really do feel like Xavier Leggett, if he hits that upside, we're talking about a DK Metcalf type of player, dominant on crossers, dominant in yards after catch situations, man. And the way Dave Canales sounded, man, it sounds like he's going to put him in his best situations to succeed at the next level, understanding he's not this, day one polished number one receiver. So
yeah, I looked at Mingo like he should have been a third round NFL draft pick,
agreed.
And he was going to take some time to develop. Whereas I looked at Leggett like he should have been an early second round NFL draft pick who was pretty pro ready and had a really high ceiling. So to me, it wasn't that much different than the projection of DK Metcalf, who was an early second round draft pick and needed some development, but actually was kind of pro ready when you watched his film. So again, it didn't actually look like that big of a difference between the prospects. Metcalf's profile was a smidge better because he had the injuries that disrupted his career, and he was in early declare, I believe. He was playing with A.J. Brown and that kind of thing. So with Metcalf, he was like a slightly better prospect version of Xavier Leggett, but like Leggett is not as bad of a prospect as Mingo was. Like if you look at the second round picks that are in the FSC prospect model, Mingo is like the absolute worst one that's ever been drafted in the second round.
Yeah, no, pretty much.
And Leggett is like one of the worst guys that went in the first round, but he did go in the first round also. And if he went in the second round, he would be more of like a below average second round prospect, but the film is really good. And that's how you get to the upside.
Yeah, agreed.
Where do you guys see JJ McCarthy finishing in the QB rankings this year? I mean,
how many games does he start?
Dynasty, I imagine the way that this season is going to play out is that JJ McCarthy is going to play 6 to 10 games, depending on how much Sam Darnold plays. Maybe he'll start week 1. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened, but I would say that they'll probably try and sit him a little bit. And McCarthy, to me, will end up like now he's already in that Tua, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott range. It wouldn't shock me if by the end of the season, we're talking about Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, all in the same breath.
For sure. Oh, I agree. I thought he meant in terms of like fantasy this year. It depends how many games he starts. But
yeah, in redraft, I'm not overly that interested because I think he'll sit a few games for sure.
Am I crazy to say he might be even safer bet, assuming he sits the first few weeks to get under rhythm rather than starting week 1? Because like then at that point, if he has a bad week 1 performance, I feel like people might get a little bit impatient with him. Versus,
I think he needs time too. So it'd be smart of them to sit him for 6 games at least. I think.
The other thing I was going to mention, by the way, is apparently to trade up for Jaylen Wright, the Dolphins gave up a future 2025 third.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Get that 4th round pick. So they traded up.
I think it's the future. Jaylen Wright, that's a really good spot for him. I'm not going to lie, because he can be the Raheem Mostert role, but he doesn't have to play it this season because he's not really ready to play it this season. So Mostert and Achane will probably be the backs mainly this season unless we get some injuries that take place. And Wright and Achane will probably be the go-to guys in the future there too. So I actually really like the fit of Wright to the Dolphins. I'm warming up to it. I think about a late second, early third round pick is probably what I'm looking at with Jaylen Wright.
Yeah.
Depends on your team. Like I have Jaylen Wright right now ranked at 26, but you know what? Honestly, I would take him over Jermaine Burton and Malachi Corley. I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, I probably would too. Again, I'll touch more of it after the draft because obviously just doing it and then like changing circumstances happen. We're like, oh shit, the Cowboys just took Audric Estime. Now we got to change him up. Like I'll probably after the 7 rounds really sit down, make my coffee, kind of go through things, try to go through these. I mean, I'll tell you right now, my process when I make my rankings, guys, is when I go through these rankings, I compare. If I'm on the clock in a startup draft right now, which asset would I take? And that's kind of how I go about my ranking. So when I go to it, gun to my head, would I take Audric Estime in a startup versus, whatever wide receivers, whether that's Malachi Corley, et cetera, there? That's going to be a decision I'm going to have to make. It's just doing it right now versus when we have all the information after the draft is going to be probably the way I go about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going along as I do it, and I'm kind of like thinking about the discussions and going back and forth with you about it. But yeah, it's going to really take place after the draft. I'm really hoping 3 small school guys that I really like, hear their names called soon enough here. Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State, running back. Kamani Vidal, running back from Troy. And Jaylen Coker, wide receiver from Holy Cross. I need those 3 guys to go here soon because they're some of my favorite sleepers in the draft.
Tyrone Tracy as well for me.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy too.
Yeah. Where do I get your rookie rankings? We'll take it away with the big plug for the guide, Corey.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in our rookie rankings, as Danny mentioned, as soon as the draft is over, we're going to have them up as soon as possible. We're going to be working through our draft guide, going and making updates in terms of where these guys actually went in the draft and that kind of stuff. And we'll also add to our draft guide. If you guys have already seen our draft guide, you know what it looks like. But we have player cards. Like, as you guys have been seeing on the screen, we have all those player cards in the draft guide. We have write-ups to go with the player cards so you can see a more in-depth view of what we saw in film. There's comps on the player cards, athletic testing, all that good stuff. We're also going to be adding like our favorite 5 sleepers and our favorite 5 values in drafts early in the first 2 rounds. We're also going to be adding players that we're avoiding, players you should let your league mates draft. So that will go into the final edition of the draft guide as well. The goal is to have the draft guide fully up to date on the site tomorrow at some point, so that if you guys do have drafts starting tomorrow, that you'll be ready and well prepared for that. Our rookie rankings will be up to date on the site today. That will be the deadline for that. But our rookie rankings are also in the draft guide as well. And if you want access to our draft guide, to our rookie rankings, all that good stuff, you can get it for free if you don't want to join the site by signing up on Underdog Fantasy using promo code FSE, and getting a $10 deposit will get you all of our draft guide front to back, as well as the film breakdowns that we did on the top 15 to 20 prospects or so. And those film breakdowns are also on the site as well. So either direction you want to go, want to sign up on the site, tons of great value over there. I'll give you a little tutorial of what's all on the site for us. And then also, if you just want to get the rankings and be on your merry way and do your rookie draft, you can just go and sign up on Underdog too, because Best Ball Mania 5 will be opening up, I believe, on Monday is what Andrew from Underdog told me. But very latest May 1st, I think, is the start date of Best Ball Mania 5, and getting those early values in ADP is really fun. So if you guys have never checked out our site, I want to show you guys a quick tour. So you can see right here, quarterback, tight end, running back film breakdowns. We covered the top 6 quarterbacks, all of whom became first round picks. The top 2 running backs, Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks, and Brock Bowers in this group right here. The wide receiver film breakdowns, we did Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell. We did Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey, the top 3 receivers, and Brian Thomas Jr. So those are all there. And of course, on the site, of course, we have our rankings, Superflex. These are our community rankings, similar to Keep Trade Cut. You can give your own opinion and form our community ranks. Of course, you can filter specifically by my rankings, specifically by Danny's rankings, Mason's rankings, whoever you want. Superflex, 1 quarterback, prospect rankings, all that good stuff. Trade calculator, of course, has custom league settings in the trade calculator, tight end premium, super flex, how many starting spots you have. Obviously, if it's a 16 team, it's going to matter more that you have depth. If it's a 12 team, start 8. It's not going to matter if you have as much depth. And of course, our trade finder is in here as well. So you can search, what are the recent trades for Chris Olave right now? And it'll pull up all these trades that have happened in fantasy leagues just like yours. And we do have our new My Team section, which is seeing a lot of great updates right now, where you can go specifically to one of your teams. This is one league where I have a pretty solid looking roster here. That's me right there, El Chapo. And you can see your roster. You can see all of your players, where the community rankings has them ranked right now. We will eventually have a feature on here that allows you to filter by my ranking specifically or by Danny's ranking specifically. And you could see the rest of your league mates. You're like, okay, my quarterback core is 3rd in the league. My running back core is 4th in the league. Maybe I want to upgrade my wide receiver position. I can go to someone who has great wide receivers, that being Barry Blast here. And I can see, okay, he's got Lamb, he's got DJ Moore, he's got Evans. Maybe I want the production of Mike Evans, and I can go send him an offer there. I have the 107 and the 112 in the rookie draft. Maybe 112 gets me Mike Evans, or 201 gets me Mike
Probably
Evans,
like
or something
205.
like that. So it's a great way of seeing this. And two, new users to the site. If you're an annual mother flocker, you can also submit your team for review, and you can actually get your team reviewed by us, and we'll go through and break it down. We're going to maybe use this submit your team for review feature as the new way of doing dynasty decisions as well. But we are still working out kinks in terms of how it's going to work, because as of right now, you only get one team review per year that you're signed up for the site. But we are actually on our end able to give you guys free vouchers to be able to get team reviews as well. So we might tinker with that as a way of doing it for dynasty decisions. We might not. It might get too confusing for us, and we might stick to the old way of doing it. But regardless, this is a great way of seeing all your teams. Like literally all of my teams are loaded in here. I can go through all of my teams and look at some of the trades and look at some of the teams that I have here. This is, my team right here again.
Keep showing trades I'm not in, or teams I'm not in.
Yeah, well, I just want to showcase like some of my teams. Like this is one of these leagues I'm rebuilding in. I got a lot of picks. I have like a steady foundation of these two quarterbacks and these wide receivers and tight ends. Again, it's just a nice way to look at your rosters, an easier function than going through your sleeper league and checking everybody's teams and stuff. So again, that's all that's available on our site. And of course, the main draw of that right now will be our updated draft guide and our updated rookie rankings that is pertaining to right now. So I will drop the link for the site in the chat right now. You can actually get a 7-day free trial when you sign up, and you get 30% off any of the packages using the promo code FSE, and a lot of great features over there, including dynasty decisions, first priority, and all that good stuff. So long-winded answer there for how you can access our rookie rankings. But are the rankings updated with what has happened so far? I will hit publish on them right now, Brock, because mine are absolutely up to date as of what has happened so far, up to about the 38 players or so fantasy relevant that have been drafted. But I would say wait until tonight or tomorrow, and they'll be updated fully.
I've updated a lot, but like I said earlier, I'm just not gonna go after every 10 picks and keep updating. Like I'm probably just going to absorb what happens for the rest of the draft. And then after the 7th round is done, once I kind of see the whole context of the situation.
Oh, Danny's PC shit the bed again. But yeah, I think to Danny's point, seeing what happens for the rest of the draft is a smart idea. But yeah, those will be up to date at the latest tonight.
You couldn't hear me?
No, you lagged out there for a second. But I knew what you were going to say.
Well, I was just saying, like after the first 7 rounds, I'm going to be going through it probably for the rest of the night and then getting that updated for tomorrow. But yeah, just every 10 picks, trying to update it, especially knowing like, who knows, what if they double dip at the position? Like we don't know as much context quite yet. So once I have all of that, like that will be on the site. And of course, rookie rankings, draft guide, like Corey said, we're going to be rating our sleepers, our busts, our values. And of course, our overall rankings, talking about startup rankings, is going to be available on Flock Fantasy. So that'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah. So there's a couple great options here for wide receiver needy teams, in my opinion.
Yes,
Buffalo, Denver twice, Tennessee, and Vegas. I know Denver already took Troy Franklin, and Buffalo already took Keon Coleman and stuff, but Denver, Tennessee, and Las Vegas specifically would be great fits for Jalen Coker, because Jalen Coker is kind of the same type of receiver as Courtland Sutton. So if they move off of Courtland Sutton after a year, I think he would be a great replacement for him. Also, New Orleans picking here in a little bit too. Also could use another second receiver, I would say, to go along with Chris Olave. I'm hoping my boy Jalen Coker can go here pretty soon.
Same. I love Coker.
Are they not opening BBM tonight? They might. Henry, they might. What Andrew told me was that it might be Monday. So I don't quote me on that. They could open it tonight. They could open it tomorrow. They could open it Monday. It could be May 1st at the absolute latest, but it'll be open very soon here. And that's also, part of the reason why the exciting factor of signing up on Underdog, getting our draft guide, getting all your stuff ready for your rookie drafts. Then you can also jump into best ball drafts as well, which is awesome. It's a great timing for us.
By the way, sorry, this made me laugh. $100 bet on the Bears to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl pays out $17K. Yes, please. And then Bandy just minus $100.
That's hilarious. Chris says, you guys are like the only ones doing live reactions since day one. Some people they do first round of the draft and they think they pat themselves on the back. They're like, man, I streamed for 4 hours.
Yeah, we grinded.
Like, get on our level. We're going on, I think 10 or 11 hours that we've streamed so far.
Buddy, yeah.
And there goes Danny's camera. That is hilarious that just happened right as I said that. By the way, thoughts on Ricky Pearsall now with Debo and Ayuk still out there?
What are the odds of that?
I know, that's pretty funny. Ricky Pearsall, I would say he's still an interesting player. Where like is Ricky Pearsall at all affected to you by the fact that he's not maybe going to be the best short-term option with those two guys there as well? Now that they drafted Jacob Cowing too, he's another guy into the mix.
Sure, Cowing. The one went 31st overall, one went in the 120s. I mean, at the end of the day,
let me ask you this. I know this is an outrageous thing to propose.
Don't.
Is there a world in which Troy Franklin and Ricky Pearsall should be swapped in terms of where they're going? This is an outrageous question. Don't yell at me. I know Ricky Pearsall went in the first round, and I know Troy Franklin went in the fourth round.
I'm not.
But Troy Franklin, in my opinion, was objectively a better prospect and went to a better landing spot, at least in terms of getting on the field right away. He already has a rapport with the quarterback that he got drafted with.
It's one thing if Ricky Pearsall went 57th overall, 65th overall, you could maybe make the argument, but it's 31st overall draft capital to the perfect scheme for Ricky Pearsall. Yes, it was wide receiver 10 for me.
It's tough. I know.
I'm taking Pearsall. And
I am too. Full disclosure, I am too. I just will like to point out that Ricky Pearsall, according to the FSC prospect model, is the single worst prospect to go in the first round since 2016. At wide receiver versus Troy Franklin is the single best prospect since 2016 to go on day 3.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like a vast, stark difference there of like, do you take the sleeper or the guy that fell that shouldn't have fallen, or do you take the guy that was overdrafted? Generally speaking, when players get overdrafted, Alec Pierce, Kadarius Toney, these type of guys, they don't usually work out. And the guys that go underdrafted, do they always work out? No. Tyler Johnson.
I don't think it's
example.
I don't think it's fair.
But you do get the Amon-Ra St. Brown type where you're like, this guy just definitely should not have gone this late.
I don't think it's fair to throw Toney and Pearsall in the same sentence. The reason why I say that is because Toney didn't work out because of lack of skill. Toney worked out because he was an absolute knucklehead.
Okay, but like thinking about the guys that went in the first round that rival Pearsall, it's Henry Ruggs, Jalen Reagor, Kadarius Toney. Yeah, there's a Calvin Ridley in there who had a good.
Ruggs was a 700-yard receiver or 70-yard per game receiver before he literally killed someone.
Yeah, he was. You're correct.
Pearsall lands in the perfect fit for his skill set.
Yeah,
I can't pass on him. Like
I know. It's tough because Pearsall and Ridley is a decent comparison because Ridley was a film-based guy. People liked him because of his film. But at the same time, his freshman year, he had a great season. So it's like he had a better prospect profile than Pearsall too.
Reagor?
No, Ridley.
Oh, right, fair.
Even though Ridley worked out, if you liked him, it was for film reasons. He did have a better profile than Pearsall also.
Sure, but Ridley worked out. So like if he become Ridley,
he's the only landmine prospect in the first round who's ever worked out of 9 guys.
Which is why I rank him lower comparatively to similar draft capital players, but I think you still have to take him over the next bunch. Like it's still
no, you do. You're right. And to me, Franklin heads out that next bunch. It's like I can pass on 3rd round receivers for Troy Franklin. I can do it. Yes. It's not no skin off my back to take Troy Franklin over Jalen McMillan, who got better draft capital, and I had him rated highly before the NFL draft. But it's like Franklin to me was a tier above of McMillan before the draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, where do you have Franklin right now? Just out of curiosity.
21st overall.
Okay. So I wonder who the guy, do you have Polk ahead of him? Is that the guy that you have ahead of him that I don't?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit gutty.
37 versus 37 versus
I like
102.
Franklin. I like Franklin over Polk. Sue me. I still like Polk. I'm at 21. Yeah. I think he's a fine option, but I prefer Franklin, to be honest. And in a mid to late 2nd round pick, it's no skin off my back if I miss on it anyway.
Buddy, that's the thing about these guys is like realistically, I would say AD Mitchell and Ricky. Honest to God, bro, but holy shit, we're talking about like we're probably 30 guys deep of guys I want on my team right now.
Oh yeah, I'm very glad I have leagues where I have like 101, 105, 107, 108, 110, 202, 206, 209. 301, 304. Like there's leagues where I have that many draft picks. Like in the listener Dino, for example, I think I have like 11 or 12 draft picks. Yeah, I'm very excited to get a lot of shares for players of this class.
Yeah, but if Pearsall is in the slot and Kyle starts to use 11 personnel, Pearsall haters better watch out. I mean, I wouldn't even consider myself a Pearsall hater. He was a top 15 receiver for me. He was my wide receiver 14. I had him comped to like a Christian Kirk. I think he's a good player. It's just I didn't think he was a 31st overall pick caliber player.
Right. So Cody's asked an interesting question here. He said, I was an old transfer from Patreon who just renewed for the first time on Flock this year. I don't think the promo code
reach out to
carried
the
over.
devs.
Let me take a look for you, Cody. Can you drop your Flock
What's your
username in the
username?
chat? Yeah, I think it should have carried over, to be honest. If it's the same account that got carried over from Patreon, it should be the same. It should have been the same
email,
thing.
yeah.
Cody, if your username is Cody Yoki, then it carried over.
Yeah, let us know. I feel like it would be Cody Seb, no?
I don't know, but if it's Cody Yoki, he said the date last charged was March 13th, which maybe lines up with what he's talking about right around here. He said he just renewed for the first time on Flock this year. That was about a month ago. Maybe that's what he means by just renewed. Then this is him potentially. But let us know what your username is. I'll try typing his last name in, see if I can find something. I don't think his last name is showing up anything, but
who the Bears just get? It didn't even get announced, did it?
Maybe not.
Oh,
no.
The Bears got Austin Booker. Oh, nice. That's a good pick.
Okay.
Max Crosby light.
Maybe we'll need to settle down with that.
Yeah, we can take it easy there.
Yeah, the FSC bonus code for Underdog is a one-time thing, correct? Yeah, unfortunately, if you got our draft guide for free last year from using Underdog promo code, you will not also be able to do it this year. However, if you have a girlfriend, a brother, a father, a sister, someone that you can sign up on Underdog with and, obviously plug the platform for us because that's what Underdog pays us for. But you can do it that way. If you already personally have an account and you want to sign somebody else up.
Yeah, 100%. If you're trying to convince your dad to get into football and maybe give him some advice as to who to draft, there you go.
Yeah, like I got Maria on Underdog so that she could put some coin down on some stuff.
Yes, sir. What are your thoughts on Johnny Wilson? I mean, the fact that he hasn't gone yet is concerning. But then again, so is Malik Washington and Jalen Coker. I don't know. Like, he's a fine big slot, but it's not exciting. It's like vanilla ice cream.
Does your dog? I think to sign up on Underdog, I believe you actually have to have like a social insurance or social security number and stuff. So unless your dog has a social security number and an ID, you probably cannot.
I was about to say maybe your dog's Garfield, but I realized that's a cat.
It's a baked statement right there.
That's a cat. Yeah.
Y'all are getting ready for when the NYSE goes to 24-hour trading and need to adopt that format to stay on brand. I mean, are we going to have to do 24-hour live streams like Mason in that case?
Yeah.
San Fran could have gotten the better DB and better wide receiver by taking Franklin in the fourth. Yeah. Franklin would have been fun for them too.
Johnny Wilson would be such a sexless pick if the Cowboys take him. I'm not going to lie.
I don't get that take. Johnny Wilson might not be a perfect prospect, but he's definitely not a sexless prospect.
A sexless pick for Dallas, bro. They need fucking speed, and Johnny Wilson is just not.
You guys haven't taken a receiver yet, have you?
We haven't.
No. Jaylen Coker, please.
I would love that.
Please.
Give me Jaylen Coker over Johnny Wilson.
Actually, Gallup, not a bad comp for Coker, too, except a better route runner.
Yeah. Looking back at one of my 2020 rookie drafts, and wow, there were wide receivers drafted. Where the wide receivers were drafted. Yeah, that's fucking
another day of Pretty Ricky slander. Nothing Pretty Ricky slander. He's a good player, man, but this class is good. Like, is it slanderous to have Ricky Pearsall 19th overall in my Superflex rookie rankings? Maybe.
Wait,
like, no, put him over.
Correction, sorry. The Dolphins didn't give up a 2025-3 to get Jaylen Wright. The Lions gave up a 2025-3 to get Sione Vaki.
Alrighty.
I misread it. They traded a third-round pick next year for their RB3 on the roster.
Also, I find it hilarious that Fantasy Receipts is victory lapping people on Troy Franklin takes, and one of the takes was that people had him wide receiver 3 over Rome Odunze, which I think was just egregious. If you had that, like, just literally plug in the film. Like, if your model said that he was a better prospect than Odunze, that's one thing. But if you actually believed it, then that's just wrong.
Wait, apparently Des Bryant just tweeted out. So yesterday he said he reached out to Sean Payton on the player he needs to take in round 4. And apparently he just tweeted out the receipts that the player he was talking about to Sean Payton was Troy Franklin.
Really?
Des Bryant, yeah.
Des Bryant is doing the Lords for the fantasy community.
Hey, I mean, he's involved in it. Maybe he wanted the fit. So he said, Des Bryant texted him, if you can get Troy Franklin, get him. It only makes sense for Bo. Troy Franklin is a stud. And apparently Sean Payton responded, I agree, Des Bryant, great at the line of scrimmage. Or DB, great at the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
That's
also, Bo Nix got the better coaching staff around him, referring to JJ McCarthy. JJ will be successful because he was blessed to be coach. Oh, hold on. Put some respect on his name, Bo Nix. Are you kidding me? What did he say? Oh, he said Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, Caleb Williams, top candidates for rookie of the year at the moment. That's what Des Bryant tweeted.
Interesting. I love Des, but
he said Bo Nix and Troy Franklin can have the same success as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase had in Cincinnati.
That's a little
mental. That's a little mental. Let's check on Des Bryant's mentals at this point in time. But I being high on Bo Nix and Troy Franklin is something that I definitely agree with.
Yeah, I mean, I love both of them. So I mean, if it's pro Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, I'm with Des there. It's a little spicy.
Yeah,
spicy.
And Henry bringing up the St. Brown thing again. Speaking of Troy Franklin, like I had a 2nd round grade on St. Brown, and I'm very glad I did because there was not a single draft I took Terrace Marshall or Rondale Moore over St. Brown, even though the 2nd round draft capital, 4th round draft capital argument came into play. So I'm going to trust my grades, even though Jaylen Polk's a good player and I like him. He went 2nd round in the draft. I'm taking Troy Franklin over him. I thought Troy Franklin was a better player.
Yeah, I mean,
and my model hits at a high rate, man. And my model loved Troy Franklin, so I'm sticking to it.
Polk was my wide receiver 13. Franklin was wide receiver 10. Obviously, now because you had Franklin 7 versus Polk 13, there's going to be a more difference there. But for me, it's like when I'm dealing within 3 spots and one gets 37th overall, one gets 4th round. Like, not to mention, I think Polk also got a good landing spot. It's not like Polk got a bad landing spot there. New England is a good landing spot. His skill set fits perfectly with what Drake May wants to do. Like, I think the Patriots have to be one of the biggest winners of this draft, getting Baker and Jaylen Polk with Drake May. Like, that offense is going to be much improved this upcoming year.
Oh, absolutely. I look at my model hits, or the FSC prospect model predicts dynasty value at a 56% clip.
Yeah.
We're talking like very good. And also, if you factor in just the last 4 years when we've had a resource like Keep Trade Cut, which is live real-time predicting of dynasty value, it actually hits at a 65% rate. So the part that it lost points was back 2017 to 2020 when we didn't have as much like live information on market value of these players. So if the prospect model says that Troy Franklin is the single best wide receiver to go on day 3 of the NFL draft since 2020 or since 2016. I'm going to believe it because Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua are number 3 and 4 on that list. Yeah. And Tyler Johnson didn't work out, who was number 2, but Tyler Johnson was a head case off the field.
And I understand it. I do really still like him. Obviously, Troy Franklin, I still have graded as a mid to back end 2nd round rookie pick, despite getting 4th round capital. Like, I'm still taking that shot, like I was taking with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Thing is, though, is I also really like Jaylen
you might
Polk.
have to take him where you're not comfortable taking him, though, is the thing, because he was a prospect the dynasty community loved. It's not like he's going to be available in the 3rd round of rookie drafts because he went to day 3. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to go in the mid to late 2nd round.
I'll take him where I have him ranked, which is 21st overall. If he starts going above Polk, above some of those other guys I have ranked higher than him, I'm just going to take the guys I have ranked higher.
Yeah, I think also, too, when you look back at St. Brown and Puka Nacua and the guys that were day 3 guys that hit, think about the fits that they went to. Detroit Lions, perfect fit for what Amon-Ra St. Brown does. Puka Nacua, perfect fit for what he does. I think Franklin, I think is a perfect fit. Sean Payton offense. He can stretch the field. He has his old college quarterback throwing him the ball.
I think you're also just downplaying how much I like Polk's landing spot, because I think 37 to New England is probably one of the best case scenarios, knowing that Drake May's there, to be honest.
No, I like it. I like the landing spot as well. I just think I'm trusting the evaluation a little bit more on Franklin, because the model, for what it's worth, doesn't like Polk.
Yeah, fair. I mean, you also watch both guys too, so you know the context.
I did, and I graded both guys, but Franklin did grade higher too. It's not like I graded Polk higher and the model just doesn't like him.
Sure. So basically what you're saying is because you graded Franklin higher, the draft capital would even out there, but because the model also still has Franklin higher, you would still go with Franklin.
Right, and I like the fit equally for both players, and actually a little bit slightly more for Franklin.
Yeah, like I would still go Polk, but having Franklin 21st overall, despite being a 4th round player, kind of goes to show you that he's a really good 4th-round player. Like, this guy
Oh,
should have been a 2nd or 3rd
we
round
got a
pick.
fantasy relevant player.
I didn't see the pick. Oh, wow.
I really like it. Dude,
Wow.
the Broncos are drafting every player that I like.
I wanted him in Dallas. I'm heartbroken.
Danny is
that's
upset.
a great pick.
He's sick.
That's a great pick.
All right, let's talk about it. New Denver Broncos running back Audric Estime. Power, efficiency down to down, elusive as hell, refined rushing instincts, which is impressive considering he's the 2nd youngest running back in this entire class. Young legs, fresh legs, didn't have a whole lot of work prior to this season. Never a workhorse at the University of Notre Dame. He was mainly just an early down guy this year. Doesn't have high-end speed. That's the big knock on him. 4.71 is what he ran at the NFL Scouting Combine. As a receiver, he can catch checkdowns. He can catch screen passes, but he's not going to give you a whole lot more than that. And he also needs a little bit of work changing tempo in his runs. Our comp for him was David Montgomery. It's funny that he goes to a situation with Javonte Williams where neither of these two guys have high-end speed. They're both kind of early down guys that are smart, efficient, make people miss type of guys, but neither Javonte Williams or Audric Estime are taking runs to the house. But he was a top 4 running back for both of us in terms of his film grade and everything that we liked about his profile. So with Estime, he's probably a handcuffed early on to Javonte Williams, but I mean, Javonte Williams was drafted in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. This is the last year of his rookie deal. They don't have anybody else in town there. And Javonte Williams has notoriously been dealing with injuries most of his career.
Injury history, less efficient last year, no long-term security. I love this for Estime. And it's kind of funny because obviously they have Samaje Perine on the roster. I would assume that if you draft Estime, he probably can take on some of the Samaje Perine duties. Good pass blocker, despite not being the calling card of being able to work out in space. I do feel like he's an underrated receiver. So I feel like he can take some of those Samaje Perine type of role, maybe, 8 to 12 touches type per game behind Javonte Williams. And like you said, past this year, man, like we're looking at a David Montgomery type of player. That was my comp for him. That was your comp for him. Big power back, hammer back between the tackles. He could potentially end up being Sean Payton's Mark Ingram, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe Sean Payton wasn't coach when they selected Javonte Williams either. Like, he selected and picked Audric Estime here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Estime, I would take him over every running back that's gone today except for Jaylen Wright, legitimately.
Yeah, I agree. I think him
like
and
I
Wright
look at Jaylen Wright, I have at 24 overall tentatively in my rankings. I would take Estime over Ray Davis, Isaac Guerrero, Bucky Irving, Will Shipley, Braylon Allen, all those guys. The question is, do you take 5th round Estime over Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round or Blake Corum in the 3rd round? To me, I can't quite get there.
It's close because pre-draft, I mean, you just mentioned it with Troy Franklin. Pre-draft, he was my RB4. I had him above Corum. I had him above Lloyd. To be fair, though, Lloyd and Corum, respectively, were RB6 and RB5. So it's not like there was a
and they went in the 3rd round versus the 5th round. So yeah, again, and they were in the same tier.
I would slightly lean the guys that went day 2, but I mean, I think Estime's in that tier. Like I said, I
think his landing spot's better than Lloyd's for sure.
Agreed. I would say it's even better than the Rams too, knowing Kyron's there.
I don't know. I think the schematic advantage the Rams have is really, really awesome. So that's something.
I mean, Sean Payton has let some really
Sean Payton's been great. He's been a running back kingmaker over his career. So,
and I'll say right now, Kyron Williams is a better football player than Javonte Williams is right now. At least what we saw from this past season. Maybe Javonte gets back to that level, more efficient player the 2nd year removed, but last year he was objectively inefficient. You get a running back that has shown to be efficient working at Notre Dame, playing against Ohio State last year. Like I said, I thought he was the best player on that field. Notre Dame offense, Ohio State defense. Audric Estime was dominant in that game.
Yeah, he was, man. He's okay. Meister 24 is his name on Flock.
Let me know.
Okay, so it looks like, you were also it's funny because there's someone on our site whose name is Mystery Meat, which is fucking me up. Meister 24 last charged. Yeah, February 3rd. It looks like you were charged for an annual subscription, Cody. So
with our code?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's set. Perfect.
Yeah, he's set. He's good. You're good until, I guess, February of 2025.
Makes sense.
Hey, Henry's on board. I always feel bad because Henry reminds us that we once told him to trade off of Chris Olave for a 2024 first or a 2023 first because the class was supposed to be better. But I will tell you, Henry, no
I
more
did the
Rager
exact
over
same thing.
Jefferson
Trust
or
me.
Mayer over Laporta. I did actually have Mayer over Laporta last year, so I will say that was a bit of a goof on my part. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, the
And
FSC prospect model has Jefferson as like the 6th best prospect in the since 2016, and Jaylen Reagor is the 5th worst wide receiver to get drafted in the first round. So I don't know whose analytics people were following when they took Jaylen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, but nothing should have told you to do that. I guess the difference was, we don't like slot receivers. Like that's what people were saying about Jefferson.
maybe
When he was coming out of
Jefferson
school,
was a
which is
beast.
strange.
Jefferson was a beast.
Yeah, literally. The one thing that I keep coming back to too is like, if Bo Nix is a franchise quarterback, how much better do all of these players look? Like how much better? Like Franklin obviously got to play with him in college, so that we're expecting. But Sutton could look better. Mims could look better. Javonte and Estime could look better out of the backfield.
Johnson
could look
next year.
better. Yeah. I love Bo Nix, man. I can't believe that sentence is coming out of my mouth after the Bo Nix that I saw at Auburn. But I think he's a criminally underrated quarterback prospect. I think he was a better prospect than Will Levis. I think he's a better prospect than Kenny Pickett, who went in the first round. I'm surprised that people are like poo-pooing this second or this 12th overall pick, Bo Nix. Like, what a reach. It's like, maybe they reached on him a little bit, but if you believe the guy's a franchise quarterback and he's a good fit for your offense and he was the best fit for your offense out of any quarterback in this draft, then yeah, I think it's a fine pick.
By the way, speaking of Bo Nix, Sean Payton was asked why he believes Bo Nix is the ideal fit for his offense. And it kind of echoes exactly what we were saying. Like, I feel pretty good with the takes that we had on Bo Nix being very good and being a smart, cerebral quarterback, especially pre-snap, because Sean Payton echoed a lot of that. He says here, he's extremely intelligent, really smart, handled a lot of the protections at Oregon. When you watch him, it's pretty calming. He's very efficient, and it's not just because of the underneath throws. You do see a ton of NFL throws littered in their offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe there's 308 of you guys degenerate enough to be watching us on day 3 of the NFL draft. Shout out to you guys, honestly.
Yeah, we're 2 hours and 30 minutes in as well.
I know.
Love it.
Also, can NFL.com figure out their fucking NFL draft tracker? Because I used to like use this last year to like keep track of the picks.
Bro. It's so delayed.
It's not even working right now for me.
I do refresh it. I'm at New Orleans Saints.
It's literally not even working.
Fantasy relevant. That's interesting.
All right.
He's good, man. He's good.
I like when knuckleheads get drafted to the Saints.
By the way, am I crazy or does he low-key kind of look like Jermaine Burton?
Yeah, he does kind of look like Jermaine Burton. You're correct.
But
okay, Spencer Rattler, new quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr is complete dust, so maybe he actually gets on the field at some point this year. The pros for Spencer Rattler, he's got a good arm, as was if you guys remember Spencer Rattler, the Devy prospect, you would know that he got like Mahomes comparisons coming out of high school. He has good accuracy, actually one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this class. You can see there, 89.2% catchable pass percentage in his career, or sorry, not in his career. This season was actually the best in this class, including Bo Nix, who was like extremely accurate. Pocket presence is definitely pretty solid. Playmaking, able to work through his progressions. The negatives against Spencer Rattler were some of the personality stuff aside. He's an older prospect. He took a lot of sacks. He plays a little bit of hero ball. His efficiency metrics are pretty lackluster in terms of like, his PFF grade beyond that sophomore year at Oklahoma when he actually had like a pretty good season. He hasn't really been that good in terms of an efficiency quarterback, and his eye discipline's kind of weak too. I noticed him staring down receivers and not looking off safeties and that kind of thing. So with Spencer Rattler, interesting developmental starter. My comp for him here is Matt Corral. I actually really liked Matt Corral coming out of Ole Miss. I thought he was like a good like day 2 quarterback to take a shot on, and Spencer Rattler's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. My comp was a slender Baker, where if he hits at the next level, that's the type of quarterback I can see him being. I don't think he's got like a top 10 quarterback in the league type of ceiling, but if you're getting him on day 3, he can become like what Kirk Cousins developed to in round 3. Obviously, I'm not going to say like Dak Prescott because I think Dak Prescott is that tier above, but basically these recent day 3 quarterbacks that have eventually gone on to handle starting jobs, I think Rattler can be a starting quarterback in the league. So getting him in the 5th round versus getting Michael Penix at 8th overall, I didn't have that much of a discrepancy between them in my grading.
Yeah, no, there's not a huge difference between those two guys, honestly, which is pretty wild to say about a guy that went day 3 and a guy that went 8th overall
8
in the
versus
draft. But I
150.
honestly didn't see a huge difference between those two guys when I graded them.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, by the way, if you're watching the Spencer Rattler highlights, tell me fucking it just didn't make you even higher on Xavier. All jokes aside, that's obviously not how you analyze film, but Xavier Legette was just absolutely shitting on people in that Spencer Rattler reel. Did you see that?
Oh, he was. Yeah, he was.
Um,
This running back class just went to the worst spots possible. I hate to tell you guys this, but if you were relying on this running back class to help fill out your team, it was probably not a good plan to begin with because the class in general just isn't good. So,
Yeah.
and we knew the NFL wasn't going to like them too.
Yeah, for sure. So we left laughing faces. Bo Nix is what everyone was expecting Pickett and Levis to be. Not you guys, just the consensus. Yeah, like I mean, I still think Levis is going to be good.
I think
after what we saw in
Levis
year
is
one,
different because Levis was a projection and like
he's
the type of
got a big
quarterback that
arm.
has like better tools than Nick's. But I actually don't think like when I look at Levis's arm versus Nick's arm, I think Levis's arm is better, but I don't think it's like outrageously better.
I think Levis definitely has a stronger arm, but if you're talking about throwing
I keep saying this about Bo Nix. I think his tools are very underrated, similar to Baker.
He's got solid tools, yeah, for sure.
Baker coming out of college had like a really strong fastball, and I think that Nix has a strong fastball as well. And I also know that Nix can throw with touch and he can put a lot of air under the ball. He just can't make the mentally deranged throws that Caleb Williams can make.
For sure. I mean, I talked about it. Like his super high-end comp, if he reaches his ceiling as a player, like it's not too dissimilar of what Dak Prescott has become. And again, you guys know how high I am on Dak Prescott. Top 5 to 8 quarterback in the league for me. Like if Bo Nix can take on that system, he has some mobility. Like I said, while he doesn't have an A+ arm, like a B+, A- type of arm. And the thing that I always get back to is the cerebral ability, the pre-snap ability of Bo Nix. I do see some signs of, again, I'm not going to say Dak Prescott has the full ceiling, but if he can become even 80% of Dak Prescott, like that's a really, really good pick at 12th overall.
Well, yeah, and especially if I think he's coming into a situation that's going to be really friendly for him. He's going to get to start from week 1. Like nobody's buying Jarrett Stidham, right? Like nobody's buying Jarrett Stidham starting week 1. I think Bo Nix is going to start week 1. He played 6 years in college. He's pro ready. He has his number 1 receiver from his college football team playing with him. And he has Cortland Sutton, who's a consummate pro, Marvin Mims, who's an interesting slot receiver, and Javonte Williams and Audric Estime out of the backfield. Now Greg Dulcich, who we like at tight end. Like it's a good offensive line. It's a good coaching staff and a relatively good front office as well. Like I think he's pretty well set up right now to be, if I think he's a good player and he's going to be the next Baker Mayfield, this is probably why they were in on Baker Mayfield. They wanted Baker Mayfield in free agency. Denver was heavily connected to him. It's because him and Bo Nix run the offense the same. It's their good pre-snap read quarterbacks. I think Nix doesn't even have the bonehead decisions that Baker Mayfield somehow has. If he becomes Baker Mayfield minus the bonehead decisions, we're talking about a top 12 quarterback in the league, top 15 quarterback in the league. Yeah,
no, I agree. So that's why I said, like, I view Dak higher, but if it was 80% of Dak, that's probably what he would look like. So makes sense. Saints franchise quarterback. He could potentially, and maybe not franchise, but starting quarterback. I can see maybe not this year, but going into 2025. When do the guarantees
out for the Jake Haener bags?
Yeah, fuck.
My 4th round rookie pick in a lot of drafts last year. There goes my camera.
I just put my webcam on. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I'll just I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna change my battery. Mine looks terrible.
Mine looks so blurry, but hey, we chill. Like the swap for Rattler. Agree. Bo Nix is 24 though. Don't we have age concerns? Not really, to be honest. Like certainly, like in terms of the ceiling, but I do feel like right now today he's a starting caliber NFL quarterback. So
Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, all these guys coming out of school, age is way more important for wide receivers than it is for quarterbacks, honestly.
Yeah. Agreed. I think you pretty much nailed that. My running back core is non-existent. Herbert, Madison, Sanders, Gainwell. Should I invest in any of this year's running backs if they are available late? I mean, it depends in terms of the cost, I would say. Like, I'm not going to reach above these great receiver prospects just to get a running back, if that's what you're asking. But preying on the Saints' downfall is always funny. Yeah, he hates the Saints for sure. Half the prospects are 24. How about O-line? Yeah, I agree with you there when it comes to Rattler. Light-skinned Drew Brees. I mean, that would be hilarious. NFL draft track has been awful until you accept deny cookies. Yeah, I know it's working now for me, which is nice at least. Yes, he does. I called that the other day, Danny. Rattler to the Saints. Yeah, no, that's a good call by you there, Corey. Good call. Jake Shaner shares. Yeah. What's the earliest you're taking him in a rookie draft? Spencer Rattler? Or who are you talking about? Are you talking about Rattler? If that's the case, I mean, still a 5th-round quarterback. It's still a risky pick. Like I wouldn't select them anywhere before the round 4, to be honest. There's just too many good running back and wide receivers. Like maybe if that's the 312, you start considering, but even still, like I'm going to stack up my board, and I can tell you right now, he's probably going to be in that mid-4th round area. Rattler paying before Penix, not asking better, but who projects to play sooner? I mean, it's probably, I'm just going to go with the draft capital there of playing sooner, but I do see a world where it could be Rattler. It's just, I'm going to trust Penix there, because there's still the possibility that, who knows? Kirk Cousins off the Achilles, doesn't look the same. Maybe gets hurt early, older quarterback, and he steps in. But I mean, I'm just going to trust the draft capital. NFL mobile app is trash, always has been. I hate how they don't seem to care about development of it, even though they have money over fist on NFL Plus. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, ESPN too, for example, just fired everyone that basically made that brand, and then now have kind of been struggling.
Yeah, I can't believe they fired McShay. Like, can't you fire like obviously it's sad when anybody has to lose their job and stuff, but like a guy that has like a huge on-air camera presence, it seems odd to like move off from guys like that as opposed to like people behind the scenes that nobody's ever heard of. I don't know. That seems odd to me.
Yeah, for sure. Who'd the Eagles just pick? Wow, that's kind of interesting. Actually relevant.
Yeah, not really. Not according to the prospect model. He's not.
No. I mean, in terms of real life, in terms of fantasy, yeah, no, like he's not got a ceiling at all. But in terms of like schematic fit, maybe they want that underneath yak receiver to complement Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. It's not bad. I would take Malik Washington.
I'm not allowed to get off this stream until Jalen Coker gets drafted.
Hopefully it's to Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure did Aeneas Smith not get a reception perception?
I don't know actually.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing Harmon say he wasn't bad. But I mean, like the production is just like not there at all.
Yeah. Cheers.
What? Oh, you got sushi? Oh, yeah. I fucking wish. I mean, to be fair, I had my wings yesterday, so we're like.
I'm eating it like a white guy with my hands right now, but I'm on a stream, so I'm not going to sit here with chopsticks and fiddle around with that.
Sushi's so gas, bro. There are actual people out there that are scared to eat fish. Washington was right there. Thank God he's not an Eagle. Sorry, not sorry. I don't want him on the Eagles. Fuck that franchise. What in the world are the Cowboys doing at running back? Probably going to be their next pick, to be honest. Unless, I mean, like, if they traded 2025 capital, they would have done it by now. So I don't know what they're planning. Maybe one just falls to him. Oh, dude, hear me out. You lost Tony Pollard in free agency. Why not get the next Tony Pollard with Tyrone Tracy?
Jaylen Wright is off the board, Danny.
Yeah, fair. I mean, my comp would Tony Pollard too. I mean, hell, even you, if I told you can get Antonio Gibson in the 5th round, you'd take it. That was your comp for him. Zeke is the plan. It's an awful plan. I'll tell you how it works out. He averages 3.7 yards per carry. We're going to be wishing we drafted young legs if we don't take a running back.
Yeah, and you're going to fire everyone.
I mean, hear me out, dude. If it's Tyrone Tracy and they do sign Zeke, like Zeke's the type of running back you would want ahead of Tyrone Tracy while he gets used to NFL speed. It's just Zeke and Tony Pollard all over again, but 2024 version.
LOL. Got food poisoning the only time he had sushi. That's a tough ask.
Yeah. By the way, we've had Harmon and Winks on in the past. We'll figure something out this offseason with some guests. We'll try to get an arsenal going. Oh, always fun doing.
I'm not gonna lie, getting guests is like effort that like sometimes I don't feel like doing. Like,
oh, trust me,
I love getting guests on the channel. I love interacting with other people, but especially when you want the big boys, man. Like Harmon's a busy dude. It's hard to.
Oh yeah,
it's hard to get guys like that on the channel, especially when like realistically
especially in busy time.
Yeah, it's the busy time for them too, and they're not
getting for us
really anything out of it. Like we're way smaller analysts than Matt Harmon. Like everyone that follows us knows who Matt Harmon is already.
Yeah, And the other thing too, I mean, like we've also with the draft guide, with the work we've been doing on the site, like it's just been very busy for us as well. Especially like we've been recording all the film breakdowns. You did some of the tail of the tapes earlier on too. Like it's just a really busy time for anybody involved, and I'm sure for Matt Harmon especially too, with the profiles he was writing up for the site as well. But yeah.
Any head scratching picks outside of Penix is a good question.
Early?
Just in general.
Can't think off my head.
Marshawn Lloyd to the Packers is a bit head scratching to me. But it's
Yeah,
running
I guess,
back.
but it
Never
makes
have
sense.
too many. AJ Dillon is literal ass.
I'm never gonna call a late day 2 running back pick a head scratcher, to be honest, because we see teams do that shit all the time.
Pearsall.
I would say, huh? Wait, what?
Slick Rick in the first round's a bit head scratching.
Oh, right, yeah, Pearsall. I thought you said Pierre Strong. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, Pearsall.
I mean, like, as much as I love Leggett, I was shocked that he went round 1. I'll say that. I was shocked he went round 1. Especially given the nature, they traded up 1 pick to get him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why Dylan blows donkey chunks, Mr. Cement Shoes. Yeah, Dylan is bad. Like, I'll give you that.
Dylan stinks, but you just signed Jacobs. That's kind of why. Like I could have seen them taking a running back, but like it probably would have been like Tyrone Tracy in round 5 or 6. Like I didn't expect them to spend a round 3 pick on one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Corey asked, did you see my draft question? I believe this is the one he's talking about. I have Bryce in a 1 quarterback league. Should I draft that stack? Leggett, Brooks, Sanders. I have 201, 202,
Sanders,
203, 205,
too early for
206,
me.
208, 209. Well, in a 1 quarterback league, if Bryce is is he your only quarterback, or is he just the fact that you have Bryce?
It's the league we've broken. It's a league we've broken down in Dynasty decisions. The team isn't in the greatest of shapes.
Okay, well, if you have this, if you're only drafting him because you have the stack, probably not. But you do have a number of picks where Leggett could go, so I'm fine getting Leggett at some point with one of those picks.
For sure.
But I would potentially focus on getting a quarterback with 201, 202, or 203 as well. Like if Bryce is your only quarterback, I don't know if you have another quarterback or not.
I mean, he's got bigger needs. He does,
but like getting Caleb or something at 201 would also qualify as being a good pick.
Not trolling for once. Why is BTJ over Knicks for the rookie rankings? Well, I had it that way pre-draft. Obviously, the first round capital for Knicks does matter, 12th overall, but I also would argue Brian Thomas going 23rd to the Jags is probably the nuts landing spot that we could have possibly had for him. For me, it'd be Brian Thomas.
I have Knicks over Thomas Jr., but I also have Worthy over Knicks.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, you want to talk about nutted landing spots. Like, I think Worthy going to the Chiefs is more explainable over Knicks than Thomas to the Jags, personally.
I wouldn't agree.
I was lower on the prospect than you were, though.
I loved Brian Thomas Jr. I think
I like him too, but
the
immediate short-term projection of the Jags landing spot isn't as good as Worthy's, in my opinion.
I would disagree. They traded for
you would disagree that you get Mahomes in one of these situations.
Yeah, sure, but like basically with my pre-draft standing that Worthy was a wide receiver 7, Thomas was my wide receiver 4. Like Brian Thomas goes to the Jaguars, big arm quarterback that can stretch the field, and as bad as Ridley was last year, like he was still 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown receiver.
Right. I think one would argue that Kirk, Davis, and Ingram's presence would maybe be somewhat concerning early on in his career.
That basically existed last year for Ridley. And Ridley was coming off 2 years. Sure. And then, I mean, is Davis really going to be that much of a fixture?
No, he's not. I'm just saying maybe the role that Gabe Davis is playing is the one you ideally want for Thomas Jr. And that's why he's maybe not able to get a whole allotment of snaps right away in his career.
I would argue his idea. I mean, first of all, I think he's going to get a allotment of snaps because he was taken in the first round. Second of all, I would argue his ideal role is what they were trying to pigeonhole Ridley into, coming off of 2 years of absence, not being that schematic type of player. Brian Thomas, the big athlete it is, working down the field, especially when you're talking about, Trevor Lawrence has one of the bigger arms in the league. Like, are we at all shocked that Brian Thomas, I guess as a rookie, it sounds outlandish to say, but if Trevor Lawrence throws 30 touchdowns, like Brian Thomas can easily have 12, 13 touchdowns next year.
Yeah, I would say that is a pretty optimistic.
It's optimistic, 100%.
Yeah.
But if Trevor Lawrence is throwing a lot of touchdowns, like Are we at all shocked if Brian Thomas leads the Jags in touchdowns? And what number would
No,
that
we're
look
not
like if he
shocked,
did?
but I agree with Brock that Nick should be ahead of him.
I disagree. Again, I love Knicks, but I just see massive ceiling, like what Nico Collins this year within the next couple of years for Brian Thomas, because that's what I believe he is as a player. But it's basically like what you view with Xavier Worthy. If the receiver is good enough and he could be valued as a top 15 dynasty asset, a wide receiver after this year, which I think Brian Thomas can, you think Worthy can, yes, I would take that over the quarterback 2 projection.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, that's what it comes down to for me.
Henry asked how many leagues we're in. I'm in 12. What about you?
I'm in around there as well. I'm similar. I might be in like 13 or 14.
I'm in 11 Dynasty, 1 Debbie, but they're all super flex.
Let me count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 leagues. But we did get a super here from Matthew. He says, thoughts on Javon Baker? I'm a huge pass fan. What do you all think? Absolutely in love with the pick, and I think he's the perfect fit for that offense. Like we mentioned earlier, Jaylen Polk can operate as your Z, Demario Douglas potentially in your slot. I think Javon Baker is your long-term X for a quarterback like Drake May, who, I mean, I just mentioned it with Trevor Lawrence, why I love the upside of Brian Thomas from a touchdown standpoint. I think Trevor Lawrence could be a 30-plus passing touchdown player. I think that's definitely in the range of outcome for Drake May. And when Drake May is starting to throw 30 touchdowns a year, Javon Baker's the type of player with the deep playability, with the physicality he brings to the boundary to score a ton of touchdowns in that offense.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that take on Baker. He's definitely a solid option. Cody said seafood is a delight. Visited the West Coast a few times this year, and the crab halibut is always so good. You have no idea how excited I am to go to Italy, dude. Sicily especially is like seafood city.
You're making me jealous, bro. You're making me jealous.
Sicily is like the seafood capital of the culinary world.
I haven't been to Europe in my life, bro. I haven't been anywhere outside of North America. Actually, correction. I've been to like Cuba and Dominican, but like those are like, oh shit, we're staying at a resort. You know what I mean?
Mexico's hella fun too, man. I've been to Mexico a couple times now, and it's really fun.
I would fit right in.
Although that is technically North America also.
I mean, it's Central America.
No, it's not. It's in North America though.
Fair, but am I?
I mean, location, it's not, but it is. It's part of North America. I'm pretty sure.
Is it? I feel like people have categorized it as Central America because it's like split.
No, Central America is like Brazil and shit. I'm pretty sure
that's South.
Hold on. Yeah, Mexico is part of North America.
So categorized, but technically speaking of the Americas, it's literally like in the center of South and North. It's like literally like if you were to say the border, it's weird. Yeah,
I agree with you, but it is connected to the United States.
Sure, yeah,
and it's part of North America.
Fantasy relevant to the Browns, by the way.
Jabari, I don't know how relevant, wide receiver to the Cleveland Browns. Why couldn't you guys have taken Jalen Coker? Like, can't you do anything right, Cleveland?
That's just like the Elijah Moore backup, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Like
the shittier athlete, worse production profile, Elijah Moore.
Yeah. No, I wasn't saying it was a continent, Brock, but I know people have referred to Mexico as Central America. I know it's not technically geographically a Central America. Like, I know that's not a continent.
Anyways, I think the 3-hour mark, Danny, is a good time to sign off here. Probably.
At least make
if you want to stay on, you can. I'm going to sign off at the 3-hour mark.
Have the Bucks picked yet this round? Oh, right. You got Bucky Irving. You're not even going to make it to the end of the 5th round with me?
Come on. Really, no. I'm going to my brother's for dinner in the Leaf game and shit. And I got to go to the store and pick up something to bring there and stuff. So I got some shit to do. I have to prioritize over the 7th round of the NFL draft or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even the end of the 5th, but fair if you're busy. And like the Cowboys are going to pick in like 15, 20 minutes. You don't even want to wait for that. Okay. Never mind. I got my answer. Okay. Central America. So you guys are both right. Elijah Moore was supposed to be a stud, yet another terrible. So yeah, I mean, the process was there. I mean, if you want to talk about his profile, he's one of the best 2nd round profiles. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain away Elijah Moore, and I would take the shot on Elijah Moore 10 times out of 10 with that profile. So yeah, bro, I'm sweating the 103 Debbie pick so bad. Fuck the Bruins, bro. I'm cheering.
Don't ever say that again. You're gonna get banned from this chat immediately.
I'm cheering against both those teams tonight. Oh, but actually, I want to point this out to you. So, you know who's going to the game tonight? Got tickets.
Who?
So Marco's uncle got three free tickets to go to the game. So Marco, his dad, and his uncle are going, and it's basically Marco celebrating his birthday weekend.
Shit.
So like he's got free tickets.
A guy celebrating his birthday weekend in his mid-20s.
No. But like we were gonna go out tonight, but it's not his birthday weekend. But like his birthday is on the weekend.
I know, but
that's not what I meant.
When you hear the term birthday weekend, don't you think of like girls you went to high school with celebrating their birthday for the whole weekend?
It's always the two dumbest bitches pointing at each other saying yes when they make a point.
Yeah, exactly. They celebrate birthday weekend, so that's why when you just said birthday weekend, I'm like, do guys do that?
It's like every time you see like a group of 5+ girls ready to go out, they'll be like, "Yes, bitches, you ready?"
Yeah, it's birthday weekend. They got to do like 8 different things.
Birthday weekend,
seems
bitches.
Exhausting to me. Like to celebrate that much, it's like
facts.
Stay on.
It's just like, woo, we're going to Vegas this weekend. Birthday weekend, bitches.
Danny's white girl impressions killer.
Oh man, he said deuces, Danny. How do you feel about the rookie quarterbacks in redraft? That's interesting. Like, if you mean by best ball, like I feel like their ADP is not going to change too much, other than Bo Nix and Michael Penix obviously rising. But in terms of redraft, it's tough to say, man. Like quarterback one's got to be Caleb for you, right? In redraft, knowing that he's going to start, knowing the weapons at hand.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, where's he
Jaylen would have an argument just because of the rushing, but
Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert in redraft?
Justin Herbert.
I think I gotta go Caleb.
He's got McConkey. He's fine.
It's got Ladd. Yeah, no, but that's about the range. Like, if I told you over under ADP, Caleb Williams 12.5 at quarterback going into redraft, you think it's the over or the under? That's a good line.
The over, I would say, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks in redraft this year.
It's fair. People are loving it. The food in Italy will change you. I need to go to Italy, man. I'm so fucking pissed that I haven't been to Europe, especially knowing how Italian I am. Bruins are gonna clap them. Bruins. You guys are
getting timed out for this. Putting Jared in timeout.
Oh, you timed them out. You didn't ban them, right?
Well, it says he was banned and his comments were removed. I really hope I didn't ban him.
I hope you didn't. That would have been very nice.
I put user in timeout. Hopefully that wasn't ban user and delete their. Hold on.
I would ask Jared what happened, but he can't type in chat.
Shit. Okay. Hopefully I didn't just. Jared's a loyal dude here. I don't want to be.
Dude, he's a beast. I love Jared.
I don't want to be throwing here. Hold on.
Dude, I'll give him a burner YouTube account if he needs it, if he was legit banned. Fuck. Bruins. I mean, Drusif also said Bruins, but he might just ban him too by accident. Hopefully you didn't.
I'm looking through.
Okay. Dude, I'm trolling you. When it says timeout, it usually just says banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it would say like 5 minutes or whatever.
Maybe, but hopefully that's not what happened. I mean, worst case scenario, if you did, you could literally just go onto the channel and unban them.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay. Holding down the 4, always good time. Let's go. I'm not cheering for either of those scum teams. The Bruins and the Leafs can just beat each other up and then lose to the Panthers next round for all I care. Go Habs.
What the hell does it matter to you? You guys are so irrelevant that you're fucking drafted first every year.
I want you guys to go into a physical, hard-nosed 7-game series between the Bruins and the Leafs, and either of those teams get swept by the Panthers next round. That's how I'm playing it. Last season ticks to the Bruins, had them since 2010. That's a W by Gabe Davis. I mean, it makes sense. Hey, Gabe, I mean, yeah, how close is wait, where's Gabe Davis? No, he's from UCF. What am I talking about? I was trying to make a joke, but it just didn't work out at all.
Italy isn't in Europe. It's in Central Europe. That's funny.
Yeah. Birthday weekend is coming up. Yes, bitches. Birthday weekend. That's week sauce. B-day month or go home. Amen.
Birth year.
Y'all coming? Fuck, for real. The year 2000 was quite the special year. Y'all coming or what? Addison's value in a 12-team one quarterback. I have ARSB, JSN, Cup, London. Just don't know if I trust Addison. His numbers with Jefferson playing weren't great, or do I try and move off JSN? Well, for starters, Kirk also just shredded his Achilles. So that stretch with Addison and JSN, Addison and Jefferson in the lineup also has come with some Nick Mullins, right? Like how many games did he play with Jefferson?
Yeah, there was a little bit of Nick Mullins in there, but I think there was
Jefferson got hurt in week 3.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. He did.
That's what I mean.
So it's a small sample size that we're talking about. And it was also his first 3 games of his career.
That's what I mean. I asked the same earlier. What did you ask? I asked me no answers. What did you ask, Stefan?
Sorry, what did you say? Oh, we'll go back to it.
Okay, so this is the same question, I guess, for him as chasing breakers. If May slips at 106 or 107, do you trade up to get him? Yes, easily. He's my 103. Absolutely.
Yeah. I saw Cheryl say this a couple times. I think May or JJ. I have Jefferson. You're still going May.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have Jefferson or not.
Listen, go blue. I love JJ McCarthy, but the answer is Drake May.
Yeah, I need the Bills to pick Jalen Coker right here.
No, he's a Cowboy. He's a Cowboy.
No, never again.
He's a Cowboy.
I don't want him on the Cowboys because then I have to root for him.
He's a Cowboy. Get him.
I want to hit okay. Stefan said, where is Malik Washington? Maybe that's the question he's referring to. I was just looking for his question. Malik Washington, for some reason, isn't going. I'm not sure why. I thought he was like 13th best receiver in the class, 14th best receiver in the class, and he's not going here. So hopefully Malik Washington can hear his name called pretty soon. To me, he was like, Jared said, Corey, what the bloody hell? He just emailed me.
Wait, what?
He must have gotten fully banned.
You did ban him. Oh my God. Unban him.
I don't know how to do that.
What the fuck?
What are the odds I can banana as him?
Did you get banned? I'll fix it. What the heck? No, not the Ricci, man. Big J Red. Big J Red. Gotta get him back in here. I don't know if you have the choice there. Hate to see it. So Caleb Williams will have to pass the ball about 550 times for DJ Moore to get his usual 118 plus targets a season. Y'all think it's plausible? Stroud had 499 pass attempts with 2 games missed. I'd be shocked if Caleb Williams didn't throw the ball over 550 times, knowing the pass catchers at hand there and knowing their main RB1 is DeAndre Swift, who's more of a receiving back anyways. So I'd be shocked if they weren't like one of the top 15 offenses in terms of pass volume. And he's figuring out how to unban Jared. I asked the same earlier. Never got into hockey because Wisconsin doesn't have a hockey team, sadly. Yeah, it's weird that Wisconsin doesn't have hockey, especially considering it's one of the colder states. Like, we view Minnesota as like the hockey state of America, and like Wisconsin has similar weather to Minnesota now.
Yeah, and I know JJ Watt and TJ Watt grew up playing hockey in Minnesota.
We got him back, baby. Let's go.
Okay, so he was timed out. Says timeout. Yeah, I banned you. Don't say go Bruins in my chat.
He was playing the victim the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a timeout. I thought you unbanned.
It's a timeout. Okay. Don't say Bruins ever again. You're good. No Saints positivity or Bruins positivity in my chat.
And I'll make the claim. I agree with Bruins, and I'll add the Eagles onto there. If I have to hear,
I don't like the Eagles either, so I'm okay with that.
Again. That's how to kiss ass. That's how you kiss ass. I love it.
Bucks are getting #1 pick next year. That's bad.
Danny Strong, baby. If you guys don't know, the origin of that is when I was sick a couple months ago.
Yeah,
I mean, it might have been longer than a couple months.
That. How are we feeling about Bryce Young coming out of the draft? Would you trade for him, and what's the value? That's a good topic to talk about, actually. How do we feel about Bryce Young? He hasn't gained any tiers for you, has he? Like, has he worked his way into the area of the Tua Dak Prescott area? Is he still behind those guys comfortably?
Easily behind. Tua.
I mean, I had him at 19, which I think was aggressive before, and I think he's still ranked in that range. Like, to me, I have Bryce Young, Will Levis, Bo Nix, Jared Goff, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, and Michael Penix Jr. in my tier 5 of quarterbacks. So we're talking QB 19 to QB 25.
For reference, you said the Tua Dak area. I do have Dak pretty significantly higher. So in terms of
I have
Tua,
Purdy,
though,
McCarthy, Tua, and Dak in one tier ahead of those guys.
I would have it McCarthy, Prescott, Purdy, and then
Well,
Tua
that's not
slightly.
significantly higher. It's
No,
one
fair.
spot higher than I have Prescott.
Fair.
Where's
I
Tua
have
for
Dak
you?
16. 18.
Okay. Is he in the tier with Bryce for you?
Let me see where I have him ranked, but he was kind of like between the tiers, if that makes sense. Because I am worried about the long term for him. So he's my 41st overall player. JJ's 27, Dak 32, Brock Purdy 33 right now.
Right.
That's how I have it. So, and then after that, Will Levis is 60, Bo Nix 61, Bryce Young 62. But I think you can even make the argument, which I will actually, I'm going to update this, of Will Levis, Bo Nix, and Bryce Young even being higher. Because technically speaking, Bo Nix, I haven't adjusted my rankings yet on Fantasy Pros, but he's listed behind Brooks, he's listed behind Kyron, he's listed behind HN, and realistically, Bo Nix is probably going to end up being where, like, I got to ask you this, Bo Nix or Travis Etienne in a startup right now?
It would depend on my team, probably.
Bo Nix or Michael
Etienne
Pittman?
if I needed a running back.
Bo Nix or Michael Pittman?
Probably Pittman.
That's about the range I have it, because then after it would be Zay Flowers, and I think Bo Nix, Zay Flowers again.
I have Flowers ahead of Pittman.
Fair. Okay, but regardless, that's the type of area for me. So we're talking about Bo Nix probably being in the 50 to 60 range, which if you're doing the math, man, like that's a 5th round startup pick. Like Mac Jones was going about this range after his rookie season, and I viewed Bo Nix as a better projection than Mac Jones even was.
So let me ask you this question then. Are we taking Bryce Young, Will Levis, Bo Nix, rank them?
Where do I have them ranked right now, respectively? I have Levis, Nix, Young. In that exact order, back to back to back.
So you have Nix ahead of Levis, or out of Bryce then?
Slightly, but again, it's subjective. If they're in the same tier, back to back to back, I think you can make the claim for any of them.
I have them Bryce 68, Levis 74, Nix 75. That's how I have.
Yeah, I just have those quarterbacks higher comparatively, though. Actually, like when I sort through it, again, I'm going to overhaul my rankings after the draft right now.
Yeah,
too.
so am I. I'm like doing them completely from scratch,
off the head. Yeah, Cowboys are picking soon. Hopefully, a running back.
But yeah, so the goal in terms of rankings, in case you guys are curious, we're going to have our rookie rankings done today. Definitely.
Yes, easily.
Overall dynasty rankings probably done today also, but definitely by tomorrow, like morning. And then I want to do a huge update to the dynasty trade value chart, because I want to do like a trade targets by position, like we've done every couple months, post NFL draft during the week this week, probably like Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So the dynasty trade value chart should see a major update as well by like, Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. So again, that's also available on the site if you guys are curious. I'm going to answer one last question, and then I'm going to hop off of here. Danny, if you want to stay on longer, by all means. But
I'll probably sign off after the 5th round, because the Cowboys pick the 3rd last pick of the 5th round. So I kind of just want to see that before I hop off. But I mean, to be fair, that's going to happen probably in the next 10 minutes anyway. So yeah, I will probably stay on for the next 10 to 15.
True. Okay. Yeah, I got some errands to do, so I'm gonna have to.
That's fine.
Christian Jones, hook him. Nice. Anthony L. currently sitting at 205 and 206 picks in a 12-man super flex. Penix, Leggett, and Pearsall are up. Is it worth grabbing Penix even if I'm loaded at quarterback? I mean Penix at 205 is pretty decent value. Leggett, I actually have one spot ahead of Penix, so that would be my first pick. But if you have 205 and 206, I'd be fine just taking both players.
Sure. 19. You were 1 in 19. Oh, shoot. So you're. Why did I always think, like, I just assumed Jared was like 28, 29 years old.
Yeah, 1980, man. I mean, we're talking what, 44 years ago?
Attaboy. Yeah. So you saw the prime of the Packers, the Cowboys. I'm saying that like I sound so young saying that.
Yeah, Danny. It's funny that Danny's been cheering basically for a poverty franchise his whole fandom of the Cowboys.
That's what I don't get. People want to say, "Oh, Danny, bandwagon fan, loves the Cowboys." Like, dude, they haven't won fucking jack shit since I was born. I was born in 2000. Last time they won a Super Bowl was in 96. Like,
yeah. Yves says, Brees plus Waddle or Lamb, 10 teams, start 9 dynasty. Okay, this will be the last question I answer. Brees plus Waddle or Lamb? I think I would take Brees and Waddle there, to be honest, because I have Brees and Lamb like relatively like within this 8 pick range in a startup. Like I have Brees, I think at like
10 teams start 9. I'm taking Lamb. 10-team
I
start.
have
9, I'm
Brees,
taking
I think, at like 20 in a startup, and here, let me look actually. I have
Dude,
Brees
10-team
Hall at
start 9 is
21,
Lamb.
and I have CeeDee Lamb at 10. So we're talking about 11 spot difference, and Jaylen Waddle's definitely a good enough guy to move the needle for me there. So I would roll with Brees and Waddle there.
Give me Lamb. 10-team
Start 9 too. Running back have a little bit more value in that spot.
Studs also really matter, which is why
Brees is a stud. He's the second best player at his position.
He's awesome, but CeeDee Lamb is literally my wide receiver 1, and he's my 6th or 7th overall player. So like,
yeah,
and a 10-team start 9,
I can't
Lamb.
envision you taking CeeDee Lamb 6 or 7 overall in a startup.
For what it's worth, I'm assuming, like, especially if this is a 1 quarterback league, like, it's Lamb. Like, I know it doesn't matter, Brees, Waddle for Lamb, like, contextually.
I mean, Waddle's no slouch, dude. Like, that's a good ass player that you're getting.
Like, sure, but I'm talking about arguably the 101 in startups in a 1 quarterback league, assuming, because you didn't mention any super flex there.
Well, I think it's a super flex league.
Even if it is, this is my 107 versus a back end second and like a 4th rounder.
Flex, yeah.
Okay, sure, but even still, that Brees Hall is like my 23rd overall player.
Okay, so
like
essentially what you're saying is for the 110, let's say
that's not my 110. That's my 106.
He's my 110. I don't believe that you would take him 106. To be honest, I think you'd
I
way
absolutely
more
would.
quarterbacks than that before him.
I absolutely would.
You're a quarterback whore, dude. There's no way you would take him 106.
I absolutely would take CeeDee Lamb 106.
Okay, well, let's say he's 106 for you. You get offered. Where do you have Brees?
24.
212? That's too low.
I have him after Gibbs. I have him after Neighbors. I have him after Bijan. I have him after Trevor. I have him after Puka, after Garrett, after Kyler, after Anthony Richardson. I don't think that's outrageous at all.
No, but I don't think he should be behind Gibbs or Puka, to be honest.
Switch him and Gibbs. It's 23 versus 24.
Neighbors and Puka, I don't agree with either. I think he should be ahead of both of those guys. But anyways, Brees, I have at 20. Let's cut the difference. You have CeeDee Lamb at 6. I have Brees Hall at 21. Let's go. You go down from 106 to, what is that? 210? Yeah. And you pick up a late 3rd rounder in the process. You're not doing that?
No. I view Jaylen Waddle as the 403 in my rankings right now. You offered me a late 2nd and a 4th rounder.
I have him at 311. So
yeah, but he's like my 403, so it's not that far off. But as in a 10-team start 9, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Brees is a bigger advantage in my opinion at his position than Lamb is at his.
Oh no, Brees is a bigger advantage at his position than Lamb is.
He's a bigger advantage. I'm not saying he's valued more because he's a
running back. Who's going top 3 in underdog best ball drafts.
More of an advantage at running back than the top 3 wide receivers are an advantage at wide receiver. I don't think that's even debatable, to be honest.
But where's the ADP right now for CeeDee Lamb in best ball drafts? He's the 102, 103.
Yeah. But CeeDee Lamb is in a position group where there's tons of great young options. There's no good options that
and he's going to score more points. He averaged over 23 PPR points per game last year.
Yeah. And Brees Hall averaged like almost 20 coming off of a torn ACL.
If you're telling me I can move off of a running back with Jaylen Waddle to get my number 1 wide receiver in Dynasty, I am making that move every single time. Now, context matters. If it's a 12-team start 12 and you need depth, sure. A 10-team start 9, it's Lamb.
Yeah. Anyways, I got to head off here. So we'll let Danny close out the stream, but I will be heading off here. Appreciate you guys for joining us for 11 total hours we've been streaming so far this weekend. Really appreciate it. We'll have, if you have any video suggestions, stuff that you really need to see this week to get ahead of your rookie draft, our plan is to break down positional rankings, tier list, the top 24 players. We'll probably break down rookie mock drafts as well. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Sleepers, wide receivers, and running backs to target and avoid. All that stuff, trade value charts, top trade targets by position. All of that will be coming in the next 2 weeks or so. So definitely stay tuned for all that. And I'll let Danny take it away. Take it easy, fellas.
Take it easy, brother. Yeah, I'll probably be signed off by the 3-hour, 30-minute mark, pending when this 5th round is done. So I'll stick with you guys for then. Yeah, I will say, Jared, that caught me off guard. You do have young whippersnapper energy, so I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Great work, not only on the streams, but all off-season. I appreciate that, Poland. Super flex makes sense. Danny at 307, who would realistically be there for me? My only pick this year after all trades. Team is loaded and then some. So I'll tell you right now, in terms of my rankings, I'm 25 deep. So that's about the 301. You're probably looking at a running back dart throughout that range. Maybe a solid wide receiver bet falls, but I'll know more for you by tomorrow. If you ask me this question tomorrow, once these rookie rankings are done, I'll tell you exactly who I have ranked at 307. So yeah. How many running backs going to good situations this year? Not enough. 10 team start 9 isn't crazy to think wide receivers start going 106. I agree with you, Pionio. 12 team start 10 Superflex traded 103 and 203 for the 105 and a 2025 first. Great process, especially if you somehow are able to get Drake May there at the 105, because in a lot of leagues, I feel like Jaden Daniels will be valued as the 103. If not him, maybe Malik Neighbors. I think Drake May should be able to slip at 105. And if you basically transferred a 203 this year to the 2025 first, that's easy process in my opinion, because I do prefer Drake May. Jacob Monk, yes, let's go. What's up? Peace out, Bushy. We're back. LOL. Live draft 204. Keon, Pearsall, AD, Leggett, Franklin here still available. I have Keon Coleman ranked the highest of that group, Eric. I love the landing spot with the Bills, 33rd overall draft capital. Love the prospect himself. He lands in the perfect landing spot, being that possession receiver, power receiver that Josh Allen needed to complement the guys like Khalil Shakir, the Curtis Samuel, the finesse element. You get that big power guy added to the core, and I think Coleman is just an underrated player. People want to talk shit about him. People want to talk about, oh, he didn't have the greatest production, or, oh, he's not the most nuanced route runner. I don't care, man. Like, I saw what I saw, and I'm going to die believing in him. Bills are addicted to trading back. Yeah, facts. I have the 204 as well, trying to figure out who I'm getting there. Right now, my current rank 204, like I said, I made it to about the 301 in my rankings. My current rank 204 would be Jonathan Brooks, which getting the RB1 in this class, whether that's Brooks or Benson, getting that the 204 pick would be an absolute steal. It just goes to show you how good this draft class is. So is Brian Thomas Jr., Penix, and Ladd, or Nix, Leggett, and Ladd a better draft haul? I have Cousins. They're very comparable, to be honest. So Nix and Leggett versus BTJ and Penix. I have Nix and Leggett ranked as my 10th and 14th overall players. I have Brian Thomas and Michael Penix as my 8th and 15th overall players. Depends. Do you want to get the stronger quarterback with the weaker comparative receiver, or do you want to get the better receiver with the worst compared quarterback? Though, to be fair, I think you're a Michael Penix fan. So if you're a Michael Penix fan, maybe that makes more sense to you. Perfect. Thank you. And plus, you do have Cousins, too. Thank you for everything. Anytime there, Jared. Trade away Christian Watson, a future 2025 second for an early 2024 second. I still don't think I can do that. As much as I love the early seconds in this class, like, I still believe in Christian Watson's projection, and giving a second plus Watson to get a second, just, I don't think I can do unless you're completely trying to consolidate. Who are you looking at with Dallas's upcoming pick? Hopefully a running back or a receiver. I would love a guy like Malik Washington. Maybe Jalen Coker finds his way. Really, honestly, I as much as I love Malik Washington, I don't think the Cowboys would be the team for him. The reason being, I think if we draft a receiver, it would probably be in the mold to take on some of those Michael Gallup reps. So I think it would be an X receiver. I think it'd be a boundary guy if we do take one. Honestly, I just think the Cowboys probably take a running back at this pick if I were to guess. You call Buffalo being a choice spot in the rookie receiver rankings a few weeks back. Good call. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic for it. Is Troy Franklin and Bo Nix combo going to do damage this year? It definitely could. I mean, Bo Nix was a guy I viewed as a top 5 quarterback in this class, a guy I thought could start right away. And I mean, Troy Franklin, despite going to the 4th round, was a top 10 ranked receiver for me. So definitely do see the upside, especially given the nature of Troy Franklin. Big play potential, speedy wide receiver, that rapport already with Bo Nix, who I think is going to start on day 1. I think that can definitely be, we always talk about our backdoor pivots and dynasty best ball drafts, but underdog best ball drafts, but I really do feel like the Broncos stack could be a nice cheap one to get. Thanks for the content as always, fellas. Appreciate that, AJ. Appreciate that. I like Penix some. I was thinking of getting Penix and locking in the Falcons starting quarterback. That's my tiebreaker. That makes sense, Brock. Yeah, I know you're a Penix guy, so if you view Penix in that regard, I don't mind that at all. Yeah. He's taking Brooks at 5, who I wanted at 6. Yeah, for sure. Asking this yesterday. Oh, Rasheen Ali actually goes to the Ravens right now. Interesting player. Can definitely fill a role in that backfield, but I don't know. He's just kind of just a guy, in my opinion. There are better running backs on the board. Asked this yesterday, but I'm in a 10-team Superflex best ball. Have Lamar, Audric, and Bryce. Would you take a receiver at 104, Romer Neighbors, over a quarterback? If you're in a 10-team Superflex best ball and you already have Lamar, Audric, and Bryce, Malik Neighbors is the pick for me, especially if the demand isn't high. Oh, or Ladd or Coleman. I mean, I have Coleman, but I would still prefer Ladd McConkey. But I do have Keon Coleman actually in that Devy league, so I feel great. Pickens to the moon. I mean, potentially he's a talented player. He's a talented player for sure. Just hoping Blake Watson has his name called today. Yeah, he was interesting. When I was watching Blake Watson, I can kind of see him being like this year's Keaton Mitchell in that regard. So that'd be interesting if he goes. McConkey over Worthy. I have McConkey one spot ahead of Worthy. Bush is going to have that the opposite. He would prefer Worthy, but they both landed in as ideal landing spots as we could have imagined. Chargers obviously getting that volume that he could potentially see in year one with not much target competition for Lab McConkey. Xavier Worthy obviously getting the nuts landing spot pairing with Patrick Mahomes. That deep speed he brings to the table there. The difference is I had McConkey rated higher pre-draft. Bush had Worthy rated higher pre-draft. Any tight ends you think will be a late round high upside option in fantasy drafts? Like if Theo Johnson's a fourth rounder, especially a late fourth, I'd probably take a couple stabs, but definitely Theo Johnson. If I'm looking for the mid rounds, I really am a big fan of Ben Sinnott. I really do feel like if anybody's going to be this year's Sam Laporta, he's got the opportunity there working in Washington. I thought he was a very refined player, definitely good after the catch. And the thing about him too is I do feel like he's a good enough blocker to be able to get on the field right away. Not to mention, getting Zach Ertz as a mentor is definitely a big plus. 12 team start, 9 super flex, no tight end premium. Have Hurts, Purdy, and Rodgers. Have 106, 201, 207, 301, 302. May will be their quarterbacks very devalued because the 3 most quarterback needy teams don't hold picks until late. If you can get, I mean, fuck, man, even with Hurts, Purdy, and Rodgers, if Drake May's there at the 106, I am taking Drake May. I'm assuming in that scenario, Roma Dunze's already off the board. Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. are already off the board. Like Drake May is my 103 ranked player. And at that point, maybe you see what you can get for Brock Purdy on the market. Maybe see if Aaron Rodgers can net you a deal, but Drake May's too much of a talent for me to pass at 106, period. Who is Rasheen Ali? So he's an interesting, day 3 type of running back. I didn't really dive too much into his tape, but thicker back, can play between the tackles. Nothing really special from the analysis I got from him. Again, I'll be honest, we're going to start getting into the range where I didn't watch a ton of these guys. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't watch much Marshall film, but I feel like, maybe he can fight for some touches on that team, but realistically, he's probably just a guy. According to the Rams, is he taking too much away from Kyron in the red zone? I mean, that's going to be the big label for people that are avoiding Kyron, but Kyron had such a set role that I'm not really worried. Could it happen? Sure. But I feel like more so he's almost a Kyron clone in terms of archetype. 5'9", 195 pounds for Kyron. Blake Corum listed at 5'8", 203 pounds, I believe. So very similar size there. And in terms of how they win, not the most athletic guys, but nuanced runners, good out of the backfield, good between the tackles. Like, honestly, Kyron is a pretty good call for Blake Corum as a pro, period. But I would take Kyron. Where do you have Leggett ranked? Leggett is currently ranked as my 14th overall ranked player. So the 202. Keep hearing about Flock Fantasy. What is it again? I'm sorry to ask. So Flock Fantasy is actually where all of our contributions go in terms of our rankings, in terms of our rookie guide, which we'll be posting there. Flock Fantasy promo code FSC will get you access to all of that content. If you do use promo code FSC, you will have priority access to Dynasty decisions on top of all of the fun stuff we got going on the site. So search it up, check it out. Obviously, we'll have some articles posted there. We did some wide receiver film breakdowns, running back film breakdowns, quarterback film breakdowns on the site too. So if you do end up signing up using promo code FSC 30% off, you'll be able to access all of that information. So if your favorite team drafted, for example, for your sake, your favorite team, we didn't get past the top 2 running backs, but point remains, if you have a team that drafted Troy Franklin, you have a team that drafted Adney Mitchell, your team drafted Xavier Worthy, we have all the breakdowns of what makes them click and why they're so appealing in terms of fantasy. So should be fun. Purdy and mid 2025 second for 110 and 111, too low for Purdy. I think he can get more than that personally. I do personally. Would you rather have Brian Thomas at the 208 in an 8-team Superflex or Leggett? I would take Brian Thomas there, Ryan. Would love to see a video about post-draft moves to make before your league mates wise up. Which picks to target, vets to move, etc. Yeah, we'll definitely have some post-NFL draft breakdown stuff that we'll do. By the way, Tyrone Tracy going to the fucking Giants. I'm absolutely disgusted because I really love Tyrone Tracy, and he could end up being their starting running back. So, fuck. I wanted him on Dallas. Nice. We'll check it out. Appreciate that, Jared. Tracy Jr., New York Giants. Tracy, the New York Giants. That seems really good. It is a really good fit for the record. And I mean, we'll talk about where we have Tracy ranked, but definitely one of the better fits he could have possibly landed at. I really do feel like he'll end up being a starting running back in this league. Although if you look at the analytics for him, older running back, not a lot of big production, but you watch this guy's film, man, he is slippery as fuck and he makes people miss, and that's what I want from a running back. Started at Iowa, ended up transferring to Purdue, was a receiver initially, so does have a receiving background, gets transitioned towards running back this year, and I mean, he was electric. He made people miss. He was one of the most efficient running backs in college football this past year. And if I go to my player card for the record, if you guys want to know how I evaluated Tyrone Tracy coming into this draft cycle, Tyrone Tracy was literally my RB7. I have listed here comp to Tony Pollard, committee back plus is the role I envision him seeing. And in terms of Tyrone Tracy, on his 113 carries this past year at Purdue, he forced 46 missed tackles, 4.44 yards after contact per attempt, which ranked first in the running back class. 71% of his total rushing yards came after contact. That goes to show you context of how bad the Purdue blocking scheme, how bad the Purdue blocking period up front was. Tyrone Tracy was almost making everything out of magic from there in the backfield. 71% of his yards came after contact, 90.5 PFF rushing grade, only one career fumble, and I mean, when you talk about the athletic nature of him, 5'11", 209 pounds, 93rd percentile burst score, 98th percentile agility score, 4.48 speed. Really, the only con for him, in my opinion, would be the profile. Because I'll tell you right now, from a pure film standpoint, I think he can make the case for being a top 4 to 5 running back in this class. So, big fan of Tyrone Tracy. I think he's a stud. Maybe him at 3.7. If he falls to 3.7, I think that's a good lottery ticket to take as well. I like that. I would like that a lot. What school did he go to? He started at Iowa and ended up going to Purdue. I think I answered that actually. So he smashed with the combine. Yeah, exactly. 77th percentile speed, 93rd percentile burst, 98th percentile agility. Like he crushed it. 9.78 RAS score. So Will Shipley, does he take away receiving work from Barkley? He potentially could, but I think he's got to focus on beating out Kenneth Gainwell for that role before he even sniffs, taking work from Barkley, to be honest. Like, I really do feel like it's going to be a competition between him and Gainwell. Whoever wins it out could potentially play some third down role on that team. Speaking of running back, by the way, another one does go here to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Keelan Robinson does get selected. A little bit of receiving profile. It sucks that Bush just hopped off because obviously his boy Hook'em Horns himself from Keelan ended up going to the University of Texas. So interesting pick there for the Jaguars. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and watch. I indulged in this film. It didn't really feel like he'd be a draftable player, but he does go in the 5th round ahead of some running backs like Isaiah Davis, who I really do feel like are good players. So see where Dallas leans, man. It could be Isaiah Davis at this point. Rattler, a sneaky 3rd round pick and be patient. 3rd round seems a little rich. I don't think you'll have to select him there, but if he comes in the 4th round, that's about where I'll be interested. Yeah. I just don't think you'll have to pick him in the 3rd round. Don't think you will. Bills are about to be making the pick here. I wonder who it is. Cowboys obviously picking 173, 174 overall, so in a few picks. The thing I'm shocked of is with the recent reports, there was some news, some buzz that Cowboys could have potentially traded up in the 4th round using some 2025 capital. Like, they just sit pat 70 plus picks and just kind of let the draft come to him. So I'll be interesting if they do end up taking their potential starting running back here. I'm just glad it wasn't Braylon. I'm kidding. Yeah, at this pick it would have been good, but just funny because, I don't like that guy. I mean, out of the top running backs left, like the one that's still there would be Isaiah Davis. So if they are going to go to the running back position, it would be between Isaiah Davis, Kamani Vidal, and unless I'm missing someone, I feel like those are the two best guys left. So yeah. But yeah, no, it'll be fascinating. Again, like we were talking about earlier, if you guys invested in a lot of rookie picks, 1st, 2nd, 3rd rounders, man, you got to love what you're able to do. Give me some hypothetical options when trading either Drake May or Purdy. I view both very similar. I don't view both similar at all. I would much rather have Drake May. Drake May is a guy I have valued as a top 15 overall dynasty startup pick. So in terms of Purdy, though, I mean, he's still a top 36 ranked player for me. So the deal, like the contract of your deal wasn't terrible. It's just, I don't think you're getting enough leverage. I don't know why. Like if you told me like it's Purdy plus the 303 for that package, that would be one thing, is what I would say. But the 2025 second, especially mid projection, it just doesn't really feel like you're gaining enough. Think Dallas targets anyone after the draft. Khalil Herbert and Miles Sanders are two that pop up. I don't think they would go in the trade market, to be honest, because otherwise they just would have signed someone better in free agency. I really do feel like it would probably be Zeke plus whatever back they take. If they don't, maybe they don't get a running back. I'd be shocked if they don't get a running back with, I think they have 4 picks left in this draft. Will Garendo take carries away from McCaffrey or not this year? I would be shocked. I don't think anybody's taking away carries from McCaffrey, but in terms of the year after, who knows, man? Like we've seen McCaffrey being able to, not being able to, but having the propensity to be breaking down at points in recent seasons. So if he were to miss any time, Garendo, the height, weight, speed, the zone fit, obviously working with Kyle Shanahan's scheme, I just think it was perfect for him with what we could have possibly expected. Like, could you imagine just a bigger, more physical version of kind of what Elijah Mitchell was coming out? That's kind of what you're getting. Shakir a hold after this draft. Keon is great, but it seems like he leaves Shakir a clear role. Yeah, I mean, Keon Coleman is great, but he doesn't do things like what Shakir does. They are completely different type of wide receivers. So if you do like Shakir, instead of them grabbing like a Lab McConkey or like a rookie Pearsall who schematically would play a similar role, them going with the big body threat has to be a win. Yeah, I agree with that. Pickens or Waddle, Dynasty PPR, I would still go with Jaylen Waddle there, Yeef. So go with Jaylen Waddle. By the way, we're about to have the Cowboys pick. I wonder who we're going with here. Or even outside of running back, who are even the best players available? I haven't taken a look. I mean, Malik Washington, if they don't go with a running back, would obviously be a ton of fun. But let me just take a look. By the way, my camera might actually be charged by now, so let me see if it works. Let me see. Where is my camera at? 100. Dope. So we'll go back to here. Should be a little bit more clear because the other webcam view is a little bit too blue, in my opinion. But yeah, will the Cardinals tight end they just drafted this year take away? No. Tip Ryman is your prototypical tone-setting backup tight end to play that Josiah DeGuara role. I would be heavily shocked if he took any targets away from Trey McBride, to be honest. I feel like they just got him as a blocker, which is kind of what his profile was coming out. We always see a blocking tight end just end up going in the first 3 rounds every year. Like I keep coming back to the Josiah DeGuara, the Dalton Keene, like those type of tight ends we see every year kind of be selected a little too high. So you view 302 with this draft lower value than a mid-second next year. It's just process because as good as this class is at the 302, like a mid-second, if it could end like it could end up being a really good class next year. Like we don't exactly know what will happen. Again, maybe can you make it a mid-third then if you don't want to give up the 302 this year? I think it's always good process 302 if I can get a mid-second for it, being able to liquidate that, especially with the buying power mid-season. Because you still have to name a player to that pick as well. At least by prolonging it to 2025, you also get the liquidity to be able to have buying power in season. So yeah. You can make the case on the clock next year. Is the 204 in 2025 as good as the 302 this year? Maybe, in hindsight bias, we were able to say, hey, listen, last year's 302 was better. But for the purpose of buying power specifically, like I've said, I just think the 205 is going to hold, or 2025 2 is going to hold more liquidity. 170. So we got the Saints on the clock here. The pick is in. I wonder who is going to be going off here. When your team hasn't picked all day 3, man, you're just getting excited for the pick. I just want to see who the Cowboys take. Is the landing spot for Adonai Mitchell ideal or too much competition? I'm cool with it. He's my 18th ranked player. I was higher on AD Mitchell in the pre-draft cycle. I thought he was my wide receiver 6. Obviously, falls to 52. Got to lower him a little bit compared to the receivers that went on day 1, except for, I would say, Ricky Pearsall, who I had significantly lower in my grades. But I'm fine with AD Mitchell's spot, to be honest, especially if Anthony Richardson does reach that ceiling. By the way, Flet, what you say? Yo, sup? I texted you, Flet. Texted you. I'll be hopping off probably in the next 10 minutes or whenever the Cowboys pick here. By the way, another fantasy relevant guy, Bub Maines, whatever. I didn't watch him, but interesting, I guess. Speed receiver, 4.43, 6'1", 212. Didn't really produce much at Pitt. Not much else. Check text. Yeah. What did you say here, Flutsky? That's why I scooped it, understanding that I'm balls deep on Ladd, Xavier Legette, Bo, Brock, all in that 109 to 201 range. Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I'm interested. I got so much anxiety having to wait over 70 picks just so the Cowboys to make one selection here because we wanted to trade that pick for Trey Lance last year, who didn't play a snap. But it is what it is. Xavier's the one who doesn't belong, but I'm higher than most. I love Xavier Legette. I think. Oh, you mean even worthy? Yeah, fair. Will Malachi Corey have a low floor this year on the Jets? Yeah, low floor is absolutely the way to describe it. Yeah, the ceiling is there from a schematic standpoint. Maybe he ends up being a Randall Cobb type for this offense with Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like he needs to learn how to run routes first, to be honest. He wasn't tasked with being able to run some extensive routes over there back in college over at Western Kentucky. So I am curious. He's a type of player you want to get the ball in his hands, yak monster, but if he can't learn the intricacies of playing receiver, he's going to have a learning curve to get on the field. Sorry. A lot of people kind of cool on Benson the Cardinals. Your thoughts? I feel like that's putting too much stock on Connor. I really like the fit, to be honest. And although Connor was objectively a good running back last year, you don't pick a running back at the top of the third that you don't envision potentially being your bell cow, in my opinion. Trey Benson has the makings to potentially end up being that bell cow running back for the team. And yeah, year one, could it end up looking like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery with James Conner playing that David Montgomery role? Sure. But I think Trey Benson, the athletic traits that he brings to the table, 4.39 long speed, Brees Hall light was my comparison for him. I do feel like this is going to end up being his job. And if he ends up being the lead back on a team and offense where with Arizona, I think could potentially be a top 10 offense in the league, I'm buying stock every single time. Oh, Jets traded up for this pick. I wonder who they go with. So the first two picks for them, Olu Fashanu, Malachi Corley. Did they have a fourth rounder? Oh, right. They took Braylon Allen. I forgot about that. That's kind of out there. Lee Crab. But yeah. Will Marshawn Lloyd have a significant role this year on the Packers? It's tough to say, man. He's still got to beat out AJ Dillon for some backup touches, but I think schematically he's your space back and Jacobs is your power back long term. I really do feel like if you're getting a running back to play that Aaron Jones type of role, Marshawn Lloyd is the schematic fit to be able to do that, to be honest. He's got all the juice in the world, extremely elusive in the open field. It's just a question of, is he able to really chip into his workload year one? I don't really have an answer. Sorry if you already talked about it, but how do you feel about Tyrone Tracy Jr. to the Giants? I absolutely love it. It pains me as a Cowboys fan. I wanted Tracy on the Cowboys. Here's my RB7, and that's including a bad profile because I really do feel like he had top 5 level film in this draft, to be honest. Good player. You're a Legette truther. I had him as my wide receiver 4 based on talent alone. He reminds me of Alshon Jeffrey with wheels. Funny being both Gamecocks, but his contested catch ability is next level and wasn't. I agree with you, Worm. I think you labeled it pretty well. He was my wide receiver 8, and that's including him potentially, not potentially, but him being down-ticked by the analytical profile. I agree with you. Like, from a pure film standpoint, you can make the case he's a top 5 or 6 receiver in this class, and nobody really shares that belief like us. So I'm glad that you are on the pro Xavier Legette truther side, because I do feel like his skill set, what he's bringing to the Panthers, what they talked about him in that interview. Dave Canales was talked about his fit in the offense. And he said, well, guess what? The routes that we want him to run are the ones that he runs well. We don't need him to be an every down established wide receiver 1 from the get-go, but can we put him in positions to succeed? I believe we can, is basically the gist of the press conference. So that was very encouraging watching that, especially being a Legette truther. Interesting pick by the Jets. Yeah, I mean, Travis isn't good, but 5th round backup, sure, I guess. He had 1 or 2 for clock top speed, both in college and NFL on that one catch. Yeah, like he's got fucking burners. Legette, 221 pounds, running sub 4.4 is impressive for anyone. Height, weight, speed freak. But quarterback, yeah, fuck yeah, sure. Jordan Travis stinks. I'm not gonna lie. Like, even if he was healthy and he went in the 5th round, I would say that was a bad pick. But the fact he's also coming off that snap leg isn't great. Do you think drafting Legette, even though you have Deontay and Bryce Young, is too much of a risk? No. I would say if you believe in the Panthers offense, you're making a consolidated bet on them potentially increasing in value. If you think Bryce Young's going to increase in value, maybe Deontay Johnson doesn't, but I feel like he's the definite receiver to learn from. If you're Legette, you're the type of big athlete with all the upside in the world, learning the intricacies, the nuances of playing the receiver position at a professional level. You have Deontay Johnson to be able to help you with that. So I think it's honestly one of the more ideal landing spots we could have expected for Legette, especially with how Canales described his role. If they were to just say, hey, he's going to play day 1 X and he's going to run the entire route tree, I would be cooled off then. But the fact that he said we have a plan in place for him, when you have these type of big upside players with the athletic skill sets that Xavier Legette has, while not having the polish being that 1-year breakout he is, ease him in and let him learn the position on the fly. Let him run what he's comfortable with, and let him eventually expand that route tree once he's ready and once he's shown the ability on the routes he can run. That's how I view it. You always want to give your players. We always talk about the quarterback nest, being able to support your quarterback, but you also want to do that to your young players with high upside, like I would view Xavier Legette as bringing. But yeah, it feels like we're the most Xavier Legette pro people there is, because there's going to be a lot of people talking about how he's this landmine. But I don't know. I keep coming back to the fact that I really enjoyed his film, man. I really enjoyed it. Trevor Keegan does go off the board, go blue to the Philadelphia Eagles. I fucking hate that my Michigan boy goes to Philly, but at least he got drafted. Happy for him. Go blue. Go blue, fuck green. Go blue, fuck green is my motto. Sorry. Yeah, no, Trevor Keegan's a solid pick, though, especially if they needed some interior offensive line depth. Panthers did adjust the offense well. Brooks and an extremely high ceiling receiver. Yeah, I agree with you, Worm. I think you're preaching to the choir here. I love it. People will look at a spreadsheet and tell us Legette is bad. Yeah, I know the amount of like Legette is the wide receiver 18 in the class. Like, fuck out of here. No, he's not. No, he's fucking not. Bijan plus what equals 101. Running back seems so scarce. I mean, it's at least a first round pick. Like, it's at least a 2025 first on top of Bijan to get Caleb, in my opinion. As much as I love Bijan, Caleb Williams is just literally a mid first round starter pick. Bijan is a mid second to late second. So I think that's the difference. Pop Douglas and Mingo cut candidates in short bench leagues. Pop Douglas, absolutely not. Mingo, maybe. It depends how much depth you need, because you mentioned it's short bench, but I'm not moving off of Pop Douglas. I would argue that it was really good for him. He was going to play a slot receiver role anyways. I wasn't going to be tasking him with running, X receiver routes. So getting Baker, getting Polk there, I think Douglas is still going to be a very, very good slot receiver for them. Also, JT Sanders to the Panthers is a sneaky, really good move. I love what they've done. Yeah, I agree with you there, Brock. What about Bijan versus Marv? I would much rather have Marv still as well. Much rather. As much as I love Bijan, Bijan's a stud. It's just Marv's my number 4 receiver in Dynasty. Watch him walk on a football field and it changes your view. Looks like an absolute beast. Dude, he is the type of guy you want first off the bus. The moniker every year, like, yeah, you put your most jacked guys at the top, at the front of the bus, your biggest beast at the front of the bus. It's like, yeah, give me that 6'1", 221-pound receiver with 4.39 speed with a fucking 6-pack fucking walking off my bus first. Instill the fear. Like, if I'm the Eagles, I'm just throwing AJ Brown at the front of the group. Is Sam Howell worth the stash still, even though I still have only 4 roster spots and 7 draft picks? I'm drafting Drake Mann, Bryce Young, and Russell Minshew. I mean, it depends. If you need to clear a spot, I'm not fucking attached to Sam Howell, to be honest. If you need to clear a spot, I don't mind losing it, or I don't mind cutting him, to be honest. So people can't look past his 4 years of blank production profile. Boys down to him changing from quarterback and injured. 100%. On top of that, he played quarterback in high school, small school, lost both his parents, was in a motorcycle accident. Like, there's a lot of context behind Xavier Legette's profile. And if you're just looking at him from a numerical standpoint, you're going to miss on him. If I'm the Eagles, Jordan Mailata always walks off the bus first. Yeah, Jordan Mailata, AJ Brown, Lane Johnson, like, they're just heading the front of the group. You gotta give them some like lunch pail so they can walk off the bunch holding it in their suits. That'd be fucking funny. Cowboys are about to be the next pick though, so that's interesting. Yeah. Have the Cowboys picked yet? They are literally the next pick. No spoilers in the chat, but I'm assuming you guys probably aren't going to be willing to spoil 5th round picks anyways, but I have to make reference to it. By the way, Garrett Wilson had 95 catches this year. I didn't even realize that. Didn't even realize he had that many catches. Holy shit. He had 95 catches this year. Fair play. Zach Martin walks off the bus first. Let them know. Yeah, dude, if I'm the Cowboys, man, these new offensive linemen you just took are walking off the bus. Micah Parsons walking off the bus. Tank Lawrence, fucking... Yeah, you're just getting all the beasts, all the big guys. I think I have the hiccups or something. Ugh, not ideal when you're streaming. I mean, to be fair, it makes sense. It's almost 4 hours in. By the way, I love how I said, yeah, the Cowboys will pick in like 10 minutes, like 40 minutes ago. What the fuck, man? Are you as high on Ladd as me? He's my wide receiver 5 in the class, brother. So you're preaching to the choir. Sounds like Worm just knows ball. He likes all the guys I like too. He knows ball. Yeah. Knows ball. No shot. Are you fucking kidding me, New York? Are you fucking kidding me, New York? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I'm going to cuss because we're almost 4 hours in the draft. Are you fucking kidding me, New York? You just took Braylon Allen. And the next fucking pick was the team that actually needed a starting running back. For fuck's sakes, man. What are we doing? Sorry, I had to cuss that out, but like, geez, what the hell? That's disgusting, man. That's disgusting. Where will Brock Bowers finish at tight end this year? Tough to say. I want to say top 12, but yeah. I'll know post draft. Sorry, I'm just caught off guard. Who did they pick? They picked Isaiah Davis after they picked Braylon Allen. And for the record, the next pick on the clock was the Dallas Cowboys, who did need a starting running back, and the best one on the board was Isaiah Davis. So, wow. Brendan Rice is the pick now. I wouldn't hate Brendan Rice to the Cowboys. I think that'd be a solid pick for them. Brendan Rice would be a good fit. No one else to throw to. Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe they just sniped us on Isaiah Davis. What the hell? I mean, for what it's worth, the Cowboys could have just not taken Isaiah Davis, but god damn it, man. What are we doing? Just get our RB3 in the clock. We're just getting our RB3, RB4 in the depth chart for no reason. Like, okay. I mean, for the record, Isaiah Davis is better than Braylon Allen. You can staple that to me. Isaiah Davis is a better running back than Braylon Allen, but like, what the fuck are we doing? What's too high for Ladd? He's my wide receiver 5. Waddle and Achane for Garrett. Dynasty PPR 10-team start 9. I mean, that's closer if you need depth, but even as 10-team start 9, like that's close if you need depth. That's closer than the Lamb deal, I would say, but I don't know. I would need to know your team. He is Worm, bro. Who'd they pick? Rice is the pick. Now I could see Brendan Rice for sure. No spoilers in the chat though, by the way. I know that's your prediction, Corey. I know. I'm just making sure nobody else puts it in. Hey, dude, if Jerry Rice's son went to the Cowboys, that'd be objectively hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Rice to the pick now. That's wild. What is New York doing? Wow, Rico Dowdle to the moon. Yeah, fuck. Apparently, I'm stunned. I mean, if they took Kamani Vidal, like things would be saved, but. Amount of daytime sports talk shows that would discuss Jerry Rice's son to Dallas would be insane. I think it could happen here. They do need a big X receiver to play the boundary. And I mean, Brendan Rice, although I don't think he's got the massive ceiling, is a solid pick at this point. Man, I'm shocked. Yes, it would. Is Gore Jr. gone? He's not, but like he's not very good either, to be honest. He's not very good. I'm speechless. So the Jets must have thought that the Cowboys were going to take Isaiah Davis with the last pick because they also have the last pick of the 5th round. So Brock is funny to me. He could be one of those old school weird players at height, weight, half balding guys that are just great as Larry Bird. I think it's more likely he'll do that. It's just as a rookie, it's tough to say because it's always tough to project rookies at tight end coming. But I mean, he's the type of player that should be a stud. I mean, we saw it with Sam Laporta last year, and I'll tell you right now, Brock Bowers is a better prospect than Sam Laporta was. But, I mean, the fit obviously mattered there working with Ben Johnson and the Lions. They have 4 running backs all under 25 on the Jets. Yeah, what the fuck, man? I'm actually – you don't know how upset I am that Isaiah Davis just went. Makes no sense. Makes actually no fucking sense. Brock is funny to me. He could be one of those old school weird players on height, weight, half. Yeah, all right, I just read that. Sorry, my bad. I'm still flustered if you guys couldn't tell. Where would you expect Brooks and Benson to be taken in a 1-quarterback rookie draft? Like, I mean, to be honest, not that much higher. Maybe instead of second rounders, you can make the case that, or 204, 205. Like, you could make the case of them obviously at the back end of the first in a 1-quarterback. But I mean, I would still take at least Caleb over them. Still take at least Caleb. He could be Taysom Hill on roids. Think how many games ripped off 30 points. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I love Ladd McConkey. I mean, I don't see Taysom Hill on roids. I see more so like a Chris Olave type of projection. I mean, my comp for him was Doug Baldwin. Like, I think he's an established receiver. I don't think he's a gimmick, but he's a really good yak guy for sure. Definitely see him as a full-timer. Can you guys hear me now? I should be good. Sorry, I cut out. Apologies. Wonder if I can get Knicks at 109 and no flocking. Yeah, you should be able to, I would say. Yeah, I was frozen. I should be good now, right? Should be good. You guys hear me? Comment in the chat if you guys have heard me. Okay, perfect. I love talking ball with man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know ball, man. I've been hearing some good takes from you. Been hearing some good takes. Quarterback 2 is Geno. Yeah, no, that's not bad. The Cowboys still haven't picked yet. Yeah, they haven't. That's Oh, okay. Fair. Yeah. We hear ya. Yes, you good. Frozen. You good. Appreciate that. Okay, perfect. But yeah, probably after the Cowboys pick, I'm not gonna lie, I am starving. I'm probably gonna make a coffee. I'm probably just gonna head off after that. I mean, I said at the 3-hour mark, yeah, the Cowboys will pick in 10, 15 minutes and we'll be good. And I mean, we're 45, 50 minutes later. So went a little longer than I expected. But regardless, if the Cowboys make a good pick here and hopefully don't take a bum, I'm all for it. Running back or receiver is going to be my pick here. Running back or receiver. Let's see who it is. Being announced in Mexico. Okay, fair enough. Enrique Burak. Let's go. $174th pick, baby. Select. Not bad. Not bad. Hey, it wasn't a running back or receiver, but I've heard some really good things about Jaylen Carson. So 5th round, I will take him here. Wow. Talk about the Cowboys just going with their meat and potatoes this draft, man. Holy Christ. They are fired up about getting Carson. Look at their reactions. They're ecstatic. Holy Christ. Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, and Brock mentions no more Gilmore, so I like this. Yeah, I've heard good things about Jaylen Carson, too. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I watched this film. I did not watch this film at Wake Forest, but the people that I trust have talked about Jaylen Carson as being a good player, so pretty happy with that. Yeah, good. Here we go. Also, I need a like. Yeah, if you guys are still in here, 291, appreciate you guys for sticking around. Again, I will sign off. So if you haven't already, I answered some questions. You enjoyed the stream. You know, me bickering back and forth, me screaming, yelling obscenities when the Jets just sniped Isaiah Davis. Leave a like down below. It does help the channel a lot. Again, we will be coming at you with daily content this week, breaking down what happened in the NFL draft, dynasty implications, getting you guys prepped for those rookie drafts. Ton of fun stuff. I mean, at the end of the day here, if you guys have been following FSC for a while, if you just found us out, we roll up the sleeves and we get the dirty work done. Kind of similar to the Cowboys draft of drafting all the linemen here. Meat and potatoes first, and then you enjoy the dessert after. This NFL draft has been the dessert to the months and months of preparation we have put in, the meat and potatoes we put in. So appreciate you guys for sticking around. But with that being said, peace out. We will see you guys back tomorrow.